Good evening and welcome to international cricket from Manuka Oval in Canberra. Fantastic to have you with us through ABC Sport across Australia and on BBC 5 Sports Extra throughout the UK, alongside former Australian fast bowler Stewie Clark, English World Cup winning wily spinner and devotee of ice creams worldwide Alex Hartley. Our friends from the BBC are here, Henry Moran and Daniel Norcross. I'm Andrew Moore, and it's great to be back at the cricket. This is Game 2 of the T20 series between Australia and England, after England won the opening game in Perth on Sunday by 8 runs as we lead into the T20 World Cup. It's overcast in Canberra, but thankfully no rain here in the nation's capital. Playing surface looks amazing, pitch looks made for run scoring. So let's get straight to the toss with Kath Longnam.
Vinci, when you're ready. Heads is the call. It's a tail. 2 from 2. Vinci, what would you like to do?
We're going to have a bowl first.
And your reason for that?
Looks like a really good wicket. Yeah, no other reason.
Now, do you have your first choice bowling attack back tonight? What are the team changes?
We've got 5 changes. Maxwell, Zampa, Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood are all back in.
So is this starting to look like more the 11 we'll see for the World Cup?
Yeah, probably. I think it was a quick trip to Perth, and especially coming from Brisbane and back here in such a short time, it only made sense to leave them guys at home and make sure that they were as fresh as they could be.
So do you take much away from the Perth game, or is it more like a clean slate now against England with this 11?
I think you've got to go in with a clean slate every game. You can't carry too much baggage into a T20 game, but yeah, we still learned plenty out of it. I think the guys that played had a good opportunity to win the game. We just didn't take that, and we fought really hard in the second half with the ball to restrict into what looked like it was going to be a huge total at one stage.
And you're returning to the top of the order tonight?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'll be back up at the top with Davey.
Yep. Good to see. Well, good luck tonight. We'll bring in Joss Buttler, the England skipper. What would you have done?
Yeah, we would have bowled as well.
Yeah. Any team changes for England tonight?
We've got 2 changes. Chris Jordan, David Willey come in for Mark Wood and Chris Wokes.
Mark Wood isn't injured, is he? He's just a rest?
No, just giving him a rest, wrapping him cotton wool. But yeah, it's a great opportunity for the 2 other guys coming in.
Gee, you must have been happy with the result in Perth and the first performance for your first match in Australia leading up to this World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. We got off to a really good start. And I thought Australia were favourites for a long part of that chase, but we showed great character to defend that score.
How much has it changed, though, now, listening to Australia's inclusions? They've got a couple of handy bowlers coming into the side.
Yeah, they have, and that's great. You want to play against the best players in the world, and there's certainly some of those. So we look forward to the challenge.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
So there we have it. Australia have won the toss and will bowl first.
And a number of changes, as we heard. For Australia, in comes Glenn Maxwell, Pat Cummins, Mitch Stark, Adam Zampa and Josh Hazelwood. Out go Cameron Green, Nathan Ellis, Daniel Sams, Kane Richardson and Mitch Swepson. And for England, as Joss Buttler mentioned, Chris Jordan and David Willey. 2 pace bowlers are in, replacing Mark Wood and Chris Wokes, who are being rested. Now, there is about to be a moment's silence here as it is the 20th anniversary of those dreadful, murderous Bali bombings. The players on both teams are wearing black armbands, and I noticed the flag above Parliament House is at half-mast. So we'll go to that moment's silence in just a tick. Alex Hartley, it's so good to see you. How are you going?
Helps if I turn my microphone on, doesn't it? What a start. I'm actually all right, surprisingly.
I know you had a long trip to Perth. You had a really long trip to Canberra. So I understand you're a little bit tired.
It took me 16 hours to get to Canberra, so I'm glad we're actually at the cricket and something's about to happen.
It doesn't quite seem right. And following you on social media, it was a long trip to get here too, wasn't it, in the first place?
It was indeed. So I've gone from Manchester to Perth in 16 hours, and then 16 hours from Perth to Canberra.
Incredible. That story will unfold throughout the course of the day, no doubt. Stuart Clark, great to see you, mate. Welcome back to the cricket.
G'day, Andy. G'day, everybody. It's that time of year. The cricket's about to start. The floodlights are on. The players are out in the middle of the field as we are on the edge of the field as they get ready. So, excited, Andy.
All right, here's the minute silence for the 20th anniversary of the Bali bombings. Years ago, my goodness, that emotion and how that hit so many Australians suffering loss seems like yesterday in many regards, especially seeing images again over the last 24 hours or so. To the cricket, Stewie, this is a whole new Australian lineup, and Aaron Finch was asked about the bowling attack. It is completely different to what England faced in Perth.
Yeah, it certainly is. Nathan Ellis, I thought he was really good over there in Perth, and unfortunately when the big boys turn up, Stark and Hazelwood and co, unfortunately he has to make way, but I was really impressed with him. The Australians, interesting listening to Aaron Finch talk that he's, these T20 games come so quickly, you can't carry any baggage from the game before, because if you do,
Need a short memory.
you walk out and your 3 overs are gone and it's pretty much the game. So it's a real mindset for the Australians and the England guys that, yes we won, yes we lost, but it doesn't matter anymore. We're out, a new game, different surface, different conditions. It'll be a real challenge, and I think winning the toss is a big advantage, and we've seen in games here that chasing used to be a little bit easier.
All right, Stewie, what's the score England will be satisfied with here?
I think they're going to need a fairly decent score. I'd be saying high 190s if they hit the 200 mark. I think if you end up at 160, 170, history says you don't win a lot of games here at Canberra. And the surface, whilst I haven't inspected it thoroughly myself, Andrew, looks like a pretty good batting surface from here.
It normally is. All right, Stewie, good to catch up, mate. We'll look forward to your comments right throughout the evening. Alex Hartley, this is a new challenge for Josh Butler and Alex Hales, and they're both in blistering form on Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be a tougher challenge, isn't it? We've got the big guns back for Australia. It's what we want. This series is an opportunity to warm up for the World Cup that's just a couple of weeks away for these two teams. So the fact that Hales and Josh Butler at the top of the order will face the Quicks is going to be, it's going to be exciting, isn't it? Because we know that it's always a belter here at Canberra. It's a rock hard surface, so we should see a lot of runs scored.
Well, I hope we see a finish like we did the last time we were here, at the end of January, at the end of the women's test, which went right down to the wire. You're an emotional wreck. And England held on with the last wicket pair it was Eccleston and your mate Kate Cross, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was indeed. It's probably one of the games that England should have won in that Ashes series, but hey-ho.
It was that sort of summer. Well, they're off to a good start here, but they're about to face Josh Hazlewood, and it looks like on strike for the English team will be Josh Butler, who smashed 68 or 32 deliveries in Perth. It's his 96th T20 game, the 32-year-old English captain. 2,295 runs at an average of just over 33, but a strike rate, most importantly, of just under 144. And against Australia, it's his 14th game, averages 41.81 against the Aussies with 4 half-centuries and a strike rate in excess of 150. So important for England's chances. And 33-year-old Alex Hales, he was magnificent in Perth on the weekend, scoring 80-odd against the Australians. And of course, we know about his discipline issues in the past, but he's back now and looking to make this spot his own. So Hazlewood will open the bowling from the pool end of the ground with one slip in place, and that's the captain, Aaron Finch, and Butler drives it square on the offside. Beats the infield. I tell you what, this ball is racing to the point boundary for 4. So it's as if nothing finished for Josh Butler after his innings in Perth. No wicket for 4 after the first delivery.
It's a lovely shot from Butler as well, just up on his toes, punching the ball through the covers. Everyone in the ring on the offside, only 2 fielders allowed outside in the power play, and once you get it through, as it's just shown, it races to the boundary.
As soon as it got past Tim David, he had no hope of tracking that down. So here comes Hazlewood again, bowling over the wicket, and Butler is defending this time to mid-off, and there's no run, and applause from the crowd as it's picked up by Maxwell. So Hazlewood operating with a slip, a third man, a backward point cover, mid-off, mid-on. There is a mid-wicket, very square Mitch Marsh, and a deep, fine leg as this game gets underway. So do you agree with Stuart? They're going to need up near 200 again here?
Yeah, I think so, especially here at Canberra, because we're talking about how it's always such a good wicket, high-scoring ground. So you want to try and get up and around that 200 mark.
Hazlewood on his way, bowls to Butler, and he plays this without too much timing away, score on the offside. David moving to his right at cover, picks up, and there's a run. So Josh Butler off strike, he's 5, and that is England's total after 3 deliveries in this first over of the game. It is a very different look, isn't it? Hazlewood, Cummins, Stark, the pace triumphant with Adam Zampa's accurate leg spin as well added to this Australian team.
Yeah, I think Adam Zampa will make a huge difference, or well, we know he will make a huge difference. Swepson didn't bowl too well in the previous game at Perth. I think he bowled 2 overs for 31, I think it was.
So here's Hazlewood now to Alex Hales after his 80-odd in Perth on Sunday, and he's beaten first delivery outside the off stump. Seemed to rise off the pitch from Hazlewood. And through it goes to the keeper, Matt Wade. England no wicket for 5 in the first over. Your text messages are welcome, 0467 920 222. Remembering for listeners in the UK, it's a bit more expensive, so just check with your local provider. 0467 920 222. It'll be great to hear from you over the next 4 hours or so. Crowd, not massive, be about 5,000 in the ground, I'd reckon. As Hazlewood is in, bowling to Hales with a high back lift, and he runs this backward at point, and a diving stop by Maxwell to prevent a run. That was a good bit of fielding from one of the best there is, Glenn Maxwell. Dot ball, no wicket for 5.
An unnecessary dive, though, that I reckon, from Glenn Maxwell.
I think there's a bit of show in it.
I reckon there was a bit of the big show in the big show there. Diving to his right. I mean, it looked good.
Were you doing that through the 100 tournament over in the UK?
I did take a wonderful catch.
You did. I did see that.
To which, you know, I do repost every now and then.
That's where I've seen it quite regularly. I would too, mind you. Here's Hazlewood in bowling to Alex Hales. Yet to get off the mark, and he advances down the pitch and gets badly beaten by Hazlewood. That moved in on him, and Wade takes it low down to his left, and that ends the over. And I think Hazlewood will take that after the start, where Joss Buttler hit a boundary from the first delivery. England no wicket for 5 after being sent into bat, and Buttler has all of those runs. Hales failed to score from the 3 deliveries he faced, and Hazlewood right on the money.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. I think just that first ball was outside the off stump ever so slightly. I mean, he's beaten Alex Hales twice in that over. We saw Alex Hales play and miss at a few balls in the previous game at Perth. He said he didn't quite feel right early on in his innings, but once he got going, he was unstoppable.
Well, we've seen that from him from time to time out here in the Big Bash too, Alex Hales. So it'll be Pat Cummins to open the bowling from this Monica end, where we are. Starting his run just on the circle or thereabouts. We've got Stark next to him at mid-on. There's a man just 4 to square, deep fine leg, slip, third man, backward point, cover, mid-off. And that mid-off is Dave Warner for the Australians. Joss Buttler's taken guard, and he's just waiting for something to happen around the sight screen. The English skipper taps the bat, and Pat Cummins, the Test captain, on his way. No, we've got another issue here. Is this with this thing in the sky? The camera?
Oh, it was.
Spider?
Yeah, it was a spider cam.
Oh, so we just hear from one of the umpires. The umpires are Donovan Koch and Philip Gillespie, saying, make sure the spider cam's not moving. You're not in charge of those buttons, are you, tonight? Here's Cummins bowling to Buttler, and it's outside the off stump, and a rare leave. Through it goes to Matt Wade. England no wicket for 5 at the start of the second over. You don't see that very often.
I was just thinking that. You don't see that very often in T20 cricket at all. Outside the off stump, Buttler leaves it more so on length than line, I reckon, because it's gone over the top of off stump, just rising a little bit. This pitch has got some good bounce in it so far.
There's so much rain about New South Wales and the ACT. Raining again as I drove out of Sydney this morning. Here's Cummins now bowling to Buttler, who's forward driving but can't beat Warner at mid-off. Goes down low to pick it up, and all of a sudden 5 dot balls in a row between Hazlewood and Cummins, and England remains no wicket for 5. Oh, Parramatta Rachel is a mad Parramatta Eels fan in the NRL, Alex, and went to a first game in a long time on grand final day 2 Sundays ago. Hey Andrew, love hearing you on the cricket. Can't believe today is 20 years since the Bali bombings. All thoughts go out to the victims of those evil attacks. Quite right, Rachel. Neil says listening to England play Australia on a Wednesday night with ABC and BBC commentators working in tandem doesn't get any better than that. Good on you, Neil. Cummins bowls to Buttler, struck on the pad, out. He's been given out leg before wicket, and now he turns around to get the bad news, and as has become the norm, he'll have a chat to the non-striker Alex Hales before determining that yes, he will challenge and go to the third umpire, Joss Buttler. He didn't seem all that perturbed. He was more looking about whether he could get a leg by or not, but Cummins and the Australians were very confident, and he has been given out.
Yeah, Pat Cummins thinks this is out.
Third umpire to director. We have a player review for LBW.
That's Sam
The original decision is out. I've already checked the front foot, and it is a fair delivery. Can we start with front on, please?
We're almost at a long on, Alex. To me, that looked out.
It did look out, but I think the only thing that's going to save him here is if the ball's going down the leg side.
Yes.
I mean, the shot he played suggested it might have been.
It's hit him in front of middle, but the ball is angling down leg, or at least towards leg stump anyway.
He's just started walking off.
No, he stopped. It looks out though, doesn't it?
Does look out.
Because it did strike him in line with middle stump. Doesn't seem like it's hit the bat.
clear gap between the bat and ball. Satisfied no bat is involved. Can we go through to ball tracker when ready?
Also not got a massive stride in either, so...
No, he's pretty much at the crease with the front foot. Just beyond the crease.
Pitching outside off, impact is in line.
He needs his...
Going on to miss the wickets.
So Joss Butler is okay.
Can we have the umpire back on screen, please?
Don't rip up your Joss Butler tickets, folks. It's still no wicket for 5 in the second over, and Butler a very good review.
Well...
That ball must have been moving a lot.
Not what we were expecting. The shot he played, Butler played it because he thought the ball was angling down the leg side, but when he went to speak to Alex Hales, he wasn't sure if he should review or not, which suggests that he thought, this could be pretty close.
So there were 5 runs off the first 3 deliveries. The next 6 have been dot balls. And Cummins disappointed. He thought he had the wicket, but he's in again to Butler, and Cummins bowls, and he's driven straight to point. No run. Can't beat the field. So the pressure builds as Tim David did the fielding. And the score remains 5 without loss after Australian captain Aaron Finch again won the toss, and as he did in Perth on Sunday, sent England into bat. And that proved costly as England roared over the 200 mark. Actually, it was a great game. Great finish, wasn't it?
Great game. Australia brought it back really well in the end with the ball. I mean,
yes.
England should have got 230, 240.
Regular wickets.
Fell away, yeah.
And then they needed, 16 off the last over, the Australians. Fell a little short as Cummins bowls to Butler. Hits it back past the bowler without any great timing. Pretty straight on the onside of straight. Mitchell Starc in pursuit. He'll pick it up about 15, 20 metres in from the boundary as the batsmen turn for an optimistic 3, and they make it great running. And Joss Butler moves to 8, which is England's score with 1 ball left in the second over.
That was very slow-mo cricket, wasn't it? As Joss Butler just punched the ball back down the ground. It didn't really go anywhere, and Stark's chasing after it, and not really chasing after it that quickly. Bizarre bit of cricket, that.
So now it's Alex Hales, who faced 3 dot balls in the first over. Still a slip, third man, backward point cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a deep backward square. So not too much change, although Mitchell Starc is moving the backward point a little finer. Here comes Cummins, bowls, and Hales is defending. Back down the pitch, and Cummins picks up in his follow-through to end a very good over from the Australian Test captain. 3 runs off it, all from 1 stroke from Butler, and 2 overs in. England no wicket for 8. Butler has all of those runs, and Alex Hales yet to score.
There's already such a difference between the last game and this one. England able to get away early. They went at 10 runs and over. They were 30 for none after 3 overs. And Australia have bowled very well. They've got their big guns back today, but they've bowled really well at these 2.
John from West Footscray writes, is Australia back to its full strength team tonight? Yes, pretty much. With 5 changes, Glenn Maxwell, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, Adam Zampa, Josh Hazlewood all in, and out go Cameron Green, Nathan Ellis, who bowled superbly in Perth, Daniel Sams, Kane Richardson and Mitch Swepson. So the third man is up here in Zampa with a slip Finch, and it's Hazlewood bowling to Butler, who chops it onto his body and can't get a run as it trickles a few metres away on the offside of the pitch, and Hazlewood picks up in his follow-through. No wicket for 8. They are finding it a little difficult to get timing and just getting used to this track here at Manuka.
I think it's the bounce that's doing both of the batters. They can't quite get used to the way the ball's lifting off the surface. It might be one of those where all it takes is a big old heave into the leg side just to get yourself going, get your timing right.
So with third man up, the backward point is on the boundary rope in David, and there's a deep fine leg near the 2 back. As Hazlewood it is, coming in bowling to Joss Butler, who launches this over the head of mid-on. The chase is on for Mitchell Starc, but he won't catch it. It rolls into the boundary rope for 4. Again, I'm not sure it was the timing that we've become accustomed to from Joss Butler in this form of the game, but he had enough on it to clear Mitch Starc, and once he did that, it was a comfortable ride to the boundary. So he's 12. England is no wicket for 12 in the third over.
It's always nice when you say you just need to play a big shot, get yourself going, and then they do it. So Joss Butler there, it wasn't the prettiest of shots, but it's just gone over mid-off, trickled to the boundary. Don't know whether the outfield's quite slow, but the first ball raced to the boundary and the rest haven't.
Now it's Hazlewood bowling to Butler. He's on the pull shot just over the top of the leaping square leg, and that ball races away for 4. He struck that beautifully just over the head that time of Mitchell Marsh, but he had something behind that, Joss Butler. He's 16 with that boundary. No wicket for 16 England.
It's a brilliant shot from Butler, just back of a length Mitch Marsh getting a fingertip on it. So technically it goes down as a drop catch, but it would have been an absolute worldie.
Yeah, I'm not writing that one down as a chance.
Nah,
it did touch his fingers there, you're quite right, and now, and probably with a little bit of relief, he's moving back to the square leg boundary, and the deep backward point, Tim David, is moving back inside the circle. So Hazelwood, having gone for back-to-back fours, bowling in the third over of the innings, bowls it to Bouncer to Butler, and he hooks this one away down to the newly positioned Mitchell Marsh at deep square leg, and as a result they only get a single as he bounces a dribble throw really back to Matt Wade. So 1 to Butler, he's 17. England 17 without loss in the third over, and Alex Hales will now look to get off the mark.
The difference between Perth and today, between the Australian seamers, is in Perth they bowled really full, like almost too full. A lot of deliveries were in the slot, which were easy for England to get away, where tonight with the more experienced bowlers back, they've bowled more back of a length and it's been quite difficult.
So now it's Hales who's faced 4 deliveries only, but yet to get off the mark, and there's a deep backward square for him and a deep third man as Hazelwood bowls, struck on the pad, maybe some bat, stifled shout by Hazelwood, and from behind the wicket as it trickles away square on the offside, picked up by Maxwell, no run, and Alex Hales remains on 0. 1 ball left in the third over, England no wicket for 17.
Yeah, just needs to get one away here, Alex Hales, just struggling. He's faced 5 deliveries, yet to score a run. He's been beaten a few times. That ball really angling down the leg side.
So last ball of the over, 9 runs off it so far for England as Hazelwood bowls, and Hales is deciding to do the Alex Hartley way over the top of cover, and that will end up in front of the Jack Fingleton scoreboard for 4. It was nicely played by Alex Hales. He had had enough. So he hits the boundary, and it ends up being quite a productive over for England. 13 off it, and they're now no wicket for 21. Joss Butler 17, and Alex Hales off the mark with a 4. Alex Hartley and Andrew Moore with you on Grandstand Cricket. Hi, Warren from Blacktown. Go Australia tonight and for the World Cup. Welcome back to the cricket, Andrew. Cheers, Warren. It really is nice to be back. Last time
in a while.
January, when we were here for the Women's Test. It's been 2,849 footy games between then and now. So, no, it's lovely to be back. Great to see you and Henry and Daniel and Stewie. As it'll be Cummins to bowl his second over from this Manuka end. Hi Andrew, good to hear you and the team tonight. Love cricket as much as my footy. Non-cricket question, we'll be calling any World Cup footy over the next few weeks. Tiger Tooley, nice to hear from you. No, we don't have the broadcast rights for the Rugby League World Cup in the UK. Here's Cummins, bowls to Butler, who just decides to launch this. Finch moves back, he got an edge, it's a mile in the air, and Finch in the end. Well, in fact, it's Zampa who lunges forward to take the catch millimetres off the grass, and Joss Butler is out. Caught Zampa, bowled Cummins for 17. He went the big old windy woof. It flew miles in the air, and Zampa coming across inside the circle at a short third man ended up having to lunge forward and takes the catch. Butler out for 17, and England now 1 for 21.
Well, that's a brilliant catch from Zampa, because not only has the ball gone so high in the air and he's ended up having to do a full length dive forward, but actually the ball nearly hit the wire of the spider cam, and as soon as he's taken the delivery he looks up and he said the wires were in the way. So had the ball actually hit one of those wires it would have taken a huge deviation, but a brilliant catch from Zampa because he's underneath it, and it's not quite where he thinks it is because of those wires from the spider cam. He's got a huge smile on his face because he knows he's just taken a brilliant catch.
That was a brilliant catch. That's not one any cricketer would want to take, is it? It's not an instinctive reflex catch. It's not as good as the one you took in the 100 last English summer, but that was up in the air. It was up in the air for so long, and then, as you say, judging it amongst the clouds up high and the spider cam, he did a remarkably good job. So Joss Butler out for 17 on 13 deliveries with 3 boundaries. England 1 for 21 in the 4th over, and Dawood Malan will come to the crease, who was one of England's best batsmen in a pretty horrific Ashes summer last season here in Australia. And the 35-year-old is coming out. Has a strike rate of 137.7 with a higher score of 103 not out against New Zealand. His only century in this form of the game, where he has been ranked number 1 in the world, and this time he can't get off the mark. Drove it beautifully square of the wicket, but a diving save prevents a run by Mitchell Marsh, and the score remains England 1 for 21 in the 4th over. Molan yet to score, and Alex Hales on 4.
Being good in the field tonight, Australia. They're diving on everything. Obviously that catch that we've just seen was a fantastic catch from Zampa, former Welsh Fire teammate. He was over playing for the Welsh Fire in the 100.
Did they do better than the women's Welsh Fire?
No, not at all.
Here's Cummins bowling to the left-handed Milan, who plays this elegantly but can't get a run just forward of square. Tim David does the fielding, and the score remains 1 for 21.
There was a lot of chat, should we have a joint table, so the girls and the boys, do you mix them together and see where your team ends up? So we did it. Welsh Fire won 1 from 14 if we were going to do it that way. So the girls won 1 from their games.
So you carried them. You carried them. You won 1 in a row at one point. David Milan came in at number 7 in Perth, just scored 2 not out from a couple of deliveries. Ben Stokes has the pads on in the English rooms as Milan is on the drive. That is a beautiful cricket shot. It's a cover drive, it's a traditional shot, and he pierces the infield and it races away for a boundary, and that's how he gets off the mark. David Milan, he joins Alex Hales on 4. England 1 for 25 in the 4th over. That was just pretty to watch. That was classic.
It was a classical cricket shot. No foot movement really from Milan, but just times the ball, waits for it to come out the middle of the bat, watches it fly past extra cover. You almost sense he might have a point to prove today, Milan, after Perth.
So Cummins into him again, and he's driving. That was a bit more reckless. He misses. I'm not sure it got up as much as he anticipated, and it goes down low to Matt Wade, having beaten the outside edge of Milan's bat. Score remains 1 for 25. 1 ball left in the 4th over.
So Milan found himself on the slippery pole in the last game. Carded to come in at 3, and ended up coming in maybe 7.
7, but only faced a couple of deliveries. So Cummins switches to around the wicket. Matt Wade is helping Aaron Finch make some changes. The fine leg is getting finer. There's a square leg, and now Aaron Finch is taking himself out of slip, moving to a mid-wicket position as Tim David goes almost right in line with the umpire at square leg. Finch in a catching position about 15 metres from the bat, mid-on, mid-off. There's a point, cover point, and a backward point as Cummins bowls. It's a pull shot. It's way in the air, heading towards the boundary. Milan has hit this into the stands for a magnificent 6. He played that with such time and timing, and a spectacular end of the over by David Milan. He moves to 10 with that 6, the first of the evening, and England through 4 overs. Now 1 down for 31. Milan 10, Hales 4.
Well, Cummins got the wicket of Butler with the first ball of that over, and then it's gone for 10 since. What a shot that was from Milan. Just steps back, goes deep in his crease, and whacks it. It actually lands on the concrete, and there was a few kids down there, they're all scattered out the way.
That was magnificent.
It's a brilliant shot.
I mean, that cover drive was just pure cricket, and that he just seemed to have so much time to play that pull shot. So, change to the bowling from the pool end of the ground. Looks like Marcus Stoinis coming into the attack, the medium pace all-rounder. And Josh Hazlewood, he bowled his 2 overs for 18. So Zampa's there again at a short third man. There's a backward point, deep point, cover and a mid-off on the offside as Stoinis bowls, and Hales drives to mid-off, out caught. He's gone. Great catch by Dave Warner, low to the ground, and Alex Hales, who never looked comfortable, is out for 4 as Stoinis strikes with his first delivery. Hales caught Warner, bowled Stoinis for 4, and England now 2 for 31 in the 5th over.
You almost sense that Alex Hales was trying to go through extra cover, over extra cover. There's no foot movement again, so he's just trying to play the ball with force coming from his body, from the arm movement, and he just chips it in the air. And Stoinis gives it the come on boys, gets a wicket with his first delivery, and England find themselves in a slight bit of trouble here towards the back end of the power play.
2 for 31 now.
31 for 2.
31 for 2. Yes, keep doing it both ways. So Alex Hales, 4 off 7 deliveries with 1 boundary. Like I say, just never found his footing today. And Dave Warner, a very good catch low down. 2 for 31. And Ben Stokes coming in. And Ben Stokes, again, the English Test captain, 31-year-old. It's only his 36th T20 international, 451 runs at 19 and a half, strike rate of almost 136. It's his 4th game at Australia. He's only against Australia rather. He's only scored 15 runs in a couple of innings, averaging 7.5. Scored 9 off 9 deliveries at Perth Stadium. And he'll be on strike, the lefty. Here comes Stoinis, bowls, all-rounder, and Stokes defends. And Stoinis enthusiastically picks up in his follow-through on the onside of the pitch. No run. 2 for 31, dash 31 for 2.
It's nice to see Stoinis back, isn't it? Back playing. Had a few injuries. I reckon he's one of my favourite players for somebody that I've never met.
Really?
Him and Finch. Always want Finch to get runs.
Yeah. Stoinis is built like an outhouse too. Muscle after muscle.
He likes a tight shirt.
I've interviewed, well, they're painted on. Here's Stoinis. Bowling to Stokes, and this is angled down leg side, and he just rolls with it, Stokes. Rolls the wrist towards short fine leg where Zampa picks up, but he does get off the mark with a single, and England 2 for 32 in the 5th over. Yeah, I've had to interview him on the field a few times over the years, and it's embarrassing. Embarrassing. So now the another lefty comes on strike, being Dawood Milan, who struck a couple of beautiful deliveries off Pat Cummins. So he has a short third man in Cummins. There's a deep backward point on the rope. There's a cover, extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, deep square leg, short fine leg. With the batsman out, Joss Butler caught Zampa of Pat Cummins for 17, and Alex Hales caught Warner off Marcus Stoinis for 4, wickets falling at 21 and 31. Now it's Milan who's driving, can't beat cover, straight to Finch. Dot ball, 2 for 32 in the 5th over, 2 balls to come. Andy from Wodonga says, hello, Combox. It would have been a dead ball if the ball hit the spider cam wire. Is that correct?
Ooh.
I think we've seen it only once before, and it is a dead ball.
I reckon they just make it up. They say, oh no.
They just hope it doesn't hit it.
Yeah. Wasn't far away though.
Great to hear Andrew and Alex back together on comms. Welcome back to Australia, Alex, from Matt, who's based in Brizzy near the Gabba. Now it's Stoinis bowling to Milan, and he whips this off his pads. Timed it beautifully. Will only get a run because there is a defender out there in Mitchell Marsh who moves to his right from deep square, and Milan moves to 11. 33 for 2 England with 1 ball to come in the 5th over. And hi Andrew, and welcome back Alex. Great to have cricket on so soon after the footy. I've come down to Mackay for the 4 games of WBBL Go Brisbane Heat. Good on you, Pam, listening in Innisfail. And the WBBL season starts tomorrow.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I like the WBBL.
A lot of English players are back this summer, which is great to see. Sophie Eccleston with the Sixers, I know, and Amy Jones and Tammy Beaumont's back for Cindy Thunder. As Ben Stokes push and run down towards mid-on, he'll get a single as Hazelwood does the fielding. So a very good over from Marcus Stoinis. England 34 for 2 after 5 overs. Milan 11, Stokes is 2. Marcus Stoinis 1 over, 1 for 3. Coming up next on Grandstand Cricket, join Alex Hartley. It's great to see Henry Moran back.
Don't miss a moment. ABC Sports coverage of the cricket. ABC Sport Digital Radio and on the ABC Listen app.
Do what you want. 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 Do what you want.
Well, it's lovely to be back. And this game certainly not seeing the flurry of early runs from the England opening overs with the bat that we saw the Perth Stadium a few nights ago. Alex, it's a little bit of a different contest when you've got Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins roaring at you, and it's going to be Mitchell Stark that's going to have a go for the first time tonight.
Yeah, it's very different, and they've just bowled better lengths as well. Back of a length has been hard to get away.
Stokes on strike, one of 2 left-handers out there for England. Under the lights, Stark is bowling and immediately clipped towards Finch with the shirt untucked at mid-wicket, and there is no run. We walked into the ground behind Hazelwood and Stark.
Yes.
Earlier today. It was like sort of following 2 thoroughbreds. Just tall, powerful, and if you're English, scary.
Yes. It was almost we could do something good here for English cricket.
Where's that cricket ball that Glenn McGrath trod on at Edgbaston back in 2005? Here comes Stark. What a cricketer, what a bowler. Running in now. This is driven down the ground. Back to Stark, who does well to collect in his follow-through. This is just quietly, Alex, quite a big innings for Ben Stokes.
Yeah, it is. He's found himself back in the team, batting at 4. He came in at 3 in Perth, didn't really get any runs. And, well, I think Milan's actually the only one that's timed it. Stokes is struggling as well, keeps picking the fielders, which is so annoying when you're obviously looking to score runs and all you do is hit the ball to the fielders.
Stokes waiting, taps his bat and sees Mitchell Starc roaring in towards him. He clubs that. It was more force than timing out towards deep cover point. Mitch Marsh fields in front of the Jack Fingleton scoreboard. We know that there are hills all around, but we can't see any of them because the sun has set. The ground illuminated by these enormous spatulas with lights attached.
They are like big spatulas, actually, aren't they? It always amazes me every single time I come to Australia how quickly it gets dark.
Yeah,
it's like someone just turned off the lights, turned off the sun. Well, technically that happens, really.
It really, really doesn't. Here comes Mitchell Starc, and this is down the leg side. It's the sort of delivery that might make Rory Burns feel a bit nervous, but that didn't hit the leg stump. It goes whistling on through to the gloves of Matthew Wade, and there is wide signal, no margin for error, and another onto the total for England, who are 36 for 2 for 36. Lovely to have you with us, listening across grandstand cricket and on Test Match Special as well. We will have every ball of every game of the T20 World Cup, and I'm very excited about it as well. Here comes Mitchell Starc, charging in once more. This is hit down the ground. Nice piece of timing. Will beat the infield. Should make it to the ropes as well. Fielder gives up the chase. And just a gentle push down the ground from David Malan. And as you say, he seems to be the only one really timing it, but that's a good shot. England 40 on the board, 2 down.
It's a lovely shot. Another proper cricket shot from David Malan. And we were saying maybe he's got a bit of a point to prove after the last game. Carded's coming at 3, ended up coming in at 7. Kept sending power hit after power hitter. We know he's capable of going at a higher strike rate than we often see, and he's proving that this evening.
Fields in the deep at square leg. Deep backward point. It's a wide delivery from Starc. Too wide? No.
Ooh.
It looked it to me.
It did look it, didn't it?
And it looked it to David Malan, who's wide-eyed, staring up at the umpire, saying,
"Please?
Are you sure?"
I think that's wide umps.
He stretched his arms out as far as he could to try and reach that ball, and couldn't do so, but no siree, says the umpire. Right then, here comes Starc again, end of his mark. Final ball of the power play. England have 40 on the board. They're 2 down. And Starc sprinting in once again. Played back past him, but will be stopped. Good stop as well by the fielder at mid-on. It's a diving save from Pat Cummins to prevent 4 runs, and England 41 on the board.
Yeah, definitely saved 4 there.
Yeah.
Pat Cummins. They've been really good in the field today, Australia. Some good full-length dives, boundaries saved. That's what you want in T20 cricket. You have to put your body on the line, save every single run, because as we found out in the previous game, well, every run counts, and those fine margins can win or lose your cricket games.
Do you want a good stat?
Always.
The defeat on Sunday,
yes,
was the first time in 14 games that Australia have failed to win a game in T20 cricket batting second. So their record when chasing is phenomenal.
That'll be why they always look to chase.
Well, Joss Butler said he wanted to as well. And as we saw in the T20 World Cup last year, a lot of, I suppose, the intrigue of some of the matches was lost by the dominance of the side that won the toss and got the opportunity to bat second. As we're seeing spin for the first time, it's Glenn Maxwell who's into the attack and pushed into the onside for a single to take Milan to 17. 42 for 2 is the score. Glenn Maxwell, familiar figure to fans of English cricket. He's done a lot of the rounds, not just internationally with Australia, playing in the English summer, but also in the 100, in the T20 Blast. He's been a Lancashire, Yorkshire. He was with the London Spirit this year in the 100.
Been everywhere. Wonder where he'll be next summer.
Good friend of yours as well.
We went for dinner last night.
Here comes Maxwell round the wicket to bowl to Stokes, who's rather cramped for room as he punches the ball down the ground to long on for 1.
And as we were at dinner, he starts waving. Who are you waving at? He said, all the England lads are walking past. Wait, give them a wave. I was like, nah, I just sit with my back to them.
No, you didn't.
Okay. I did.
Why?
Well, by the time I turned around, they'd gone. They'd walked past.
Maxwell, bearded figure. The collar's up. Comes in round the wicket with his off spin.
Yours, Max, go!
The cry of yours, Max, from Matthew Wade as the bowler runs around to his left to pick up. And 1 more taken. So just England dealing in singles at the moment on a chilly night in Australia's capital. Last time we were here, Alex.
Oh,
that test match in the women's Ashes. Here comes Maxwell bowling to Stokes, who again is slightly cramped for room. We'll just get the one into the leg side. Marsh bustles in from the boundary to pick up.
Seems like such a long time ago.
Doesn't it?
Yet now we're here. Feels like yesterday.
Feels like we've never left.
Yeah, we have. We've done a full season at home and we're back.
That's his Marsh.
Little change in the field. We see that square leg go towards backward square leg. And Milan just happy to ease that ball up the ground to pick up a single. Heading towards the end of the 7th over. 46 for 2. Alex, this pitch, it looks really flat. And we've seen big scores in T20 cricket, both in the BBL. The Women's Ashes had an incredible T20 here back in 2017.
Yours, Max.
Singles pushed into the onside by Stokes. They might turn for the second, but no. There's a good piece of fielding from the bowler. Prevents that second run. 47 for 2. Just before you say goodbye, what have we made of this surface?
I think it is a good surface, but when you bowl back of a length, it's riding quite a bit, and we saw Joss Buttler and Alex Hales really struggle with the bounce at the start of the innings. And like we were saying earlier, Milan seems to be the only batter that's been able to time the ball, so there's a little bit in the surface. There's been no spin from Maxwell there. I'm not quite sure he was really looking to spin the ball, with it being the last over of the power play. So good surface, but I don't think we're going to see a 200 plays 200 like we might have thought at the start of the day.
Indeed, Alex, thank you very much. Indeed, Alex Hartley, a World Cup winner with England in 2017. And now a very familiar voice to listeners across the ABC, and also Test Match special. Stuart Clark, from Australia fast bowler, joins us. How are you, Stuart? Lovely to see you.
And lovely to see you as well. It's been, what have we been, 12 months?
Been about that.
Been about since we were talking about the Ashes. Not that you want to talk about that again.
No, that's here comes Adam Zampa. I get it, one sentence is how long it took for you to bring that.
Actually, I can't believe I didn't mention it before I walked in and said hello in the room outside. But look at England, a couple of wickets, they're really innocuous sort of wickets. The second one, Alex Hales, that was not a great shot, just hitting one to mid-off.
Zampa bowling to Stokes, who works that ball in towards the leg side, up towards wide long on and Mitchell Stark. One more run, England 2 for 48 in the 8th over.
They've got to do a little bit of rebuilding here, England, after losing those 2 wickets. Not really dominating the power play. Spin from both ends now. Maxwell's last over, happy to pick up one a ball. Fielders out in the deep on the onside, knock it into the mid-wicket gap and scamper through for a single. Looks like they're pretty much going to do the same thing here. Australia giving up a single on the onside, only 3 men in the deep and a short 45. So, give up a single to both batters, be prepared to deal with that. Sort of hitting to the longest boundary as well.
It's Milan on strike as Zampa's leg spin is in. Driven beautifully, glorious piece of timing. David Warner points out towards the boundary, but he's only pointing out to the destination the ball's going to reach. He was the closest to it. Despairing dive for Pat Cummins, running round to deep extra cover. Unsuccessful. 52 for 2, the England score. And Milan again showing a really good, crisp piece of timing.
Nice cricket shot, that. Cover drive. Good old-fashioned cover drive. Didn't go aerial. High elbow. Not something you associate with T20 cricket, but lovely shot. And he looks the best of the batters thus far.
This time into the leg side, pushing towards that fielder at short, fine leg. It's picked up. And Milan will get through for one. Well, he was #1 T20 batter in the world for a long while.
Yeah.
And he gets a surprising amount of stick from England supporters for the pace.
Is he not liked?
Hugely liked, hugely admired, but it is the pace with which his innings can get going as Zampa bowls and balls. Ben Stokes trying to launch it over deep mid-wicket. He misses, Zampa hits. The flames shoot up. And Ben Stokes goes 7 from 11. It's hardly been the sort of innings that will fill England selectors with confidence, with Liam Livingstone waiting in the wings, coming back from fitness, and he may be England's Test captain. He may be the man they turn to. But when it comes to T20 cricket, there is no certainty that he will be in England's starting 11 come the beginning of the World Cup.
Yeah, not a great shot by Ben Stokes. Adam Zampa's prime mode of dismissal, LBW and bowl. He bowls stump to stump. He bowls quite quick through the air. He doesn't particularly turn the ball. And whilst that looked like a leg break and was a leg break, it's not the sort of delivery that's up and over. Good old-fashioned leg spin style. It's quick through the air. It doesn't particularly spin. And Ben Stokes, unless he gets that right in the middle of the bat, I actually don't know where he's hitting it, because the man is out at deep mid-wicket. So even if he half hits that, he's caught on the fence. it's actually not a really good thinking shot about T20 cricket, especially against the bowler. All of that said, that is Ben Stokes' go-to shot. You've seen it over the years that when he is under a little bit of pressure, he likes to play that, it used to be a slog in my day. It's now called a slog sweep. It's actually a proper technical shot.
It's given slightly more respect.
It's given it a little bit more respect, but probably the wrong time to be playing it. 2 for 53, now 3 for 53 in the 8th over. And yes, you don't have a lot of time in T20 cricket to get set and whatnot, but certainly Ben Stokes, I think as you could probably see in his reaction there, he wasn't, by the end of these, I think I got that wrong.
Here comes Zampa bowling to Harry Brook. Right-hander meets the ball on the full.
That would have definitely been LB, that one, Zorby boy.
A single pushed into the onside, and a single is taken. Brook off the mark immediately. You could hear Matthew Wade there, who is somebody that has not necessarily been away from the spotlight in the last few days after that incident with Mark Wood.
Yeah, always free, a lot of free advice he provides.
That's very kind. Here comes Zampa bowling to Milan.
Thanks, Aaron.
Working the ball into the offside. Won't find a run. End of the 8th over, and the score is 54 for 3, just on Ben Stokes. It's one of those dilemmas that England have, I suppose, that you could almost put into the same category as Steve Smith, that when somebody has done remarkable feats for a cricket side across different formats, you just wonder how they fit into your T20 side. Do you look at the numbers, or do you look at the character and the impact they can have as an influence, and how do you get that right when it comes to tournament cricket?
Well, I think you start with character. You look at that and you're right, this guy he's a match winner. There's no question about Ben Stokes being a match winner in all facets, all forms of the game, bat and ball, and in the field too. We've seen him do some great things in the field. However, there does come a moment in time for every cricketer, and that happens closer to retirement than it does to the start of your innings, where people start to go, right, the numbers are not stacking up here. How long can we carry you for? The benefit of Stokes is he's an inspirational leader. But the downside is you've got someone like Liam Livingstone, who's been very successful in this country in the Big Bash, waiting in the wings. Now, I know there's a question mark whether he's fit or not, or, maybe not.
Stoinis running in from the swimming pool end. Bowling to Brooks. Edge gone! Ball tossed in the air by Matthew Wade, and that was a nothing sort of shot. Feet going nowhere, just feeling for it outside the off stump. And Stoinis picks up a second wicket. Of the Australian bowlers, he's probably the one England fear the least. He's got 2 wickets.
He certainly is, but he's got 2 wickets. First ball of both overs, he's picked up a wicket, caught it mid-off, Alex Hales, and then first ball at Nokia's. I'm a big fan of that, Brook. I've seen him play a little bit. I've watched a little bit on YouTube and whatnot. I thought he was really good in Perth. He only got 12 or half a dozen or whatever it was. But he looks like a very technically good player. That was a very nothing shot, and the bounce probably a little bit quicker than he expected. He was sort of stuck on the crease trying to run the ball down to third man, and a little bit of extra pace, a little bit of extra bounce, and Marcus Stoinis, he's picked up his second wicket, and a little feather through to Matthew Wade, who didn't make any mistake. Very simple catch.
And he knew as soon as he was playing the shot, arms well away from the body, there was a despairing look at the ground behind him. And jubilation for Australia.
See, look at him. So I'll use Brooks as my example. That, okay, he's young. We know he's got potential. Do you keep him in the team? Or do you keep Ben Stokes in the team? He's had a very, very good series against Pakistan. So now you've got... Sometimes it's nice, and this is the trick with selection. It always is. Sometimes it's nice to have just a set team.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to have lots of players that you can chop and change. But when you're not sure of your team, that's when it becomes... People are second-guessing themselves.
Stoinis running in then. Moeen Ali is on strike now, left-hander to join David Milan, pushed into the ground, and there'll be no run. England 54 for 4 early on in the 9th over, with Brook the latest out with 1 from 2 deliveries. It's something that has been slightly exacerbated by the fact that England's squad in Pakistan, where they just had those 7 T20s, was quite different from the squad that they've got here in Australia. With, you look at the arrival of the likes of Livingstone, who is still continuing his rehab. You've got Joss Butler, who's back from injury. In comes Stoinis, and Moeen just drops that ball into the ground on the leg side. And there is a single taken, 55 on the board, 4 wickets down. But if you look at the side that played the final game against Pakistan. There's no Phil Salt playing in this match. No Ben Duckett. Already, you just feels like that core unit that was doing quite a lot of the run scoring in that successful tour to Pakistan has been moved aside for good reason, good players coming in. But as you say, it does become slightly unsettling.
It does, and it just becomes a little bit guys second guessing themselves. And in T20 cricket, because it's such a short frame, you've got to play and have a really clear mindset the whole time. You've got to have no baggage.
Milan waiting, driving, good looking shot again. Out towards deep extra cover. The fielder will run round to pick up. Out there in the distance, Tim David, tall figure,
Nice, Timmy.
in front of that single-tiered stand.
And then because it's such a confidence game, that if players start to second guess themselves, that's when it goes and it becomes problematic quickly. Now, I'm not saying any of the England players are doing that, by the way. It just looks as though you're lucky, you've got a lot of players that can fit into your team at the moment. Australia have got the same problem. You've got Stephen Smith, arguably the world's best long version batter.
Milan waiting. Helped around the corner, he'll pick up one more. Two from the previous ball, another single down towards Zampa. Backwards square leg to move England to 58 for 4.
So, yeah, there's challenges. But that said, I think it's a better problem than not having anyone to select from. That's when you've got problems.
Yes.
So, where England end up, I've got a question for you, though. If Ben Stokes gets dropped out of the T20 team, does he unretire from one-day cricket?
Well, that is a good question. With a World Cup a year away.
Yeah.
Here is Stoinis bowling to Moeen, in the air, dropped. It went so quickly to Glenn Maxwell at backward point, but it is a sort of chance you'd expect him to take. He's a great fielder. And it was in, then it was out. Moeen dropped, and England have 60 on the board at the end of the 9th over. They're 4 down.
He flashed hard, did Moeen Ali, and Marcus Stoinis, he'd be disappointed he picked up his 3rd wicket, but Glenn Maxwell, very easy, just sort of thought he had it. Hands just burst through his fingers, one of those catches where you get your hands in the right spot and bang, through the fingers it goes. He's lucky not to wear it in the face, but I don't think it was he lost it or anything. I think he just thought, I'll catch that, and it burst through his hands, because it would probably hit a little bit harder with a little bit more pace than he quite realised. And unfortunately, you don't see that. Like Glenn Maxwell, arguably Australia's best fielder. Field anywhere in the ground. Good arm, good strong arm, quick across the ground. Just got that one slightly wrong. Moeen Ali's an interesting. See, I think he's a wonderful T20 player, and he does it. His heart rate doesn't get above 75 beats a minute by the looks of it. It looks like he just sort of wanders on out and takes centre and thank you.
Yeah, he's a cricketer that, on his day, can win you a game very easily. Mitchell Starc is bowling. He's in the air, but he'll drop well short of the fielder. Square on the leg side boundary. Milan moves to 28, and England 61 on the board, 4 down. And Moeen particularly, it's that deep mid-wicket area that he targets, and when he gets hold of it, it goes a mile.
Well, he had a big 6 in the T20 game in Perth, just all hands, would have gone 25 rows back on a big ground there in Perth. So it's a very small man, but a lot of power to go with it.
In comes Mitchell Starc, left arm over. Moeen tries to follow that ball down the leg side. Wide is signalled as Wade shuffles to his right to collect. But the question of Ben Stokes in the ODI side is a really good one. Much might depend on the body, because you see him warming up. He's got a lot of strapping on that left leg.
A lot of tape on that knee. It's a 2-roll tape type episode, and having not seen him live for a little while now, certainly since the Ashes, it seems to have got more. There's more tape than he had in the Ashes last summer.
In comes Starc, bowling to Moeen, chipped in the air. Fielder coming in, won't get there. It'll drop 3 or 4 yards short of Josh Hazlewood at fine leg. And Moeen picks up another run. England 63 for 4.
Just falling away, Mitchell Starc at the moment. Very leg side. He's just sort of dropping his right shoulder as he tries to strive for a bit extra pace to the left-handers, and that ball angling back in, just starting it a bit straight, and he gets that natural reverse swing, Mitchell Starc, just with that low action that he has, that really roundish sort of action, and just hasn't got the radar quite right at the moment. It's being flicked away through the onside.
Milan, very upright stance, waits for Starc again. It's on the pads and just clipped gently out towards the fielder just in front of square on the leg side. Throw comes in, one more taken.
That said, it might be the plan for all I know up here, because they're only going at 1 a ball. Teams are prepared to give up a single every ball in T20 cricket. There's no Doesn't appear to be any issue with that these days. This game's all about building momentum, though, and you've got to... They've lost 4 wickets for 64, 10th over. You've got to find a way to wrestle back that momentum and then set yourself for the last 5 overs to try and pick up 50.
Moeen waiting as in comes Stark. That's a better looking ball that's on middle and off. Just dropped gently towards short third where Mitchell Marshall run around to pick up. Interesting looking at and it is not a great sample size how many T20 internationals have been played at this ground. It's only 6 prior to today. But top score of 161, that's as most as any side has got batting here, which surprised me a little bit.
It looks like you see some, in all forms of the game, you see lots of runs scored down here. We were talking 200 pre-match, that's how far off the mark we were, but looking at the surface.
Malan waiting for Stark. It's short, pulled away, into space, should bring 4 runs. The fielder's not going to get there. Wasn't perfectly timed, but out towards the England dugout. David Malan finds another boundary. England 69 on the ball, they're 4 down.
Yeah, the surface might be so dry that it might be just a fraction slow or fraction 2 pace, so batters can't feel set, can't get going. But Australia have got a fairly decent record here, batting second. Teams genuinely come here and bat second. I think it's the way to go. Certainly every game I can recall being down here and commentating or covering is teams win the toss, bat second.
Final ball of the 10th over. Again, it's short, just paddled around the corner down towards fine leg. And Malan wants a second run. Moeen says no chance, and Hazelwood's good arm down there isn't going to be tested. England, midway point in the innings, put in by Australia, find themselves 4 down. They've lost the wickets of the captain, Joss Buttler, for 17, Hales for 4, Stokes for 7 and Brook for 1. But David Malan on 34, Moeen Ali on 5, offering a little bit of resistance. Drinks are coming onto the field, and in a moment we'll be joined for the first time today by Daniel Norcross.
ABC Sports coverage of the T20 Internationals.
ABC Sport Digital Radio.
And on the ABC Listen app.
The chills that you spill up my back leave me filled with satisfaction when we're done. Satisfaction of what's to come. I couldn't ask for another.
So, welcome back. England in more than a spot of bother, 70 for 4 after 10 overs. It's a very different looking bowling side, and it shows right from the very beginning today. We saw Josh Hazelwood was really discomforting Alex Hales. He didn't lay a bat in his first 4 or 5 deliveries, I don't think, Hales. And there's just a step up in class when you got Cummins, Hazelwood start. One thing I would ask, though, Stuart, are you a bit surprised that it took quite a while for Stark to come into the attack in England? We're used to seeing him bowl the first or second and fourth, first and third. Yeah,
different, wasn't it? We're so used to seeing Mitchell Stark bowl the first over, swing that new white ball, Cummins and Hazelwood, which is not traditionally what Australia have done in the last probably 8 to 10 years. So I don't know, maybe this is a plan. I know they like Stark at the end of the innings, certainly because he bowls those searing Yorkers, big in-swinging Yorkers, round the wicket to the right-hander, over the wicket to the left-hander. So they like that, but just Australia trying a few different things. They don't traditionally go with it's a 1 over spell type stuff. That's just the way, and I think that seems the way teams play T20 cricket now. You guys get lined up, unfortunately, and you probably saw that in the 100, that over here, over there, over this way. Just on the 100, how do you bowl the last over? Is it just 4 balls, is it? 5.
You can't call it an over, Stuart.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you got.
Oh, don't. We have to.
They're 25 ballers.
It's slightly more complicated than that. There are 5 balls. 10 balls go from each end. Right. You can actually bowl all 10 of them. So people can bowl all 10 balls. You can bowl, let's say you bowl balls 6 to 10, that's when you change ends. So you change ends every 10 balls.
Right.
And then whoever's bowled balls 6 to 10 can bowl balls 11 to 15. So what you can do, if you really want to, you can bowl 20 balls out of the 25 ball power play from the same bowler. Which is, no one's done it yet, but like David Willey would be a great example.
Who came up with this complicated system?
Well, there are a few people you can point the finger at. I don't think there's any one individual.
Is there?
Adam Zampa's going to resume his first delivery. Is driven in the air out towards deep cover, and it's gone all the way over the boundary for 4.
That's a cracking stroke by David Malan. Just opened the face, hit it to wide cover, to cover point, and the fielder out in the deep, he sort of thought he was going to get there, but he timed the bejesus out of it, and whooshka, it was 4. We were just talking that he cops a lot of stick, Milan, for his... What for?
Well, I'll try to unpack it for you because it's very complicated. Zampa's in again too. I mean, drives off the back foot, pushes into extra cover. There's no run.
Is it as complicated as the 100 he was trying to explain? Because if it is, wow.
Well, what it is that England have got fetishised about these big booming hitters of the ball as Zampa is in, and he's gone for the reverse there, and he's got very little on it. It's bounced off a bit of body, rolled out into the offside, and Wade picks up. There's no run. What he has done in the past is start quite slowly, so 20 off 20 is not unusual for Milan. Now, obviously the big thing there is if he goes on and gets 70 off 50, no one's complaining, but if he gets 21 off 21, then they are. He's gone for a big hit here, out over deep mid-wicket. That's going to go all the way for 6. That was a mighty shot. It's a long boundary out there, long-ish, and he's managed to hit it into the advertising hoardings. It wasn't perfectly timed, but it's another 6, and I've got to say Milan, with a score 80 for 4, is looking like a man who's a bit slighted at having batted at number 7 the other day.
Rightly so.
Everyone kept coming in ahead of him.
Look, I can understand the flexibility in T20 cricket. That happens, but you've got some guys that like to clear the boundary, but I'm not sure he's the right bloke.
Zampa's into him again. He nudges into the offside square of the wicket and gets an easy single as backward point is just behind square. 81 for 4. So, yeah, I think in their minds, and in England cricket fans' minds, they think of the likes of Livingston and Harry Brook, who's just come into the side, Butler, Bairstow, these guys who tee off.
Hit it hard into the fence.
That's right.
Right.
Well, Milan's...
You get 9 if it hits the fence hard, don't you?
So Barinta Moeen, who pulls the ball. It wasn't that short, but he led back into his crease and get the single out to deep mid-wicket. And that's the end of a productive over for England. 12 from it. They're 82 for 4. Milan 45. Moeen has 6. And I think... I guess partly because there were occasions when he wasn't going so hard. England fans and actually the selectors as well dreamt about what might have been if he was going hard as well. But, I think if you look at the composition of both sides, they've got some big hitting batters pretty much all the way through. And it's interesting to me that Australia don't have a Milan. They don't have Steve Smith, for example. And Milan's a bit quicker probably than Smith, you'd say.
Yeah, I would have thought, just watching him play, he looks a little bit quicker. He plays some traditional shots, but that slog sweep he hit for 6, we were just, probably being a little bit critical of Ben Stokes that, he missed it and got bowled. Well, Milan hits it over the fence and we're all sitting here going, oh, what a shot, that's unbelievable, that type stuff. So, fine line, isn't it?
Cummins back in the attack. His first ball is chipped into the onside, picked up at mid-wicket, and there's no run. Yeah, I think actually the role that's not, or the player that's not really got the spotlight on him is Ben Stokes. And this I find slightly confusing because he's retired from 50-over cricket. And it always strikes me that you look at it, the way he performs, the way he bats. He's not a really quick starter. He doesn't really get going fast, and there's a perception of what Ben Stokes is that doesn't really match the reality in T20, perhaps. Cummins is into Moeen. A slower ball is dug out, pushed up to mid-off. They're going to get through for a very quick single. And they make it home in the end, quite comfortably. David Warner with the fielding, 83 for 4. And I guess they also think about his bowling, but his bowling in T20 has been quite expensive in the past. So, yeah, I mean, I would be more inclined to, if Liam Livingstone became fit, think about Livingstone for Stokes. He provides.
I think he's a wonderful player, Liam Livingstone. We've seen him a lot in the Big Bash out in Australia and for Western Australia, for the Perth Scorchers, I think. And he's, I'm pretty sure he might have almost been Player of the Year last year, or certainly Player of the Final or something like that. He came out and crashed the ball to all parts.
Cummins is into Milan, who chips again. A ball that maybe stuck in the pitch a touch. And it finds the gap between cover point and extra, goes out towards the boundary, one more to the total.
No, we're talking about totals at the start here, and we were wax lyrical about 200 plus, and Pat Cummins has rolled his fingers on that delivery there, and it's got stuck in the surface. So it's obvious the surface is very dry, and when Pat Cummins is bowling that off-speed delivery, whether it be off-cutter or leg-cutter style, it's gripping in the surface and making it just a little bit uncomfortable for both batters.
Cummins in short, pulled, missed.
You can see that one. That's absolutely flown through. 140. Looked like it was about 170 the way it went through. Flying through. Would have gone one bounce into the side screen if Matthew Wade hadn't have caught it. So probably a reassessment of the wicket. That 160 mark might be a good score. The only thing that may happen, just with a little bit of moisture in the air, might get a bit of dew on the wicket and just quicken it and make it a bit more evenly paced.
I wanted to ask you about that. The nature of pitches in Australia in your spring. We in England have a particular idea of what an April, May pitch is going to do, as distinct from a July, August pitch. As Cummins is in once more to Moeen. And Moeen thrashes this through mid-off for 4. It was full, he waited for it, and he has slapped that straight to the left of Warner at mid-off, all along the ground for an imperious boundary, 88 for 4.
Cracking stroke, just stand, deliver, full swing of the bat. You can see their off-speed delivery by Cummins again, that off-cutter style, and I think Moeen Ali may have picked that up just in his hand. If you watch closely, he had the ball gripped in a certain way. It was always going to be something different, and Moeen Ali, too good a player not to pick up on that, and he spanked it away. It's more about not so much the pitch, but the atmospheric conditions in Australia.
Cummins in to complete the over, the 12th, and that's dabbed back to the square. They go through for a quick single throw, comes into the bowler's end, and he gets home, does Moeen, but only just. I do wonder if Cummins had been behind the stumps, maybe. Moeen was very slow to set off there, and Milan was determined that they were going to get that single. Anyway, he survives. 7 off the over, 12 gone, 89 for 4. So the nature of the pitch hasn't been much the same, but the
atmosphere. You go to places like Brisbane, very humid and hot. He would have been out there. I think he might have been.
Cummins has come in front of the stumps, and as he's taken it, he's tried to throw it onto the stumps. If he hit them, then from the throw that had come in,
direct hit might have been out. Direct hit would have definitely been out there, but just a different. The different atmospheric conditions around the country. If you get as we get a bit hotter, you get a bit more nighttime moisture floating about. You go to Perth, you got that big breeze from one end. It's always difficult to bowl. You go to Brisbane, as I said, that very humid atmosphere, and the ball swings around a little bit more. You've got a lot of different atmospheric conditions around the place.
First ball of a new over is pulled out through deep backward square for 4. Stoinis is back in the attack, and Moeen Ali has got straight after him. He moves to 16 off 12. It was short. It's a long hop, really. And Moeen picked it and thrashed it away. 93 for 4. Now, our next assignment, Henry, Alex and our next assignment is Hobart for 10 days in October. But should we pack the woolies?
I'd pack about 7 jumpers. The atmospheric conditions down there are very similar all the time. Cold.
Thank you, that's very encouraging. Stoinis in. Oh, that's 6. What a shot. That has gone miles. Has gone. Has it been not quite brilliantly caught the crowd? I don't think so. It was nearly one of the great crowd catches you would ever witness. It was right at the very back. The very, very back row. He's furious with himself. He's like Charlie Dean after she was run out at the non-strikers end the other day in a match at Lord's. Won't go on about that too much. And he flung out the left hand to this man in the crowd. It was short, but Moeen, that is as clean a strike as you will get. And I think he's got a left hand on that and nearly pulled off a blinder as well.
He's got a left hand that's only got 3 fingers on it, man. That's what he's got. It's miles into the crowd. He's stuck out the left mid. And good night, Irene. Where's the ball? They've lost the ball.
Well, it nearly went. I think what's happened is it was so far back. It's on the back row, and it's actually slipped out behind the seats and onto the concourse. That is a massive shot. Massive blow.
He just picked that up and sent that sailing. I think again, Marcus Stoinis, 2 off-speed deliveries. Moeen Ali probably guessing that's going to be another one. He guessed right again, and it landed right in the sort of wheelhouse, and he whooshka straight over the top, a deep backward square leg.
Ball change. They've given up on that ball.
I'd be leaving the box down near the umpire, I reckon, because I reckon both these guys are just or behind the keeper. Can I just leave these down here? Remember the good old-fashioned, just leave it behind the keeper? Because I think there's some strokes that are going to be played.
I haven't seen a distance come up on that, but that is as big a hit. Well, certainly the biggest hit we've seen today, I reckon. It was a mighty shot. Actually, the man in question, who's wearing a puffy jacket, for those of you listening at home in England, yes, I think it's a bit colder here.
Brisk, I think is the word you're looking for.
Brisk, absolutely. Stoinis in, goes for another pull, this time will pick out the fielder at backward square leg. Which is Mitchell Marsh.
What's the temperature back in London at the moment, in England?
Well, it was about 17 a couple of days back, so which is pretty much what it was.
It's about what it is here.
But Hobart will be about 3 degrees cooler, won't it, I think?
3?
4, right, okay.
4, 5. You're playing, it'll be a night game, I would have thought.
Well, we've got to, because it's the start of the qualifying tournament, so there'll be 2 games a day. So that the night game itself
be cool.
Will be pretty chilly. But Scotland and Ireland are playing in that group, so they'll be very used to it.
Normal.
Home from home.
I played a county game in Hampshire many moons ago, back in the dim dark ages.
Stoinis into Milan. Short again. Doesn't really time this as it goes out towards deep square leg, between square leg and mid-wicket. They'll pick up one more, 101 for 4.
And it was about May. It was after the World Cup in 07. So I went straight from Barbados, where the World Cup was, into Hampshire, into Great Shane Warne and Co. And it was the temperature didn't give above 8 the whole game. And I had 3 jumpers on, and I looked out in the crowd at one stage, and there were a bunch of rather large English gentlemen sunning themselves.
Oh, 8's good. Yeah. Down the left side.
No, it's not.
So wide.
but I thought to myself, I had 2.5 jumpers on, like a sleeveless and 2 long sleeve, and every time I went to bowl, I was just seizing up. And
think what it would have been like at Durham.
Oh, I never got the chance to play at Durham, but they tell me it's unbelievable.
It is.
As far as weather goes.
What England used to do when they used to play tests in Durham was that they used to usually schedule them for May and they'd play Sri Lanka there. The guys who are used to 35 to 40 degree heat would arrive and play in 6 degrees. It was brutal. Stoinis in, this is dug out. It's a good delivery, really full, and Moeen can get nothing more on it than sort of under edge, rolls back to the bowler, there's no run.
Better finish here to Stoinis. He's been a lot fuller. He's went slow ball, went 6-6, and then went 4-6. He's gone full, sort of at the stumps, taken the pace off. As probably, if he was going to do it, a lot fuller. He's got such quick hands, Moeen Ali, that if he picks up the length quick enough, he really pushes his hands through the ball.
Stoinis in to complete his over, his third, the 13th of the innings, and that's a full toss, which is punch driven straight up to pretty straight long off. One more to the total. He's kind of got away with that a little bit, Stoinis, that last ball. His first 2 overs took 2 for 9. 14 have come from that one. And England are 103 for 4 with 7 overs remaining. Milan 47, Moeen Ali has 24, and that total of, what was Henry say, 160?
About 160, yeah, about 161 is the average. Maybe we'll get somewhere in that realm. You would have thought. Might get a little bit more. It really depends. In T20 cricket, if you get 2 guys with a stick that actually bat a long period of time, and you don't get them out, their confidence gets better and better. The ball gets a little bit bigger and bigger, and everyone feels a bit slower and slower, and the ball goes a little bit further and further. That's just generally what happens. And Milan, he's been very impressive. I'm really impressed with the way he's played. And Moeen Ali, he seems to be very form-oriented. When he's in good form, mate, he flies, and then he can go. He's like peaks and troughs, isn't he?
And he's the same with bat and ball, actually.
Yeah.
If he doesn't feel it with the ball, then
he's very talented.
Yes, mercurial.
Okay, there you go.
Right, yeah.
I've got some nice words coming out in this. I haven't been in the commentary box for about 9 months, and we've brisk and mercurial.
Nice to be back, isn't it?
First cricket season again.
Yeah. Hazelwood's back in the attack from different end, the Manuka end, I'm so sorry. First ball is driven down towards long on. And you think of a second and it isn't there. I've been saying to myself, don't say that. Say Monica.
It's all right.
Well, it's not, you're going to get these things, otherwise there's a pile-on.
You think the Manushans aren't going to be happy?
That's correct, yeah. That's where we're staying here, so it would be unwise to alienate them.
We've got to walk back to the hotel late at night, so we'll have to take security with us.
It's not, I would say, the most heavily populated part of any city I've ever been in. It's my first time in Canberra, and it's quite an eye-opener.
Have you done the sights yet?
I intend to do that tomorrow morning.
Right. Parliament House and the War Memorial and the fountain, Lake Burley Griffin.
Here's Hazelwood. And this is driven at the offside, out towards deep extra cover. They ought to get 2 here. They're going to come back for the second. Throw from Cummins. Comes in, but his home is Moeen Ali. Milan moves to 49. Yesterday, Henry and Alex and myself went on a wild goose chase. We were sent by Tim Wigmore. He said, go to Red Hill Nature Reserve, and it's teeming with kangaroos. So I was well, I've never seen one near.
Have you never seen a kangaroo?
Not like nearby. You know, I watched Skippy. Don't get me wrong.
it's only 50 years old, but yeah, okay.
Well, I am. Josh Hazelwood Drive is driven out towards extra cover again. Cummins collects 106 for 4. So, there's a route march up this hill. Well, 50 for Milan on 31 balls. It's been a really, really good effort from Milan after he was pushed down the order in the last game. And actually started very well as well. If people criticise him for being a slow starter, he had a 6 and a 4 of his first 5 balls. And that's really kick-started his innings.
Those that criticise him and watching the wrong game, he looks like a wonderful player. And every time I've seen him, he's looked like a good T20 and long version cricketer.
Hazelwood in, slower ball, worked into the onside by Milan. Acres of space out to deep mid-wicket, one more, 107 for 4. So anyway, walked up the top. Could see all of Canberra. Couldn't see a kangaroo. Saw a couple of parrots. Was absolutely exhausted. Had to head straight for refreshments.
Who told you to go to this place?
The Daily Telegraph's Tim Wigmore. I'll be taking it up with him later.
Daily Telegraph's Tim Wigmore. Is he the animal reporter? He
was messianic about it. He said it's the most amazing thing he'd ever seen. He said Hazelwood in, short. Oh, top edge has gone over the top of the keeper. It's running down towards the boundary, being pursued eagerly by Wade. Well, and Zampa, and they should get back for 3. They do. That was a false shot, but you'll see a lot of those in T20, and it just ballooned off Moeen Ali's top edge over the keeper. Fortunately for him, for a fortuitous 3.
It had that top spin on it, so when it bounced, it kicked on like a top spin, like a Rafael Nadal forehand. It had a lot of spin on it from the top edge and the way it was bowled. But England now going to momentum. It's nice. They're going to post a competitive total.
Hazelwood in, wide outside the off stump. It'll be given as a wide, slower ball, but the radar was slightly off. On 26.
What did Alex think of Red Hill?
Well, Alex very sensibly stopped about a fifth of the way up. Henry and I kept going, and when we got there, I mean, I'm sure there's stuff there, but we were so exhausted by that stage. We just had to head
You've been
for a drink.
You've been massively stitched up. Whoever told you that? Someone's actually said,
Wigmore. It's him. Right, next delivery, thick inside edge. That's going to run down to the boundary for 4. Another false shot, and poor old Josh Hazelwood. He's bowled a pretty good over here. And he's gone for 8, 9, 10, 12, 13 runs. 116 for 4 off 14. Milan 53. Moeen Ali 30. England going well.
He's gone and bowled a decent over there, and it did go for a 13 or 14. I'm going to jump out. I think Alex has got the headphones on. You can talk more about the non-sighting of kangaroos.
She's not already forgiven me for taking.
I wouldn't forgive you. I'd be taking it up seriously with whatever his face is.
Wigmore.
I'll blame Wigmore.
Can I send you down to him? He's on
Officer Wigmore. He's like a Simpsons character. I'll speak later.
Cheers, Stuart. Yes, Alex Harley, World Cup winner, is back with us.
Hello.
6 overs to go.
Yes.
And England have somehow, they've turned this around.
They have indeed. They've done really well. They got 49 off a 5-over spell not so long ago, and they've managed to just up the run rate ever so slightly. I mean, they needed to as well. They looked like they were going to crawl along to maybe 140, 150 for a while.
Well, they were 70 at the halfway stage, and that was having just got a bit of momentum in the innings. Then they've got 46 in the last 4. So Mitchell Stark is going to bowl to Dawid Malan. First delivery is full. He's dug out towards mid-on, really. Long on, has to run in to do the fielding. One more to Malan. 54 from 33. How well has he played? I've been talking with Stuart about how he's often one of the first people that gets criticism. He's 54 of 33 here. He's going very well.
He's going really well, and he is capable of doing that. You know, he's had a lot of T20 knocks where, you know, he's maybe gone at just over a run a ball, but he's got the team over the line, so his strike rate's not massively high, but he is capable. We saw him at Trent Bridge in the summer have a brilliant knock as well.
Moeen thrashes this ball out towards deep square. Oh, deep cover, and it's gone over the fielder's head and hands. And that's David Warner out there, and he looks at a little bit of discomfort. He should have taken the catch. It was hit ferociously hard, but he was around about 4 or 5 yards inside the boundary at deep backward point. And I don't know if it's flicked a finger or if he's actually fallen over on his coccyx.
I think he's landed on his back when he's gone to take the catch. He was probably 2 or 3 yards off the boundary to give himself room to be able to jump back, and as he has jumped back, it's gone over his fingers and he's just banged his head on the floor.
Yeah, he has banged the head. He's banged a lot of it. He's banged basically his entire body. He's banged knee, bum, and head.
He's gone off the field now.
Well, I'm not surprised. He's okay. He's on his feet, but
they've just taken the wind out of him as well, that one.
And now what I didn't see was it went all the way. Goodness me, it did. It did go all the way for 6 because he'd come in just that bit too far. Had he stayed exactly where he was, it would have gone straight into his hands. But as Alex Hartley said, he was perhaps giving himself that flexibility with that 3 yards or so in off the boundary, and the result has been it's just gone over his hands for 6. 6 more to Moeen. He goes to 36, 123 for 4. Stark into Moeen, who digs out a really full delivery. Is a polite inquiry from Stark, which is largely ignored by umpire and all other colleagues. The ball rolls out to the offside. They trot through for another single, 124 for 4.
More of a I don't ask, I don't get sort of appeal that. You see Steve Smith's come on.
The lesser spotted Steve Smith.
Yes.
Do you think it's a surprise that he's not in this T20 side? I mean, he might end up in the first choice team, but I suppose the question would be, who does he come in for?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all, really, because I think Mitch Marsh would be the one that he potentially swap places with and bat a little bit further down than number 3, maybe. But you think of Steve Smith. I've just banged my hand on the table.
You just banged your hand on the table really hard, didn't you?
Yeah. Tried not to say anything, but it hurt, actually. And I reckon Steve Smith plays a similar role as Milan would for England, like that anchor. Yeah. And when needed, you know, you take your time, but also capable of going quicker like Milan has done today.
I don't quite know why.
Third umpire director, I have a player review for LBW. The original decision is not out. I've already checked the front foot is a fair delivery. Can I start with front on, please?
Well, none of the players are next to each other. There's no conclave going on here. All the fielders are exactly where they would normally be. But Stark has managed to convince that there needs to be a review here.
Okay, thank you. Keep going through. Okay, looks like there may be a bat involved here. Can I go to leg side hotspot, please?
There's a big inside edge here.
Yes, I have a clear hotspot on the bat. Definitely bat involved. If I could have the umpire back on screen, please. I feel like it should remain with your original decision of not out signal now.
Well, that took us all by surprise because it didn't look like anybody was referring that. All the Australian fielders were placed exactly where they would be for the ball. Suddenly we had a review.
It's like, why not?
And it was a senseless one because he smashed the cover off it and hit it into his leg. And I think it would have missed leg stump even if he hadn't hit it. Anyway, here is Stark back into Milan, who drives high in the air. Fielder underneath it. It's swirling around, should take the catch, and he doesn't. He palms it over the boundary for 6. Goodness me, it's Tim David out there. It was in the air for a very, very long time. It was in the air for as long as I was saying it was in the air, and that seemed to be of a very, very long time. Tim David, he came in off the wide, long off boundary. He looked like he was underneath it. Then I think he had to maybe take a step back because it just kept on going, and then he found himself in the wrong position, and he ended up about 2 yards inside the boundary, and he's palmed it over the sponge for 6. So that's twice now England batters have got away with it. Firstly Moeen, and now Milan. The Stark is in again, wide down the leg side, but it won't be given as a wide because Milan moved so far across off stump. He missed it, went through to the keeper, 130 for 4.
Tim David is fielding underneath one of the floodlights, so opposite him will be another floodlight, which will have made it hard to see. So the ball would have been lost in the floodlight on the way up and on the way down. So he's ended up tracking back, and he's not stood still when he tries to take the catch, which is why he palms it over the boundary. He's still moving, he's still moving backwards towards the boundary rope.
Last ball of the 15th over. Milan on strike, digs out a wide-ish Yorker outside the off stump and trots through for an easy single. So this continues, this momentum for England continues. The last 5 overs, they've hit 61 runs, 131 for 4. Milan 61, Moeen Ali 37. I have a change in the commentary box, a very short break. When you come back, Andrew Moore will have replaced me.
Don't miss a moment. ABC Sports coverage of the cricket. ABC Sport Digital Radio. And on the ABC Listen app.
Thank you, Daniel. So, all of a sudden, England right back in this game with some great hitting over the last half hour between Dawid Malan, who's 61, Moeen Ali on 37. And there's 5 overs to go at 4 for 131 at the current rate. They head to mid-170s as Pat Cummins continues from the Manuka end, bowls, and a big swing and a miss outside the off stump from a slower delivery. Malan missed it, nearly fell over in the follow-through, and the score remains 4 for 131. But Alex, 10 overs in, England was 4 for 70. 8 overs in, they're 3 for 54, and you're starting to think, they're going to get 120. This has been a great partnership.
They were just crawling along, weren't they? It was tough. Losing regular wickets, slows down the run rate. But England were really struggling. But these two timed the ball beautifully.
A couple of drop catches from the Australians helping too, no doubt. Here's a blistering cover drive from Malan. And it's good fielding right at deep cover by Marcus Stoinis. They do come back for a second run, and Malan moves to 63 off 38 deliveries. 4 down for 133 with Joss Buttler out for 17, Alex Hales 4, Ben Stokes 7, Harry Brook 1. It was 4 for 54 in the 9th. There was no real sign of what was to come, but they do have a track record, this pair. Nice to see Moeen Ali doing it here in Australia. He's still at the non-strikers end. Cummins bowls, again slower outside the off-stump, 2 wide, and a wide is given. So 1 more to England's total, 134 for 4.
This partnership is now 80 off just 47 deliveries as well. So it's been a needed partnership between these two. England needed somebody to, go quicker and score some runs. Moeen Ali, you actually said at the start of the day, I want to see him have an innings. Well, he's doing it for you.
He's doing it, my word, 37 off 21. So Cummins in, bowls to Malan, who cuts this superbly over cover for 4. Just magnificent timing from Malan again, and he races away to 67 of 39 deliveries. England 4 down for 138 in the 16th.
That was one of those shots where it's almost, how has he got that there? He's cut the ball over extra cover for 4, and he's split mid-off and deep cover perfectly. It's timed to perfection from Malan.
6 4s and 3 6s after coming in at number 7 on Sunday. So Cummins in again, bowling to Malan with a widespread field, and he clubs this down to long off along the ground to Tim David, who does the fielding, and he gets the Bronx cheer after dropping the catch in the previous over. Tough school. Malan 68, 4 for 139, 2 balls left in the 16th over. It's Cummins' final over, and he has 1 for 28.
Bowled lovely as Pat Cummins, especially when he opened the bowling ball, the second over of the power play.
Picked up the wicket of Joss Buttler in the 4th over of the innings as he bowls now to Moeen Ali, who doesn't quite get a pull shot. Will it fall in no man's land at deep mid-wicket? It does. And Moeen Ali will get a single as Steve Smith, the substitute fielder, comes in. It was just tantalisingly short of Stephen Smith. So 1 more to Ali. He's 38, 4 for 140 in the 16th.
As an Australian here, you're probably really frustrated because you had England in such a vulnerable position and haven't been able to capitalise on the pressure that you created, the early wickets that you've taken. So as a fielding unit, you don't want to necessarily get too frustrated by it, but I think they'll know that they probably could have had England maybe 150 at the end of this.
Fine legs dropping back, third man's dropping back. Glenn Maxwell from the long on is now coming up inside the boundary. So is Tim David at long off to mid off. So those back are a mid wicket, backward square, fine leg, third man and deep point. with David Milan back on strike. Cummins bowls to him, and it's a short ball and a pull and a miss from Milan. It bounces through to Matt Wade, that only coming through at 117 k an hour from Cummins. So that ends another productive over, 9 runs from it. Mind you, that's their least productive over since the 12th. 4 for 140. Milan on 68, Moeen Ali on 38. 4 overs to go.
Milan asking if that was a wide then, but I think it just went over his shoulder, to be completely honest. He just missed it.
I think he got the answer by the arms not leaving the side of the umpire. But I'd have to have another look at that. He's 68 off 41 deliveries. And it'll be Moeen Ali on strike for the 17th over. She was close to over the shoulder.
Yeah, it's over their head though, isn't it? Wide?
Yeah, it probably wasn't quite that high. So it'll be Adam Zampa, the leg spinner, to resume. 2 overs, 1 for 19. He picked up the wicket of Ben Stokes, who went the big windy wolf trying to slog it to cow corner and missed it, and was clean bowled for 7 off 11 deliveries. So it'll be Zampa to Moeen Ali, and again this field is a short, fine leg, deep square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, deep extra cover. There's a cover, backward point, short third man. As in comes Zampa bowling over the wicket, and Moeen Ali's beaten outside the off stump. That was the perfect length from Adam Zampa, and it went underneath the bat of Ali, taken by the keeper, Matty Wade.
Yeah, brilliant delivery from Zampa. He's bowled 2 overs and taken 1 for 19. So he's been expensive by his standards this evening.
Zampa to Ali, though this could be a game-defining over as Ali swings and misses outside the off stump, and he looks perplexed that no wide was awarded on that occasion.
I think he's got away with that one, has Zampa, to be completely honest. It was outside the wide line, but it's a guide for the umpires. That's
only a guide.
Not the rules.
3 dot balls in a row from the Australian. Zampa, a quicker delivery. Club back, Zampa drops it and he's followed through. The ball trickles down towards mid-off. The long off coming in, and so much ground did he have to cover, Tim David, that they get a second run. So Moeen Ali with a drop chance of Zampa. Now that was club back at the bowler. He reached out, a little slow to react, to his right hand, and it just bounced away towards mid-off. So Moeen Ali gets a couple to extend this partnership to 88 off 54 deliveries. Ali is on 40, and down the track he comes, and it nearly goes through the wickets of Zampa. Hits it as straight as you can hit it along the ground, Moeen Ali, and is rewarded with a boundary. That is all timing and placement from Moeen Ali. He's now 44 off 26, and England 4 for 146 in the 17th.
I think Zampa will be really annoyed with himself there. Moeen Ali's clubbed the ball back down the ground along the floor, and he's just jumped over the ball to get out the way of it.
That's what I'd have done.
Well, I do it all the time, to be fair.
Zampa to Moeen Ali, and he goes over long off or too long off. Too long off, and Tim David takes the catch. He dropped one a couple of overs ago, but he always looked like catching that one. A much easier chance, I think it's fair to say, and Moeen Ali's magnificent cameo comes to an end. Caught David, bowled Zampa for 44, and now in the 17th over, England loses its 5th wicket with 146 on the board, and what a fabulous partnership between the left-handers, Moeen Ali and David Milan. 44 or 27 deliveries, 4 fours and 2 sixes.
Yeah, no mistake made there from Tim David this time around. Moeen Ali looking to go over Tim David at long off. He's a tall character, a simple catch at chest height taker, maybe 10 yards off the ring. Moeen Ali just slicing the ball as he tries to go straight back down the ground. But it was a brilliant knock from what was the standing captain when Butler wasn't playing a few games ago. And he's got England into a decent position here as Moeen Ali. You just need Sam Curran to stick with Milan here, because Sam Curran can bat. He's a brilliant all-rounder. His international numbers don't necessarily show what he is capable of, but in domestic cricket in England, in the IPL, we've seen him play some destructive knocks.
So Sam Curran, he just registered his maiden first-class 100 not so long ago, didn't he?
Yes.
So another lefty, Sam Curran. He's only 24 years of age, scored 2 in Perth and picked up a couple of wickets. Younger brother of Tom. Was only 19 when he made his test debut against Pakistan. Man of the match in his second test. He's played 24 of those. Zampa bowls, and Curran strikes this ball firmly down to mid-on, or long on, I should say. Will only get a run, though, as Glenn Maxwell's body is in the road. So a single to end the over, and Sam Curran will keep the strike. 7 runs off and a wicket. 5 for 147 is England with 3 overs to go. Milan on 68. Sam Curran is 1, and now David Milan, he needs some strike here.
Yeah, he does. He needs most of the strike as well, and he needs to keep going, hard at the ball. Try and get England up and around that 170, 180 mark. I mean, we thought they would get nowhere near it, but the good cameo between the two of them, Milan and Ali, has got them up to a decent score.
So they'll be looking for mid-170s, 180 from here?
Yeah, 180, I reckon. 3 overs left.
So Josh Hazlewood will come back on from the Manuka end, bowling in front of our broadcast position. On the SMS, 0467 920 222. Enjoying the call as the Aussie team close to their strongest mark in Adelaide. Yes, it is. With 5 changes coming back into the Australian side. Hazlewood, Zampa, Stark, Cummins and Maxwell. Don't know why Zampa is on so late. Should have been on early. Used his 4 overs, says Rod at Lake Macquarie. John in Brisbane says, Maury, glad to hear you now in the cricket after the grand final in the rugby league season. You deserved a break. Had a fabulous week. Anyway, good calling and best wishes from Rabbitoh John. Here comes Hazlewood. In bowling to Sam Curran, new to the crease, and he clubs this away on the offside. And down to long off it goes. Tim David, he's covered some kilometres out there. From long off the previous over to long off down the other end of the ground, about 200 metres away. So 1 run, Curran 2, 5 for 148.
Tim David, I've heard, got the nickname The Fridge because he's big and square. Square, broad shoulders.
Sounds like an Aussie nickname.
Looks like a fridge.
Definitely sounds like an Aussie nickname. So now he's moving to a deep extra cover on the rope. Aaron Finch is now mid-off inside the circle. The long on Glenn Maxwell's, 10, 15 metres in from the rope. Deep mid-wicket, deep backward square, short fine leg as he chops and misses at this. Milan outside the off stump, and that was again perfectly pitched by Hazlewood on the crease line, and Milan couldn't get bat to ball. So we've seen a lot of dot balls in this last 10 or 12. 5 for 148 England, 2 balls into the 18th over.
Really like this field from Hazlewood. He's just going to bowl wide Yorkers. He's going to be aiming for that wide line, and Milan probably have to shuffle across his crease to change the angle.
So this delivery from Hazlewood is chopped away square on the offside to Tim David at that deep extra cover. But again, only 1 run. 5 for 149 in the 18th. Milan 69 or 43 deliveries. Skip writes on the SMS, Alex, great to have you back in Australia. During our winter, there were calls for you and Steve Finn to come and commentate the rugby league with Andrew and co. Great to have you back. Much love to you and the team.
If I did rugby league commentating, I would have no idea.
I tell you, I was inundated, especially in the first half of the year, by messages like that. Can't bring Alex out and Finney out. He calls some footy with you. Here's Hazlewood bowls, and Curran tries a pull shot, misses. Down the leg side, through it goes to Wade. So all of a sudden, the momentum, Alex, has turned right back here to the green and gold.
Yeah, they've bowled incredibly well. They've just stuck to their plans in the last 3 overs. Taking the wicket of Moeen Ali really slowed things down. Australia will be really happy with this because at some stage looked like they're probably going to get that 180, 185. And now 149 for 5 in the 18th over.
There's 14 deliveries left of the innings, and at current they'll struggle to get to 170. Hazlewood bowls, and another swing and a miss from Curran. He has got to get bat on ball, and at the very least bring Milan back on strike. So that's another costly miss from Sam Curran. He's only faced 4 deliveries, but he can't be missing anything. 5 for 149, 1 ball left in the 18th.
He's just got to get bat on ball here. There's so much room in the inner ring for those quick singles to get Milan back on strike.
There's a short third man almost today. 4th slip and a gully. Here's Hazlewood bowls to Curran. He lifts this away, backward a square, heading to the rope, and it is over the head of a lunging, diving Mitchell Stark for 6. So he certainly put bat on ball there. That was great timing with a flick from Sam Curran. He moves to 8, and at the end of the over, 8 runs off it, so 15 off the last 2, and England is 155 for 5, 2 overs to go. Milan not out 69.
That's more like it from Sam Curran. It's a brilliant Yorker, just ever so slightly too straight. He flicked it over square leg. It's a proper shot, that.
That is right off the middle of the bat with a flick of the wrist. Mitchell Starc, great effort too.
I thought he got hold of it.
Yeah. Diving through the air. Dave Warner left the field after attempting a spectacular catch on the boundary rope, but his head slammed into the ground. That was back in the 15th over. So now it'll be Milan on strike to the lefty Mitchell Starc, who's back on from the pool end of the ground, and he faces a long off, a cover, a deep point, and again a short third man and almost a deep gully. Short fine leg, deep backward square, deep mid wicket, long on. Starc to Milan, down the leg side, attempted flick, it must have struck the pad, it's not a wide, and another dot ball by the Australians as Milan misses out, and he's been doing that just a little bit since Moeen Ali was dismissed. The score remains 5 for 155, 11 balls to come in the innings.
I think that flicked his boot on the way past. Brilliant delivery from Starc.
Well, no, it went between his legs.
Went between his legs, so...
I'm with you. I thought it must have touched his pads, otherwise it would have been a wide, but the problem was it went between his legs. Like the hit back to Zampa a couple of overs ago. So here's Starc at his final over. He has none for 32, and Milan goes deep towards long on and mid-wicket between the pair. There's a dive by Stoinis. He parries the ball, and they'll come back for a second run. That was more height than distance from Dawood Milan. So 2 more for him, 2 more for England. 5 for 157, Milan up to 71.
Stoinis didn't have that much ground to cover then, and Glenn Maxwell from long on covered so much more ground. I don't think Stoinis picked it up at the start as he's running round to his right-hand side.
And resulted in an awkward slide about 5 metres away from the ball. But he stopped it. Here's Starc again to Milan, 5 for 157. It's short, it's, well, off an edge of the bat. Is it down towards where a slip may have been? Matthew Wade just jogs to his left. It is off the bat. That was the most awkward looking pull shot you would ever see. But 1 for Milan. He's 72. 1 for England. 5 for 158 midway through the 19th over.
Yeah, Milan looking to hook that ball. Not really getting anything on it. As you say, he struggled to time it perfectly in the last couple of overs. But he's still 72 or 46.
It's not bad.
He's doing all right.
And it's a rescue mission, really. He did come in at number 3. They're only 1 for 21, but then Hales went cheaply, Stokes went cheaply, and Brook only lasted 2 deliveries. So now it's Sam Curran on strike to Mitchell Starc. Bowled. He gave himself a stack of room outside the off stump, tried to repeat the shot where he hit Hazelwood for 6, but he's clean bowled by a typical Mitchell Starc Yorker. Curran bowled by Starc for 8, and England now in the 19th over, 6 for 158.
Sam Curran looking to play the exact same shot. It's actually a full toss in the end that he's missed out on. A good delivery from Mitchell Starc. Sam Curran looking to flick the ball, and it's just cannoned into the bottom of middle stump.
So 8 of 6 deliveries with 1-6. He falls in the 19th over as Australia was looking a little bleak for them, not 15 minutes ago. And now all of a sudden you get the feeling they may be back on top with England 6 for 158. And Curran gone, and Chris Jordan comes out to bat for England.
Not seen much of Chris Jordan as of late. Broke his finger during the 100, so he's been recovering from that finger injury.
34 years of age now. And since he had something cleaned out of his shoulder, he's bowling much quicker, isn't he, these days?
Bowling rockets again now, back up around 90 miles an hour, 91 miles an hour.
He's 82nd T20 international for England, Chris Jordan. And he scored 415 runs at an average of almost 15 and a strike rate over 135. Pressure on him here to get a move on immediately. Starc bowls to the right-hander and he plays it, just squeezed it out on the offside, and Starc comes around to pick up and he's followed through, but they do scamper through for a run. So Jordan off the mark, 6 for 159, and that brings back Dawood Milan on strike with 1 ball to come in the 19th over.
The Aussie seamers have nailed their Yorkers in the last couple of overs, haven't they? It's been a clear plan, and it's working for them. When you have bowlers that are capable of getting their Yorkers right time and time again, it's such a hard delivery to get away.
Peter's listening here at the ground, says enjoyed Alex's description of the light towers here in Canberra as large spatulas. You went there last summer, didn't you, in the women's test?
Yeah.
Starc, final ball of the 19th over, bowls to Milan, and he pulls this one high, far, and a big 6 into the second level of the hill, and that is caught in the stands by a young man in a red jacket. That's a heck of a catch. That ball was travelling. 6 more for Milan, his 4th 6 the 7th six of the English innings, and that's the end of the over they needed. 10 runs off, 6 for 165. Milan 78 off 47 deliveries.
Chris Stark, that's the radio presenter in England, Chris Stark.
Cheerio to you, Chris.
Mitchell Stark going away from his Yorker plan there and just going for the slower ball. It was back of a length and it's hooked into the onside for 6. It's a great shot from Milan to be able to capitalise on those deliveries when you know that he's just bowling Yorkers. He's been nailing them. He goes for the slower ball and it doesn't pay off.
Well, and at least Mitchell Stark with the unflattering figures of 4 overs, 1 for 42. So Marcus Stoinis will bowl at the death here. And Stoinis twice picked up a wicket with the first delivery of his opening 2 spells, when he had Alex Hales caught him off by Warner for 4, and then for his second spell had Harry Brook caught behind off his first delivery. So Stoinis to bowl the final over. He has 2 for 23 from 3. And Chris Jordan is the plan here, just to get Milan back on strike. Stoinis bowls to him, struck on the pad, and they'll scamper through for a run as the ball ends up about 20 metres from the bat on the offside, and Stoinis chases it. It is a leg by, and the score up to 166 for 6 with 5 balls to go, and Milan back on strike, 78 of 47.
I think you've got to go that Yorker plan still to Milan. It's the delivery that he's really struggled to get away. Interesting that Maxwell's only bowled the 1 over as well. The seamers have done a great job. So Zampa's bowled 3, Maxwell's bowled 1, so there's your 5th bowler split between the 2.
Over only went for 6 runs. Rick of Belmont says, reminded me the Fridge used to play for Chicago, giant of a man defender. Here's Stoinis, bowls to Milan, and that's as wide as you can bowl it, almost off the cut portion of the pitch on the offside. Milan just looked at it nonchalantly. Through it goes to Matt Wade, and they do get a run for a wide, 6 for 167. Yes, I think his name was Perry, the refrigerator, played for the Chicago Bears in the NFL. And he was a defender, but he did once score a touchdown running over the top of about 18 people. And he was a massive human being. A lot bigger than...
More of a fridge freezer.
He was the works. He was a kitchen compared to Tim David. Stoinis bowls to Milan, full toss. Head away. Uppersley towards backward square.
Oh.
Nifty bit of fielding. No, in fact, Mitchell Stark knocks it over the boundary rope. He fielded that like Chris Stark, and it ends up being a boundary for David Milan. He moves into the 80s. He's 82 of 48 deliveries, 6 for 171. With 4 balls left. So I'm not sure Aaron Finch will be thrilled with how they've fielded through the night.
No, it's been really hit and miss from Australia. In the first 10 overs, they were phenomenal in the field. They dived on everything, they stopped everything, and we've seen some really average bits of fielding. We've seen a lot of drop catches as well.
So now Stoinis on his way to Milan. Bowls a short one. It's pulled away by Milan. Uppersley towards deep mid-wicket, and he's out. The catch is taken by the substitute fieldsman, Stephen Smith, very comfortably. But what an innings from Dawood Milan. It comes to an end on 82, with England now 6 for 171 midway through the final over. Milan caught substitute fielder Smith, bowled by Stoinis, who now has 3 for 82 of 49 deliveries.
Probably one of the only deliveries that Milan hasn't actually timed. He was timing the ball so well. It's a brilliant knock. It's a slower ball from Stoinis, runs his fingers down the side of the ball. It just foxes Milan as he looks to heave the ball into the onside and hits it straight to Steve Smith for 82 off just 49 deliveries after being carded at number 3 in the last game and ended up coming in at number 7. I think he's proven the point that he's capable of going at a decent strike rate, and it's a good knock there.
So 82 of 49 deliveries, 7 4s and 4 6s. Terrific innings by Dawood Milan. And now David Willey, who we've seen out here in the past in the BBL. He comes out, big tall left-hander.
Hit a long ball as well, can Willey. He has got a T20 100. He's playing for Yorkshire.
32 years of age now. It's his 42nd game for England. 50 wickets with the ball. But now job to do with the bat. Tries an Alex Hartley-style ramp and misses it. Through it goes to the keeper, Matthew Wade. Oh, that was an off-air discussion we had, wasn't it? About you and your 1 knock in the 100 in the English summer. But that's a vital dot ball. 7 for 171. What about playing that first up?
It's a brave shot to play, isn't it? But actually, the shot's on because you've got a short third and a short fine. So if you get anything on it, it is going to race away for 4. So the Hartley ramp is definitely on.
What happened with your ramp?
I got hold of it. It went straight up in the air. The keeper watched it, didn't go and catch it, and it nearly landed on the helmet, so I nearly got 6.
Wow. Well, that would have been 5, wouldn't it?
But we ran one, so I got 6.
Ah.
Would have been the best 6 in history.
How many did you end up scoring?
I think 1 or 2.
1 or 2. Here's Stoinis. Bowl. Another ramp attempt by Willie. Misses it. They go through for a bye. Shy at the stumps from Wade. Misses. Jordan backed up almost to the pool. So they can't come back for a second run as Maxwell does the backing up. But they do get 1 for the bye. 7 for 1, 7-2. 1 ball to come in the 20th over. And it looked like they may get 180 not so long ago. But I'll tell you what, from being 4 for 54 in the 9th over, I'm sure England would accept this result.
Yeah, 100%. It's given them a decent target to try and defend. We know if you take early wickets in the power play, put the other team under the pump.
So last ball, it's the right-handed Jordan on strike. Those back are long on Maxwell. There's a long off, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square and a deep point. Stoinis bowls down the leg side, flicked away by Jordan. That could be the shot of the day. 6. What a finish. That was a flick of the wrists from Chris Jordan. What a magnificent shot, and it propels England to 7 for 178. Just the 3rd delivery Chris Jordan faced. What about that 6?
It's a remarkable 6. I think there was a bit of a crowd catch as well. He's banged his head on the floor, but he's keeping the cricket ball, is the man in the crowd. And it was the first delivery of the over that Stoinis has put pace on. He's been taking pace off. It's flicked away over there. It's just a flat 6, just raced over the boundary. It's a brilliant shot to finish the innings.
That was dead set a flick of the wrist. Brilliant shot from Chris Jordan, and England does finish with a competitive total of 178 for 7, having won the opening game of the series on Sunday in Perth. So running through the scorecard for England, Joss Buttler caught Zampa at short third man, a steepling shot off the bat of Butler, caught by Zampa or Pat Cummins for 17. It was 1 for 21. Alex Hales never got going. Caught lay down by Dave Warner at mid-off off Marcus Stoinis for 4, 2 for 31. Then Ben Stokes bowled by Adam Zampa for 7 off 11 deliveries. It was 3 for 53 and 4 for 54 in the 9th over when Harry Brook was caught behind by Matt Wade off Marcus Stoinis for 1. Moeen Ali, a brilliant knock in a 92-run partnership with Dawood Malan. Moeen Ali finished with 44 before he holed out to Tim David at long off Adam Zampa. 44 of 27 deliveries with 4 4s and 2 6s. It was 5 for 146. Sam Curran bowled by Mitchell Stark for 8. 6 for 158. Dawood Malan, the star of the night, caught substitute Smith at deep mid-wicket off Marcus Stoinis for 82 off 49 balls, 7 4s and 4 6s, 7 for 171. And England finishes at 7 for 178 with Chris Jordan not out 7 from 3 balls with 1 magnificent 6. David Willey not out off 2, 8 extras from a bye, a leg bye and 6 wides, 7 for 178. For Australia, Josh Hazlewood, 4 overs for 39. Pat Cummins, 4 overs, 1 for 29. Marcus Stoinis, 4 overs, 3 for 34. Mitchell Stark, 4 overs, 1 for 42. Glenn Maxwell, 1 over for 6. And Adam Zampa, 3 overs, 2 for 26. Alex Hartley, what did you make of those 20 overs?
Really strange 20 overs, if we're being completely honest. Australia really in control for the first 10 overs of the game, maybe even the first 9 overs of the game. Then England had that brilliant partnership and they've got themselves up to a decent total, and then Australia finished really well with the ball. Their quicks at the end bowling those wide Yorkers were really impressive, and they did the damage and picked up the key wicket of Malan Ali, and then Chris Jordan finished it with an almighty 6. So England have got themselves a good target to try and defend, but at the start of the day we'd have said it was under par, and then we saw how the pitch was playing and it was lifting off the surface ever so slightly, but we know this time of night it is easier to chase.
And does Dave Warner bat after leaving the field with that head knock?
Well, I think I'd be surprised
if he does.
If he does bat, yeah, yes, because it looked like a heavy knock.
Listed to open, but Steve Smith replaced him in the field. So the target for Australia tonight, 179 to win to level the series at 1 apiece. Now, coming up for listeners through the ABC in Australia, you'll get some news and highlights and other things coming up on the BBC right now on Grandstand Cricket.
ABC News with Glenn Lauder. Services have been held across the world for the 202
people. Pretty good effort from England in the end, 178. It didn't look like they were going to get there at one point when they were 54 for 4 when Harry Brook was out at the start of the 9th over. So it is a recovery of sorts. You heard Alex Hartley there speculating on the nature of the pitch. Stuart Clark himself has said thinks it might just skip on a bit, be a bit easier to bat, and that's obviously why Australia wanted to bowl first. Henry Moran gave me a stat the other day that they won 14 on the bounce. 13 on the bounce, I beg his pardon. 13 on the bounce chasing before they lost the last one in Perth. But 179, these are quite big boundaries, certainly on one side. And it feels like we might have seen a defendable total. Alex Hartley has hot-footed it from the studio next door into here. And hopefully we're going to find out if I've pressed the correct button. I don't think I have. Right, well, I don't know really, to be brutally honest with you. I'm going to keep wibbling until Henry sorts us out. But yes, because we've got a joint production here with ABC, so we have a variety of different rooms that we're in, different cubies that we're using. And well, the highlight of today was Dawid Malan, and what a fantastic knock it was from him in really good partnership with Moeen Ali. England have got so many left-handers, so many left-arm bowlers as well, but Dawid Malan has been a man who's been perhaps under the spotlight, people wondering why is he, what's his role in the side. And today, Alex Hartley, I think we've got you back.
Yes, I'm back.
You are?
Yes.
We know exactly what Dawid Malan's there to do. If a couple of wickets fall, today he teed off quite early, didn't he? He got 10 in his first 5 balls, in a 6 and a 4 early on, which sort of got him going.
Yeah, I think we know he's capable of an innings like that, and he's capable of batting at a higher strike rate. I think he's probably had a point to prove after being on the slippery pole the other day, coming in carded at 3, coming in at 7. As a player, you'd probably be quite frustrated because you know within yourself that you're capable of, going at a higher strike rate. He's proven that today. I think, he won't mind about coming in at 7 the other day because it's for the team, and everyone on the field in the 11 wants the best for the team, and sometimes you are that player. But he was the only batter for a long time until Moeen Ali came to the crease that was timing the ball really well. Everyone else really struggled, and his first ball creamed through the covers for 4, then he hit a brilliant 6 that went a really long way over square leg, and he just looked really in control.
Just quickly, because we're going to head back next door in a moment, but Australia's fielding, they won't be too happy with her. A couple of times the ball was palmed over the boundary. David Warner did it and smashed his head. He may well be out with concussion, so it could be that Steve Smith's a concussion replacement. We'll have to wait and see, but generally Aussie fielding a little bit scrappy today.
It was really scrappy, but actually for the first 7 or 8 overs they were brilliant. They were diving on everything, they stopped so much, and then it was almost as soon as it went pitch black and the night sky and the lights took over, they really found it hard, and there was some bang average fielding, to be completely honest. We saw Tim David track back and drop a catch for 6. We've seen a couple of drop catches, so Australia will be really disappointed with that.
They will, but England won't, and seeing Moeen Ali get into some form as well will help. But new look bowling attack, no Wokes and no Wood. Chris Jordan's going to make his first appearance in these, 9th T20 of the winter. We're going to hand back to Henry Moran, who was waiting for us next door.
Series at 1 game all. Chris Jordan's big 6 at the end of the innings, just giving a little bit of impetus for England as they head into the innings break. It was Dawid Malan top scoring with that fine performance, 82 from 49 deliveries. He's somebody that sometimes, rather unfairly from England supporters, isn't quite given the credit that he's due for the performances that he's put in over the last few years. He's been #1 T20 batter in the world. He's consistently been such a valuable performer, but just occasionally when his slightly slower approach doesn't necessarily come off and he uses a few deliveries and then gets out, then people just see that as something England could do without. The big question though is Ben Stokes. His performance, 7 from 11 deliveries, was far from the sort of performance that he would have wanted, that England would have wanted, with their big influential all-rounder, failing today. 7 from 11, not exactly the sort of total that's going to fill him or the England management with confidence. Alex Hartley, you're back with us once again.
Yes, can't get rid of me.
I can't get rid of you. Everywhere I turn, there's Alex Hartley. What a treat for us all. Right then, 179. Where do we see this? Win predictor has 57% in England's favour.
That's basically 50-50, isn't it? That, and I think that's right as well going into the second half of this game. At the start, we said Canberra's like batting on the M5. It's a road, but actually we've seen some really variable bounce at the start of the innings. The ball was carrying through really well. I think England have done incredibly well to get themselves up to 178 and get 178 on the board, because at one stage it looked like Australia was so in control, England were probably only going to get 150. So going into this innings, I think if England can get early wickets, they might become favourites. We don't know what's happening with Warner yet either, after he smacked his head on the floor, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, fingers crossed he's okay. Such an exciting player, played really well the other night as well. Alex, thank you very much for the time being. She mentioned batting on the M5. That'll have different meanings depending on what part of the world you're listening. If you're on the ABC, we're talking Western Sydney for the motorway. Would that be right, Stuart Clark?
Very, very good. Yes, 100%. Travel on it every day to work.
Well, there we go.
I know the tarmac well. I don't know if it's that flat. It is flat. It's a good batting surface, no question about that. I think we saw early on when the ball was a bit harder that if you rolled your fingers on the ball, there was a little bit of sideways or invariable bounce. However, as the night wore on and the ball got a little bit softer, that indifferent bounce started to go away. So got to give some credit to the Australian bowlers early on, but you got to give a lot of credit to David Malan and Moeen Ali. I thought they were superb in that middle part of the game. I still find it hard that the English punter doesn't really find David Malan to be a good T20 player. He looked like a very good T20 player tonight. There's no question about that.
And he's done this in Australian conditions before. He's played for the Hobart Hurricanes in the Big Bash League and done so with good effect too. So it's worth remembering the conditions as well. So David Malan top scoring. In terms of the Australian bowling, Mitchell Starc going at 10.5 and over. A lot of talk about him and Cummins and Hazelwood back into the attack. But Starc is somebody who can travel around the park a little bit in T20 cricket. Where do you see his role?
Well, it was a bit rocks or diamonds tonight. He bowled some good deliveries, picked up a wicket, but he also had he looked a little bit underdone, to be honest with you. I thought just that little break, gone home, didn't go to Perth, obviously. Looked a little bit like he was just straining, didn't have that rhythm, wasn't perfect. He's certainly a very crucial part of the Australian bowling lineup. The beauty of the Australian bowling lineup is they're all they're world class. They've got a lot of experience, but they're all very different. Your left arm of Starc, you've got the height and the bounce of Hazelwood, and then you've got that accuracy and that, I suppose, that guile of Pat Cummins. So the success of that trio bowling has been their ability to be a little bit different. On their day, though, I think Mitchell Starc, the game lends itself to it, but if he doesn't get it quite right, because he can err a little bit in his length, he can go for a few. But he's a genuine wicket taker as well. So from that point of view, I think he's a crucial part of the Australian bowling lineup.
He's a sort of player that if he bowls a good first 2 overs, he can win you the game. Correct. Before it's even started.
He can knock over 4 blokes before before you look up. Then again, if he goes for a few, he could go for 40. Yeah. So that's the conundrum that is Mitchell Starc.
I was watching on, I think it was YouTube the other day, that game, amazing game in the 2015 World Cup at Eden Park in Auckland, really low scoring, and Starc just bowled Yorker after Yorker after Yorker. It was like a timber yard. There were splinters everywhere. It was unbelievable, the amount of those searing deliveries that he bowled. So on his day, he could win you a game in a World Cup, and he's done so much for all the Australian side in recent years. So he's somebody that they're going to persist with. We know that.
Oh, without doubt. There's no question. And I think we saw a little bit, in Perth, the guys that are the next up-and-comers for the Australian cricket team just aren't at that level or that experience that is Mitchell Starc. And, on his day, he'll win you the game. And when it's not his day, Australia have got enough variation in their bowling lineup and enough options with their bowlers to be able to cover for him. So you take that risk with Mitchell Starc. You want him to have a good game every game, but we know that's not possible. But certainly he's a crucial part of the Australian bowling lineup.
Well, here come the England side, and the Australian openers are there as well. Is that David Warner out there? I think it is. We were wondering whether, having gone off the field with a nasty looking full on the boundary edge, whether he'd be able to head out there to the middle. He can. That is good news for Australia. It's good news for the World Cup as well, because we want the best players on show. You want the best possible level of quality playing in the tournament, and David Warner, as we saw the other night in Perth, is unquestionably that.
Well, without doubt, we want to see him out there. Well, certainly the Australians do. Not sure the England blokes are that excited to see David Warner strutting out to the middle, but as a fan or a punter, you've paid your money. You want to see David Warner at his devastating best, and hopefully he's not injured. There's nothing wrong with him. He's been in good nick for the Australians. We've seen that in a couple of the lead-up games to this one. He's looked good. He's looked confident. And he certainly sets the platform for the Australians to go on and chase down big totals or set big totals, whatever the case may be. It's funny, he hasn't played that much international T20 cricket because he's always been rested. He burst onto the scene as a T20 player, and then has gone on to play 100 tests and probably 200 one-days. I don't know, the numbers are a bit, iffy, but certainly we haven't seen a lot of him, and it certainly is, this is what he's mostly known for, or certainly when he broke onto the scene and turned himself into a world-class cricketer.
Well, Aaron Finch is out there alongside him, possibly a hint of pressure on Finch, and there's a lot of talk about form and didn't get runs the other night, run out, and it's that difficult position when you've got a skipper of a side that's not getting runs, then the conversations become a little bit awkward. We're going to see Ben Stokes opening the bowling for England.
Yeah, that's a bit different. Aaron Finch, there's a lot of talk, mate. I don't think they're changing the lineup now. If they were going to make a change to the bowling lineup, to the batting lineup for Australia, Aaron Finch wouldn't be here. I think he's going to play every match. There's no question about that. What number? Well, that's maybe questionable.
Warner on strike. There's a slip in place, and immediately looking to try and find the gap down towards fine leg. Adil Rashid is fielding inside the circle, loses his red England cap as he tumbles. And the Australia score moves to 1 without loss, chasing 179. The other night when I was interviewing Sam Curran in Perth, Aaron Finch did that thing that cricketers do increasingly, where they know each other from the franchise circuit, and they might come over and try and wind their mate up by standing and listening to their interview. And he did that, and I turned and asked, what did you make of the game? And he quickly made a comment about Sam Curran's footballing ability and then got out of there. He didn't want to answer any other questions. And there was just a suggestion that he maybe just wants to just be a little bit not having endlessly people saying, well, what about your run out? What about your form? Here comes Stokes, driven by Finch. One hand off the bat, stopped in the covers by Alex Hales, and there's no run.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of talk and speculation about Aaron Finch and what he will do post this World Cup. Does he go on? Does he finish up? Does he just go and play a bit of franchise cricket for another 3 or 4 years? He's certainly good enough to do that. He's certainly good enough if he finds his form. He's been a great performer for the Australian team across the course of a number of years now. So unfortunately, it gets to that point where the numbers, as I said to you earlier, that,
Stokes bowling, flies off the outer edge and down towards top plate, deep third. For a second, Finch was nervous, but it evades that solitary slip. Australia 2 without loss.
The great, the greatest players, the greatest team men, whatever they may be, there comes a point, and I've got a friend of mine that always says, at some point in time, the right-hand column doesn't tell the story it's meant to tell. And, they're right, that if the right-hand column justifies selection, then it's never a question, is it? But if it doesn't, that's when we start talking about good team man, contributes with bat and ball, good leadership qualities. End of the day, runs and wickets are what's required.
Ben Stokes then running into bowl to David Warner, who's rather startled by a delivery that he looked initially to be shaping to pull out towards that vacant deep mid-wicket. In the end, just sort of hangs the bat there and defends it.
That's what I was saying earlier, that the ball, when it's hard, there's a bit of variable pace out of the wicket. When it softens, it becomes easier to bat. So we just saw it then, that different sort of variation in pace from the wicket, which just a little bit tricky early on to bat. I think you'll watch for the Australians to be a little bit circumspect for these first couple of overs. Having watched the English guys bat, they don't want to be four for not many.
Stokes in again, penultimate ball of the first over. He's rushing in now around the wicket. Warner will get one out towards deep backward point. Sprinting in from that boundary is Sam Curran. And it's a throw that almost takes out teammate Harry Brook, but does prevent that second run. 3 without loss is the score. This Aaron Finch is 99th T20 international for Australia. David Warner playing in his 95th. Nothing compared to what he's done in terms of one-day cricket. Stokes running it again. over the wicket to the right-handed Finch, down the leg side, and wide is signalled. One more onto the total for Australia, 4 without loss.
Do you think this is the England team that will play in the World Cup in the preceding next couple of weeks? Do you think, other than Livingston is the one that we've talked about, Wood will play there the odd game? He'll interchange, I'd imagine, with Jordan, will he, or Wokes, or perhaps?
Yeah, Wokes and Wood have sort of been dropped in and out of the side as a duo in recent times when we've seen England and Pakistan in those 7 T20s that preceded this tour. Stokes is in now, full delivery, pace taken off it, dropped into the offside where Hales will field, and just 4 from the opening over. 179 is the target.
So I'd love to see, and I don't know whether his body lets him do this, but Wood, for me, he gets picked in every game for England, if he could.
Yeah.
Just the searing pace. If you're a tail end batsman or a middle order batsman, we saw a little bit, I think Tim David didn't know how to deal with just that extra 5-6 kilometres an hour going from that 145-ish to that 150 mark. And people think, oh, it's only 5 kilometres an hour. It's actually a massive jump, that 140 to 150, and then once you get above 150, it all just turns into a blur. And so, he provides that level of, if you're not on your game, or if you're a little bit gun-shy of the ball, then I'm going to come and find you.
I think England are so aware of that point of difference with Mark Wood and what he can do that nobody else can in the England side.
No.
Without particularly Jofra Archer and Ollie Stone, who are the other really express bowlers.
How far away is Jofra Archer?
Good question. He's been given a central contract.
Did he?
So England clearly see him as a crucial part of multi-format plans. David Willey starts new over, driven into the offside, and Jordan will pick up. But the question is, will he still have that pace having had that long layoff? And that is always what you never know with a fast bowler.
He's had shoulder and elbow and arm injuries that have hampered his progress into becoming. We saw a couple of those spells he bowled in the Ashes in 20, whatever it was, 19. They were fearful.
Here comes David Willey, left arm over. This is a big heave into the leg side from Warner that comes off an inside edge, drops as far as Adil Rashid at fine leg, but a single is taken, and Australia move to 5 without loss early on in the second over. 179 the target.
Is David Willey's father still umpiring? Was he retired?
No longer umpiring.
Peter? Yeah, I played a few games where he umpired. Good, lovely guy actually, lovely fellow. I don't know whether he was still running around in county cricket. It was a real living circuit for those guys. They travel from place to place to place.
Yeah. I always think it must be an odd life, because if you're travelling around as a team, you've got your other guys around you. As an umpire, less so. In comes Willey. And a mistimed cut from Finch drops rather gently towards David Milan at backward point.
Yeah, different existence. And certainly umpires, they consider themselves very much a team now. They're a team or a pack of umpires. They're all competing for a spot in the big games, but certainly they consider themselves a unit, a bit like referees or umpires. They are a rare breed, though, let's be honest. They're a little bit different.
Here comes David Willey then, once again bowling to Finch, who times that nicely, but only as far as Stokes at mid-off. And there is no run. 5 without loss, the Australia score. Required rate, for what it's worth, stands at just shy of 9.5 and over. It's a still night in Canberra. We're expecting a reasonable amount of rain in the next 48 hours or so.
Hopefully not. It's been very, very wet. You would have missed it, but it's been very hard for the Sydney siders and east coast of Australia.
In the air, hit away nicely, 4 runs. Finch is giving himself a little bit of room. Ben Stokes was the closest to it at mid-off, but his role was really just to retrieve that ball from the moment it left the bat. And a boundary for Australia. And a boundary just to make Aaron Finch feel a little more comfortable.
Yeah, not a great delivery that by Willey. Just got his length really wrong here. Finch not really moving his feet. He's just opening his front foot up to give himself access to the ball. And you see there, his feet don't go anywhere. It's just too full, and he's strong enough and good enough to hit it through the line and over the top.
Willey to Finch. Again, he'll find runs. Probably just a single, though, out towards Curran at deep cover. End of the second over. Australia are 10 without loss. 6 coming from David Willey's first over.
He's had a lot of trouble against the ball swinging back in, Aaron Finch, from the left-hander, and probably not the night for that to happen, but we've seen a lot of dismissals, Aaron Finch, in recent times, getting trapped in front pad. So I think what he's trying to do with that little movement is take that front pad out of the way. It's like a big target for bowlers. You see it after a while and you think, oh, if I can get one just to nip back, swing back, something. So he's basically taking it out of the way. Does make himself a bit vulnerable to the ball going away from him if the ball is swinging or seaming around, but on this surface, really not going to be an issue. So they're all the little challenges that batters v bowlers see. That where's the best spot to bowl to Aaron Finch at the moment? And Willie on that ball that he got struck just too full and allowed Aaron Finch just to hit through the line.
Reece Topley then. Left arm over, much taller figure than Willie, and this goes down the leg side and will be signalled wide by the umpire. 10 without loss becomes 11 without loss. Topley, who has really firmly set himself as part of this England 11. He's tall, good pace, left arm, gets movement as well. And speaking of family cricketing dynasties, you mentioned David and Peter Willey. There's Reece Topley, his dad Don. In comes Reece Topley now, hits without any timing by Finch into the leg side, where it's fielded by Brooke, and the score remains at 11 without loss.
Just before you can see that delivery there, gave himself some room, but because the length wasn't quite there and it didn't quite come through, almost brought about a dismissal, and that's the challenge for Aaron Finch at the moment. He's trying to take the front pad out of the way, but he's opening up that if the ball moves, because his feet and his hands and his head are all a little bit out of alignment, you're in the game.
Topley bowling, one that rears up towards Finch, just works that ball behind square down towards the boundary at deep fine leg, and the score moves forward. 12 without loss, Australia. 179 is the target.
Are there any other fathers and sons in this team or any other family dynasties in this England team?
Yeah, there's Sam Curran, Tom Curran,
yeah,
Kevin Curran as well as the father. But it's like cricket does that though, doesn't it?
Michael Jordan and David Jordan.
Don't look at me like that. You've got...
Not even remotely funny, was it?
But it's like... speaking of... I saw Mark Waugh earlier. You do?
Yes, Mark was here.
Yeah.
He's over there covering another station.
Pushed into the onside by David Warner. And there is no run. Warner, who doesn't look discomforted, but looking at the replay of that fall in the first innings, he was on the boundary. It was a Moeen Ali, very firm square cut for 6, really flat, and he almost sort of dived goalkeeper style, one hand up, and it was that land on the sort of top of the back that rolled onto the crown of the head. It looked really painful for Warner, but thankfully he's out there. As we see Reece Topley into bowl to him, hit in the air towards mid-on, but will drop short of Chris Jordan waiting there at mid-on.
It wasn't a soft landing, that was it?
No, it wasn't.
It just got himself into an awkward position and tried to. It would have been a great catch if he took it, but just didn't quite get himself into a position where he could, break the fall. He just hit it hard, back and shoulder and whatnot. I played when I was at Middlesex.
Here comes Reece Topley, swing and a miss from Warner, almost off his feet, dot ball.
There's that variable bounce with the hard ball again that we've been talking about, but. Marley Richards was playing for Middlesex at the time. I didn't quite know, I just knew there. We were talking about the 5 wisdom cricketers of the century at that stage, and went through, and I think it was Len Hutton and Bradman, and he went Baba and Dad. Looked at him and said, what? He said, Dad. And then I triggered him and said, hang on, and then I went, right.
Topley bowls, outside edge, drops just short of the fielder at short third. For a moment, David Milan thought he was in business, but what a good over that is from Reece Topley. The wide at the start, then just a single and 5 dots. Australia are 12 without loss after 3, and Topley, he's an impressive bowler. What have you made of that? I presume you've not seen a huge amount of Reece Topley, but what have you made of
I haven't seen a lot of him, other than I watched a little bit of the game the other night. Very impressive start. Gets the seam in a nice spot, angling away from the left-hander or into the right-hander, which is really, really crucial. But gets the ball to bounce, and we've seen some variable bounce there, just from the height he bowls, that when he bowls it into the wicket, it rears and it steeples at the batter. If there's a bit of up and down in the wicket, then you get that variable bounce, which makes it hard to bat. He's not the quickest bowler in the team, but certainly he bowls in the right area, and just looks like he'd do enough with the ball to be very, very good in all forms of the game, I might add too.
David Willey drops it short, left alone by Finch, who looks expectantly up at the umpire, hoping that wide will be signalled. It is not, so the score remains at 12 without loss.
He's obviously in the T20 team, but obviously plays county cricket and red ball cricket as well. So I think with what he bowls there, if he can stay fit, he'll pick up a lot of wickets. Certainly with the shape, he'll bowl that in swing to the right-hander, and then the ball that goes across is the one that gets nicked away to slip.
Willie running away from us, bustling in and past the umpire now. It's helped around the corner, beats the dive of Butler. It is Topley who's in pursuit. It doesn't take many Reece Topley paces to get to the ball. He's a tall man, and once those arms and legs get pumping, he's a bit like you, I suppose, in the fields too.
Oh, he's nowhere near as quick as that. But, they would have run 4 then if I was feeling that one. A bit of Bruce Reid about him, actually. When I was watching him bowl, he's very... do you remember Bruce Reid? 12th man tape, snapped in half. But he was quality bowler, Bruce Reid, back in the day. Back in the late 80s, middle to late 80s. Big, tall, got the ball to bounce, moved it back in.
Willie bowls. That will be signalled wide. It's angling across the right-hander and goes through to the keeper. So one more onto the score. Australia 15 without loss.
You can see they've pulled their length back to Aaron Finch quickly there. He's setting himself up for that full ball to hit over cover and mid-off. So all bowlers have now said, all right, well, I'm prepared to get worked around the corner for 2 or 1, but certainly not going to pitch one up and just get whacked back over my head. So that's the little thinking that goes into T20 cricket, that, all right, everyone's going to get hit. Where's the best chance I've got not to pick up a wicket or not get hit for 4?
Willie bowls down the leg side, struggling just with his line a little bit here. And if he looked for that variation, the direction went horribly wrong down the leg side. Finch just watched it go on through to Butler on the bounce. 16 without loss. It's Daniel's first trip to Canberra, this. He's never been before.
I still can't believe he walked up the hill looking for kangaroos. It's really done me in.
Why? We were told there was kangaroos there.
If I told you.
Here comes David Willey. It's in the air and he'll beat the fielder. 4 runs. Good shot, riding the bounce, Aaron Finch, and cutting the ball away past backward point. That's a really good piece of timing from the Australian skipper. 20 without loss.
Yeah, good piece of timing. That just got it in the gap. Sort of probably figured they were going to bowl back of a length, and now he's sitting back in his crease, Aaron Finch, and got himself off the ground, both feet, as he made contact, but managed to just steer it away behind square. Man standing right on square. We thought he was half a chance for a second there, but timing too good and placement too good by Aaron Finch.
Finch waiting. It's in the air again. No is the cry. Yes for England. Finch knew as soon as it hit that it was going straight to the hands of Ben Stokes. And after a convincing boundary, Finch has to go. 13 for him. Australia lose a wicket in pursuit of 179. 20 on the board, 1 wicket down, 2 balls left of the 4th over.
Yeah, Aaron Finch trying to go over the top of mid-off, didn't quite get enough elevation, and Ben Stokes moved around, fingers up, caught it nicely. You can see his cross-seam delivery, a little bit of maybe variable pace out of the wicket. You can see he was trying to lift it over the top of mid-off because he's setting himself up for that shot. Unfortunately, just hit it to about chest height. Ben Stokes takes a pretty simple catch, and Willie's picked up his first wicket. As you heard through the stump mics, not overly happy with his decision-making there, Aaron Finch, or more so his execution of the stroke.
I'm reasonably glad that the stump microphone was turned down after the dismissal, because I'm not sure it was. It's still quite early in the day back in the UK. It's just
not loud. It's not even 9:30 here at the moment, so yeah, we couldn't have the expletives you'd imagine may have been broadcast.
He doesn't look happy as he heads on down the tunnel.
No, I wouldn't be either.
No, it's that, you see it so often, don't you? Particularly with a player that maybe has been struggling for runs just a little bit. One good release shot, you get that confidence back and maybe just slightly overstretch yourself. And it was one of those hard shots to play, the inside-out loft over the offside.
So he hasn't got another, because of his feet placement and the way he's opening himself up, he can't really do anything else there. It's not exactly, and we saw the one he hit for 4, beautiful shot. That one just wasn't the right length.
Mitchell Marsh then in at 3, and will get a single into the leg side towards Topley, moving to his left at fine leg. 21 for 1.
He's a real match winner, Mitchell Marsh. His burst, his really form and change of, I suppose, luck or form or whatever you want to call it, really been good in recent times. He's a bit like your David Milan. There was a lot made of, he's even openly said it that at one stage in his career he was almost the most hated man in the Australian cricket team. And
I remember that.
He's just such a talented cricketer that certainly wasn't from the cricket fraternity that did that. You know, just the outside noise.
Final ball of the over, smacked away into the leg side from Warner, but there is a fielder on the boundary protecting things at square leg in front of the dugouts. End of the over, a successful one for England, 22 on the board for Australia, 1 wicket down. Their target is 179. Right, confirm why we were foolish to climb a hill.
Well, if I said to you, give me $100 and I'll tell you there's some kangaroos up there, would you give me $100? Why would you listen to this person that told you to walk up a hill?
Because he's a very respected cricket writer.
It's correct. He's a very respected cricket writer. He's not a fauna or animal writer.
Are you saying he's not David Attenborough?
No. Well, he might be. I don't really know, to be honest with you.
No, it's Tim Wigmore, actually, of the Daily Telegraph. In the air. Could be a chance. Should be an easy catch for the fielder. At cover. Safe hands. David Warner goes. Reece Topley with the wicket. Brook with the catch. And Australia's openers have fallen in quick time. 2 for 22.
Yeah, interesting shot though by David Warner. Really got bogged down, hasn't been able to get the ball away. We saw that. We saw exactly what happened with the England innings happening to the Australian innings. Just that inability to really dominate or take the bowling on. And David Warner there got himself into a really, really ugly position trying to heave it away over the top of square leg mid-wicket. And you can see there, just got in top edge, went straight up in the air. The man wandered in from cover, took a fairly simple catch, Brook in the end. And David Warner, unfortunately, as for, and for the Australians, we've lost their second wicket, but David Warner, difficult shot to play on a wicket that's a little bit variable in bounce when the ball's new and hard.
Well, David Warner goes 4 from 11, which is far from his most impressive score in the shortest format of the game. And Glenn Maxwell comes to the middle. The Big Show, though he doesn't like to be called the Big Show.
Yeah, do you reckon? Well, when you're going well, Big Show, absolutely. Yeah. When you're battling for a few, just call me Glenn, thanks.
The no-show.
No, pretty sure he doesn't want to be called a no-show. That's he's another guy that, if he can get himself going, and that's the format of this game, is that guys can come in and if they can pound them to all parts of the boundary, then certainly what we want to see. The Big Show. I like the Big Show.
Me too. There's a slip in place as Topley is in, pushed into the offside. Have to be quick here with that single, but Alex Hales can't pick up cleanly, and Maxwell is underway immediately. Australia move to 2 for 20. 3:23 for 2 is the score, with 4 balls left of the 5th over. It's Test match special and grandstand cricket for you.
Just to finish off the hill, where was this hill? Is it close?
Red Hill. It was the nature reserve. Andrew Moore standing there looking at me and shaking his head.
Me and Andrew Moore were laughing at you three.
Well, Alex didn't make it to the top of the hill.
Right, well done.
She sat on the bench about halfway up, then got worried at where we'd gone, so tried to come and find us.
Where they've gone to the hill. It's not even a real place, it's just some bloke's backyard you went to.
Here comes Reece Topley, driven by Marsh. That's a good looking shot, and it's half stopped. It's prevented 4 uncertainly, but they should get back for a couple. It's a good piece of fielding from a diving Jordan. Stokes mops up in the distance, and the score 25 for 2. I did realise that I'm not sure how good a kangaroo would be getting up a hill.
I genuinely don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm assuming they wouldn't be bad though.
Well, certainly better than Daniel was at getting up.
I heard all the kangaroos heard you guys were coming and went elsewhere. We're not hanging out here with these 3 buffoons.
It certainly looked that way. Oh, whacked away. What a good shot that is over deep mid-wicket. Could be 6, it will be 6. Into the crowd and put down. It's landed in between supporters, but Mitchell Marsh playing a shot that is very difficult to execute with what looked like such ease. Beautiful to 9, 31 for 2.
Beautiful, especially the third ball at your face. It's not like he's 140. He's 3 balls, and he's played a, what would you call it? It'll just be it's a slog over mid-wicket, but it's a slog right out of the middle of the bat that's gone 10 rows back.
It's the sort of shot that as we said earlier, the slog sounds kind of derogatory. It's so much better than that.
It's better than that. You're right, and I don't mean it to be derogatory.
In comes Topley, driven. Another good-looking shot. This time a classical drive through the covers. And Mitchell Marsh, he's a high-quality player, and that is a high-quality shot as well. 13 off 4 for him, and Australia 35 for 2. We need to come up with a new name for the slog.
The whoop over mid-on. I like that shot. That was a beautiful looking cover drive. It was classical foot to pitch of ball, bend knee, stroke it through the covers, ball race away. And it's one of those ones where you don't really have to run. You just sort of look at it and think, that was nice.
You can enjoy holding the pose a little bit.
Keep the cameraman happy.
Topley bowling to Marsh, who wants a single that's never there, and Topley scampering through to try and get that ball quickly. In the end, actually pushes it out towards square leg, and there may have been time for a single, but by that point, the decision had been made. 5 overs gone, then 35 on the board, 2 wickets down. The target is 179, and Andrew Moore, resplendent in a magnificent blue and yellow shirt, is standing by.
ABC sports coverage of the T20 internationals.
ABC Sport Digital Radio
And on the ABC Listen app.
Thank you, Kangaroo Chaser. 2 for 35 after 5. The target is 179 for the Australians, and at the same stage, England was 2 for 34, so very even. How are you, Stewie?
G'day, Andy. Oh, look, it's been 8 months thinking about, sitting in the commentary box and been listening to you all winter talk footy with Louis.
Yes.
Talk footy. And that's cricket season, we're back.
I know it doesn't take long, does it, to come around as David Willey starts the 6th over bowling, and he's driven through mid-wicket. Lovely shot by Maxwell. In pursuit is Jordan from long on to his right. He picks it up about 10 metres in from the rope, and they come back for a second run. So all of a sudden, what was looking very difficult for the Australian openers, now looking very easy for Glenn Maxwell and Mitchell Marsh. Maxwell 3, 2 for 37 in the 6th over.
And very similar to the Australian innings, isn't it, where we saw the Australians bowl well, the English really struggled with the wicket, and about this stage the ball started to soften up and we saw some more traditional cricket, and then we saw some power.
Willey bowls to Maxwell, struck on the pad. We'll get a run down to shortish mid-wicket as Brook comes into field, Harry Brook, and they get a run as a leg by. So now Australia 2 for 39 in the 6th over. This is the last over of the power play. The target 179 after Dawood Malan played quite brilliantly for England. 82 of 49 deliveries. Moeen Ali 44 off 27. And they combine for a very quick fire 92-run partnership. And then last ball of the innings, Chris Jordan, I reckon, hit the sweetest 6 of the night. Willie bowls to Marsh, and he tip and runs it down towards square leg. They have won. They thought about the second for a moment, but Topley came around from short fine leg to field. 1 to Marsh. He's 14 off 6, 39 for 2 Australia.
Going along very nicely. This is what happened with the Australians. They just let that partnership get going, and it happens in the game, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, depending on which side you're on, but once the momentum swings, and we saw Jordan, as you meant, that last ball, all the momentum was with England. He just picked it up and flipped it away. It was a beautiful looking stroke, but Moeen Ali and
2 for 39. Willie Bowl struck on the pad. Shout for LBW. Not out. Glenn Maxwell is given not out. It's a good shout from David Willey. Score remains 2 for 39 as the ball ended up on the offside. And David Willey's making a case to Joss Butler to challenge, but Joss just walks back, the keeper captain.
Not now, thanks.
Yeah.
What he said.
I think it was something along those lines.
It was a bit high. I thought height probably would have been the issue. I get a replay here as we look at it, but I think height's the issue. Yeah, probably going over the top. He's not a big man, Glenn Maxwell, but certainly enough.
And David Willey is. About 6'5", old speak. So Willey comes in, maybe not quite that tall. Bowls, and Maxwell lofts it over mid-on, gets enough on it. The ball heading towards the boundary. It'll be cut off just short of it by Brook, and they come back for a second run. It wasn't all that well timed by Maxwell. Well placed enough, though, for a couple. He's 5. And Australia 2 for 41. 1 ball left in the 6th over. Last ball coming up of the power play. And any run they score here will put them ahead of England at the corresponding stage. The other thing there too, I noticed,
that one, I reckon.
The other one, just seeing a replay of the LBW appeal, was it pitched outside leg stump anyway.
Well, that would have been a problem, wouldn't it?
That's a definite not out as Willie bowls, and cut shot attempted here by Maxwell, but he misses it not far from the edge, and through it goes to the keeper Butler. So that ends the over and the power play with Australia 2 for 41. Glenn Maxwell is on 5. Mitchell Marsh is 14. The target is 179, and the batsman out in the power play. Aaron Finch caught it mid-off by Stokes off David Willey for 13 off 13 deliveries. It was 1 for 20 in the 4th over, and then Dave Warner went in the next over, caught it covered by Brook as he was attempting a shot on the onside, but he holed out off the bowling of Reece Topley for 4 off 11 deliveries. And it was 2 for 22. So dead even at the power play mark.
Yeah, dead even, and the game's nicely poised. We're going to see some spin into the attack now. Adil Rashid will come into the attack, bowling to 2 right-handers, so fielders out as well, bowling to the long boundary on towards the pool side of the ground, and that's the end he's bowling from. Not much Mitchell Marsh we've seen. Boundary really is of little consequence. If he hits it, it's going.
So on strike is Rashid, the leg spinner, bowls, and he's swept away neatly by Mitchell Marsh down to deep backward square, but they'll only get the 1 as the return is whipped in by Curran. So Marsh moves to 15, 2 for 42 Australia at the start of the 7th over, and it was at this ground doing a Chapel Hadley trophy game a number of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, where Mitchell Marsh went nuts and just kept smashing sixes to that pool end with great repetition. It was a mighty display of power.
He's a very powerful man, Mitchell Marsh. Good AFL player back in there. It was very close. I remember when he burst onto the scene, the West Coast Eagles were keen to have him in their program, and he chose cricket after his brother, and he's obviously his old man was a legend of the game, so we're lucky to have him in the game, and he's starting to deliver.
Adil Rashid bowls to Maxwell, reverse sweep, can't beat the field. No, it ends up at point as the fielding is done by Milan. No run, dot ball, 2 for 42. Adil Rashid is England's most successful leggy in white ball cricket of all time. Made his T20 debut for England back in 2009. 89 wickets in his 85th game, economy rate of 7.5 and a best bowling of 4 for 2 against the West Indies. Has 12 wickets against Australia, an economy rate of 7.5. Maxwell on the sweep, but he picks out deep mid-wicket. The ball along the ground, and will get just 1. So Glenn Maxwell moves along to 6, Australia 2 for 43 in the 7th over, needing 179.
And with the exception of Mitchell Marsh, the Australians have struggled to time the ball, haven't they? They've just looked a little bit not quite there. Marsh looks like he's playing a different game at the moment.
So Rashid into Mitchell Marsh. A flatter, quicker delivery, and it's stroked. Diving save at extra cover. Prevents a run by Moeen Ali. Good bit of fielding. Dot ball, 2 for 43 in the 7th.
And the slight field change too with that sweep shot being employed first delivery that Marsh faced. 45's gone in around the corner, which takes that run scoring option away and opens up the onside, but I think they're happy to give away that single, the English.
Rashid bowls and Marsh rolls his wrist on this, pushes it forward of square, has 1. There's probably 1.5 there as the fielding's done. Coming in nicely there for the Englishman with the left arm return of David Willey. So Marsh 16, 2 for 44 in the 7th. Does a great job in this form of the game, Rashid, doesn't he?
He's really, really very, very good at this form of the game. Short version cricket's been his go. He did play some red ball cricket when he was a lot younger, but certainly made his mark in this form of the game and been very successful. Well, the most successful, as you just said, Andrew.
Here's Rashid now bowling to Maxwell, who's 6 off 8, and he plays this along the ground towards long on. There'll just be almost an agreed single to take Maxwell to 7 and Australia along to 2 for 45. Pretty good over, only 4 runs off from Adil Rashid's first offering. 2 for 45 Australia, the target is 179, and at the same stage England was 2 for 47, so England now pokes its head in front.
Yeah, it certainly is very poised. We haven't seen David Jordan yet,
Or Chris.
David Jordan. Who's David Jordan? I said Chris's father, Michael.
You could have gone with Michael, yeah.
No, I said his father was Michael.
Yes.
David's his other brother.
Right.
It's getting to that time of night, Andy. Oh. You just said David Willey was 6'5".
Hey, if we can't exaggerate, who can? You're out of here.
See ya.
Dewey Clark, former Australian fast bowler and English World Cup winning spinner. Alex Hartley's back in.
Hello.
This is pretty tight, isn't it?
It is indeed. The run rate just creeping over 10s, which is what you want. You want to push that run rate as a bowling unit above 10s as soon as possible.
So it'll be Sam Curran, the left armour, into the attack. 29th game, 25 wickets, economy rate of just over 8. And he's in bowling to Maxwell, who plays this effortlessly away towards deep mid-wicket and will get a comfortable single as the fielding is done in off the rope from Harry Brook. 1 more to Maxwell. He's 8, and it's 2 for 46 in the 8th over, needing 179 to win.
You're both talking about how Rashid's such a brilliant bowler, and he is. He's been world-class for England for a number of years. Was expensive in Perth. 1 for 41 off 3 overs, so not like him at all.
So just adjusting his shoes by the look of it, or his pad. Glenn Maxwell. Slight delay. And now Mitchell Marsh will take a strike with a short third man, backward point, deep point on the boundary, a cover, a long off, long on, deep mid wicket, a deep backward square and a short fine leg. Curran bowls a full toss, spanked away by Glenn Maxwell. He said, Mitchell Marsh, who's hitting everything off the middle of the bat, and that's a boundary. It was a wide full toss by Curran and got what it deserved probably. Marsh up to 20 of 10 deliveries. Australia 2 for 50 in the 8th.
Freebie there for Marsh, wasn't it? Full toss wide outside the off stump. Easy pickings, just hammer it through the offside. Sam Curran going for the Yorker and just getting his length completely wrong.
So Curran looking to atone here, bowling to Marsh, high back lift, very still as Curran bowls a good straight delivery that could only be pushed back to the bowler, and you could hear the groan of frustration from Mitchell Marsh with a dot ball. 2 for 50. On the SMS 0467 920 222, Steve says to settle a bet, what's Stewart's surname? Clark? Stuart Clark? C-L-A-R-K?
Who's Stuart? Oh, the guy commentating with us.
Oh, you're in great form. I think the travel's got to you, Hartley? Here comes Curran, bowls to Marsh, and he's on the drive, punches it down towards long off, and he'll get a single as the fielding's done by Ben Stokes. He whips the return back into the keeper's end. Marsh 21, 2 for 51 in the 8th, needing 179 to win. His nickname is Sarfraz, so I reckon he had a bowling action similar to former Pakistan bowler Sarfraz Nawaz. Another one asks, is David Willey from that other Willey, and is a Dilly coming through? I don't know about the Dilly coming through, but David Willey is Peter Willey's son. He's a very stoic all-rounder for England, Peter Willey. Became an umpire for a goodly long time too, as Curran bowls. Pull shot, it's up in the air, the fielder is under it and takes the catch. And the big show is out. That's a huge wicket for Sam Curran. And he's gone, Glenn Maxwell, for 8 off 11 deliveries, with Australia now 3 for 51 in the 8th over.
Yeah, Glenn Maxwell looking to take on that leg side fielder. Great catch from Alex Hales in the deep. Frustration for Glenn Maxwell, who's having a bit of a torrid run of form at the minute in T20s. And Sam Curran, not the quickest of bowlers, goes for that shorter delivery, that bouncer. It just comes off the splice of Maxwell's bat, straight to Alex Hales in the deep.
And Maxwell goes for 8 off 11 deliveries with no boundaries. You don't often see Maxwell in T20 cricket, or any cricket for that matter, face 11 deliveries and not hit a boundary. But well contained by the English, so he's gone for 8. And it's now 3 for 51. And this innings so far is eerily similar to what England went through. When Ben Stokes was their third out, it was 3 for 53 in the 8th over. Australia 3 for 51 in the 8th with 1 ball left, and Marcus Stoinis, who picked up 3 wickets with the ball, comes in to join Mitchell Marsh.
Stoinis looked good in Perth as well, got some quick runs, and that's what they're going to need. It's about this time that Dawid Malan, Moeen Ali, they got together and really accelerated, because England lost Harry Brook pretty early on. So they're going to need these two really to stick around for a while.
Well, and Stoinis has shown often he can. Made 35 or 15 back on Sunday night in Perth. Did you enjoy that wonderful stadium?
Yes, how good is it?
Very cool.
Oh, turned up and I was like, I'm going to have to take a picture of this.
Yeah, it's great. So Curran in again, bowls, and chopping it onto his pad is Stoinis from the first delivery he faces. A dot ball, so a good strong finish to the over from Sam Curran. 6 runs off it, but the wicket of Glenn Maxwell caught a deep mid-wicket by Alex Hales for 8. And after 8 overs, Australia 3 for 51 in pursuit of 179 to win. And at the same stage, 8 overs in, England was 3 for 54, so their nose just in front. And their best work was yet to come.
Yes, it was indeed. Milan, Moeen Ali just decided that they were going to just start hitting boundaries.
92-run partnership was awesome. Really great to watch.
Well, Australia still have Tim David as well. An incredible power hitter. I love his story of how he's got to international cricket as well in the more unusual way.
This is a big partnership though for the Aussies right here. Stoinis and Marsh. Marsh 21 off 12. He's on strike to Adil Rashid. The leg spinner, well flighted, and it's swept away with great power, but along the ground, and it's fielded by Willey, who bounces the return back to Butler. So a single for Marsh. He's 22. Australia 3 for 52. The required rate to win from here for the Australians, 10.73 and over.
Yeah, it's high, isn't it? Already, the current run rate, easy for me to say, 6.3.
So now a leg slip coming in Moeen Ali for Marcus Stoinis. Short fine leg Brook moves to a mid-wicket. There's a deep square leg, a long on, a long off, an extra cover, deep point, and Topley's at a short third man. Interesting field here set by Joss Butler as Rashid comes in, bowls to Stoinis, who nearly returns a catch to Rashid. Bounced a couple of metres short of him in the end, but missed time for sure. Dot ball, 3 for 52 in the ninth.
That leg slip, almost like playing mind games with Stoinis. Rashid just saying, well, I'm here for the paddle, you can't play that, and a little tuck around the corner.
There's a lot of space behind and around, so he goes over mid-wicket for 6. Gee, that was struck magnificently by Marcus Stoinis. He says, don't worry about your paddle, I'm just going to whack it. And he did it, and he's off the mark with a 6. 3 for 58 Australia. That was a mighty blow.
Brilliant shot. It was flat. The slug sweep from Stoinis races to the boundary. David Willey's out there at deep mid-wicket, but it was nowhere near him. Always makes me laugh because Rashid just stands there with his hands on his hips like, I can't believe you've just hit me for 6.
Like, how rude.
How dare you?
He had a bit of a nod, though, at the end of it, Rashid, as if to say, yeah, no, what went wrong there. And now there's coverage at deep mid-wicket. As it's a reverse sweep by Stoinis. He'll beat Topley. Ball heading towards the boundary. The race is on. Topley against the white pill. Topley dives and does magnificently well to fend it back into the field of play and saves his team a run. 3 for Stoinis on the reverse sweep. So all of a sudden, none from 2. He's now 9 from 4. And the Australians move along to 3 for 61 in the ninth.
There's a good bit of fielding that from Topley because it looked like it was going to go for 4 and he was just chasing after it for almost entertainment. But it was a brilliant piece of fielding as he flicks the ball back as he dives over the boundary rope.
Great stuff. That looked for a good part of its journey that it was going to be a boundary, didn't it?
Yeah, I think if I'd have given up, and he's proven me wrong there.
No, he did not do that. Here's Rashid now bowling to Marsh, more circumspect. He just taps it away forward of square, sets off quickly, but in quickly as well comes the fielder, and there's only 1 run as the ball's picked up out there by Willie. So Marsh 23, 3 for 62 in the ninth. And Rashid will resume his battle with Stoinis. I think this is boiling up to a last over finale again. The farm work's going to have to wait. Great that you're on the call, Andrew, from Paul in the Lake District, UK. Thank you, Paul. Here's Rashid bowling to Stoinis. Gives himself room. Cuts, misses, taken by Butler. Maybe just over off stump. So Rashid, a good end of the over, but there are 11 runs off it, which is basically what Australia requires. 3 for 62 with Stoinis on 9 and Mitchell Marsh there on 23. 9 overs done at the same stage. England was 4 for 61, so now Australia back with a nostril hair in front.
It's close, isn't it? It's getting really, really close. Stoinis there just looking to cut that delivery. It just went over the top of off stump as well.
Yeah, that was a great way to finish. And now in the 10th over, Chris Jordan will bowl for the first time. The SMS 0467 920 222. Mark writes, great to hear ABC Cricket Grandstand. Andrew, is your voice still recovering from the NRL Grand Final? No, it's good to go, Mark. Thanks for asking. Will every T20 World Cup game be available live on ABC Listen app? Also the Rugby League World Cup. The World T20 World Cup, yes, you'll hear the games here on Grandstand and the BBC. The Rugby League World Cup, no, we don't have the rights to that, unfortunately, Mark. But I'll be up watching them in the middle of the night, that's for sure. And Rod says Maxi needs to be dropped, make him wake up before the big games, might make him focus a bit more. He's been very ordinary lately. So now Jordan, I'm really interested to see the new Chris Jordan, who's got his pace back after shoulder injuries. And he's in bowling to Mitchell Marsh, and he's driven with power down towards long off. Stokes is there, they get but 1. So Mitchell Marsh, after exploding out of the blocks, still has a fair old strike rate, but the last 4 or 5 have come from singles. He's 24, 3 for 63 in the 10th.
The win predictor as well has England at 69%, Australia at just 31. I think that's quite harsh.
Did you take any notice of the win predictor?
No, I think it's a load of rubbish.
I'm a bit the same. Because it changes every 3 balls, right?
No, every ball.
Every ball.
Every ball. If something happens, it changes. But that's the probability of England winning right now.
Yes.
So he's obviously.
Would you agree? What would you think is the percentage in the Alex Hartley brain?
Put me under the pump.
Yeah.
69%, 31%.
That's weak. I expect more from you. So it's Jordan bowling now to Stoinis, who's 9 from 5. Over the wicket, he bowls short outside the off stump, and it's punched away through cover. They have one, and they'll come back for an easy second run as the fielding's done by Curran. So 2 more to Stoinis. He's 11. Remembering he scored 35 or 15 on Sunday in Perth. 3 for 65. The target 179.
I actually think it's probably 50-50, and it's going to depend on how.
So you've changed in one ball from 69.
I was
50,
messing.
50.
I was messing in the 69 because that's what the TV said. Depends on how Tim David goes for me.
Well, and Matthew Wade, who's next, then rather long tail. Cummins, Stark, Zampa, Hazelwood. Jordan bowls, and he's cut away powerfully by Stoinis. Backward of point. That was only about 10 metres away from the fielder out there, Sam Curran, and he had no chance. Boy, that was timed. So Marcus Stoinis, he moves to 15 off 7, 3 for 69 midway through the 10th, and Chris Jordan's getting some heavy treatment here early in his spell.
Yeah, slower ball from Chris Jordan. Starts with a cross-seam delivery and runs his fingers down the side of the ball. Stoinis onto it in a flash, and he's hit that so hard out to the boundary.
Jordan again, bowling to Stoinis, who is defending, pushing it wide of cover. Moeen Ali works to his left and fields it just outside the circle. Keeps it to a single. Stoinis 16 off 8. 3 for 70. And the run rate required has stayed about the same, Alex. 10.5 and over from here.
Yeah, they've done well to keep it around the same, have Australia, because they don't want it to getting above 12s this early on. But they'll know 10s are manageable.
So the previous over was 11. 6 prior to that, 4 prior to that. Currently off this over, there's been 8 with 2 balls to come. And it's Chris Jordan bowling to Mitchell Marsh, who's 24 off 15. He's in, and this is a quicker delivery, but it's wayward, well wide down the leg side, and it was short of a length. He tried an expansive pull shot, Mitchell Marsh, missed it, but it is a wide, 3 for 71. And this has been a rude greeting for Chris Jordan. 9 runs coming, 2 balls still to be bowled.
Not seen the speed gun either, have you? Keep missing it.
I haven't noticed. There's so much information coming up all over the place. That is the 5th wide bowl by England's bowlers. Australia bowled 6. Hasn't played a heap of cricket lately, Chris Jordan, as he's in bowling to Marsh, who off the back foot flays it through point for a single, as the fielding's done by Curran. So Mitchell Marsh now 25, 3 for 72 in the 10th over, 1 ball to come.
Chris Jordan's taking the pace off that delivery as well. Back of a length ball, making sure Marsh can't get underneath him and hit him for a boundary.
England's leading wicket taker in this form of the game, one ahead of Adil Rashid with 90. Best bowling performance of 4 for 6.
It's not a bad one, that, is it? 4 for 6.
Here he comes, bowling to Stoinis. Oh dear, that's another wide down the leg side. So he's really not found his mark immediately. That one was at approximately 141.3k an hour. But it was wayward, another wide, 3 for 73 in the 10th.
Got a good eye for it, haven't you?
Well, that one had just clicked with me. That's got to be 140 plus.
Yeah, it's got to be. 141.3.
We don't do inaccurate here. Until we do. Last ball of the over again. Stoinis thumping at the crease. Cuts this ball backward a point. That'll race for another 4. And that is a shocking over from Chris Jordan. He gets absolutely pummeled and bowled a couple of wides. 15 runs off the 10th over. 3 for 77 Australia. The target 179. Stoinis 20 off 9 deliveries. Marsh 25 off 16. At the same stage, England was 4 for 70. So there's 7 runs to the good. The Australians, who have lost Aaron Finch, caught Stokes bowled Willie for 13. Dave Warner bowled by Reece Topley for 4. And Glenn Maxwell was caught by Alex Hales off Sam Curran for 8 when it was 3 for 51 in the 8th. Now 3 for 77 after 10 overs. Alex Hartley will remain. Daniel Norcross coming in right now on Grandstand Cricket.
ABC Sports coverage of the T20 Internationals.
ABC Sport Digital Radio
And on the ABC Listen app.
Barbara Streisand. Barbra Streisand.
Right, let's take drinks. Just do it.
We gave you a little bit longer with that tune there because me and Dan were enjoying it quite a lot.
Yeah, well,
Got our dance moves out, didn't we?
I did. I was making some shapes. This innings, Alex Harley, it's following a very similar pattern to England's, isn't it?
Really similar, really similar.
34 for 2, England were off 5. Australia were 35 for 2, off 5. And 70 for 4, England 77 for 3, Australia. That over from Chris Jordan, his first for quite a while. I tend to think that on this pitch, what we've seen every time someone goes for pace off, the ball goes.
Yeah, it really does. Goes the distance, doesn't it? Stoinis 20 off just 9 deliveries as well. Playing a really similar cameo to what he did in Perth on Sunday. And they're going to need him to probably just stick around a little bit longer than he did the other days. Got 30 odd. They could probably do with him getting 70.
Very dangerous partnership this from an England point of view. Very productive one from an Australian one. Stoinis 20 off 9. And I'm going to try to discipline myself for the next 5 overs into doing the score the right way round for Australians.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going to try. So you just slap my wrist every time I get it wrong. Rashid starts a new over after the drinks break. This has been swept without power by Marsh to short fine leg. Harry Brook does the fielding. One more to the total. It's 3 for 78.
Well done. That was a good one. I was expecting you to get it wrong straight away.
I was. Yeah, I was. Well, I concentrated. Now, we've got these wonderful floodlights here at the Monaco Oval.
The spatulas.
Yeah, they are. As Rashid is in, and this has been log swept by Stoinis, but it's very full, so it got to the bottom of the bat and it rolls out towards deep mid-wicket for another single. David Willey does the fielding, 3 for 79. They look to me like lacrosse paddles, you know?
Oh yeah, the nets.
The nets, yeah.
Lacrosse nets.
Yeah. They're very much that shape. There's quite a lot of them. As Rashid is in. Again, Marsh goes for big, and he's gone really big. That's huge. It's gone, not quite over and into the road, but not too far away, into the very top tier of the crowd. And that is the lengthier side of the ground. So he has timed that magnificently, Mitchell Marsh. Goes to 32 from 18, Australia 3 for 85.
He's been slog swept a couple of times tonight, has Adil Rashid. And it's a tactic that the Aussies are clearly using against him. I mean, that one looked like it was going out of the ground, looked absolutely huge, but it just fell short.
Into the Sir Donald Bradman stand it went. Rashid, what's he going to do this time? Shorter, flatter, no great surprise, and tucked off the back foot, square of the wicket on the onside. 2 fielders converge. Willey gets there first, fires in an annoying throw for a keeper. It's right at the base of the stumps. There's one more to the total. 3 for 86, I'm minded to say, but the score's disappeared.
It was a lot flatter and quicker, that one from Rashid. And there's a fine line as a spinner, because you want to toss the ball up to try and get the batters to make mistakes. Can you beat the bat? Are you going to get the ball to spin off the surface? But now he's gone defensive mode.
Rashid in, again flat and worked into the onside up to mid-wicket. Rashid has to chase after it himself. It means they can get through for another single. 10 have come from this over. The required rate is pretty much 10.04. There's still 1 ball left, 3 for 87. Australia Stoinis to 22 from 11.
Just shows as well, you get a boundary early on in the over, it puts pressure on the bowler.
Rashid completes the over with a full delivery, and well, okay, so this is intriguing. The ball's been pushed away into a vacant mid-on region, but Mitchell Marsh has decided he's going to take the single. I think Marcus Stoinis didn't want to because he had impeded Rashid. He couldn't get to the ball. And there was a bit of I don't think we should have this single, and then Mitchell Marsh showing a bit more determination.
Butler waved him through, I think.
Did he?
Butler said, go on,
you can't up the run. Well, I think Butler might consider appealing when people should be out obstructing the field and not necessarily letting runs happen. But anyway, 3 for 88 at the end of the 11th over, with another 91 required from 9 overs.
It's going to be a good finish.
I think so. I think so indeed. Be interested to see. And we've got Sam Curran back into the attack. He bowled the death overs in the previous game at Perth.
First ball went for 4, but then did a brilliant job getting England over the line.
We've got a deep square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, and a deep cover of the boundary riders. Marsh hits this high in the air. Is it going to go all the way? What an incredible effort from Stokes. He caught it one-handed, but he was going over the boundary sponge, and then he flicked it underneath his body. There was no way he could have taken that catch and not given away a 6, but somehow I think he might have saved 4 runs here. That is, and he's been given a standing ovation from the crowd down here at long off, and quite rightly too, because that is a piece of athleticism that needs to be seen and re-seen. What an incredible effort.
When you think of Ben Stokes, you think of all the extraordinary times and all the extraordinary things he's done on a cricket field, and that was right up there. That is such a good piece of fielding. That is incredible to save 6 runs.
I mean, it's almost impossible to believe. It's impossible to believe he could have taken the catch, let alone
do you know what?
got rid of it.
He'll be so frustrated he didn't actually take the catch as well.
He couldn't. It was over. He almost caught it over the boundary. It's amazing. Curran, next delivery, clipped away, really, out to deep mid-wicket for a single. 91 for 3. If you 3 for 91, I've done it. I've messed up. If you get the opportunity to see this somewhere, you absolutely must. This is one of the most remarkable pieces of fielding I've ever seen. We can be a bit hyperbolic sometimes. It was so far behind him, and there was no way he wasn't going to go over the boundary. It was full stretch, one-handed, right hand.
Even Mitch Marsh run down the other end and said, wow. As soon as Ben Stokes did that bit of fielding.
Staggering. Curran in, full outside the off stump and missed by Stoinis. Now look, it's not a wicket, but he's saved 4 runs there. That was a 6 any other day. It's a great shot from Marsh. He got all of it.
I mean, you know, it's a stunning bit of fielding when the opposition goes, wow, that was very good.
And the crowd.
And the crowd, and the cameras there now. He gets a standing ovation in Australia.
This is an Australia-England game. It's let's not forget. Curran in. Stoinis pulls hard out towards deep mid-wicket. Taken. Wicket goes. Stoinis has got to go. Good catch, diving forward. And Stoinis goes for 22. It's 4 for 91. Curran yet again takes the wicket. 2 for 9 he's taken from 10 balls. He's such a crucial cricketer for England. Such an underrated one as well. And picked up yet another wicket. And he's arrested Australia's development here. It was short. It was flat-batted, really. It went down to Harry Brook, who came diving forward. It was a good catch. Not a great one. We've seen a genuinely great piece of fielding that just saved 4 runs. We've seen a good catch there that has taken a wicket. But Australia now up against it. 4 for 91 in the 12th over.
Yeah, they really are. Stoinis, he was looking good as well. Just faced 13 deliveries for his 22. He went for the big heave into the onside. And now there's a lot of pressure that rests on Tim David here. He got a duck in the last game. England went for the short ball tactic. He couldn't help but take it on. Now with Sam Curran at the crease, or bowling, sorry, I think the slower ball bouncer is the way to go.
You can understand why Australia put a lot of eggs in the Tim David basket, because his ceiling is so high, and he hits runs at a phenomenal strike rate. But there are guys who aren't in this team. Cameron Green not in the squad. Steve Smith not in the starting 11. So there is pressure on David. And I know his role down the order is, maybe to face 11 balls at 25. But he was unnerved by Wood's pace. I wonder if we might see Jordan come in with the remit to bowl as fast as he can at him. We'll see. But Curran's bowling at him first. His first delivery is just pushed into the onside off the front foot. Curran chases after it. He gets there as 3 fielders convened, and a dreadful throw is quite splendidly backed up by Stokes, who's in the game all the time. 4 for 92.
I think what gives Tim David the advantage is he's got into this Australia team playing franchise cricket around the world, and for everything he's achieved and his quick scoring and how he bats. And because he's played so much T20 cricket, he knows that you are going to have days where you fail, you are going to have days where you score no runs, but then the next day, the next innings, you're probably going to have a brilliant innings.
Curran in, here's the pads. Big appeal from Bowler and Butler, the keeper, and that ball has swung back into the pads, but I don't think they're going to refer this. End of the over. Australia 4 for 92. David has 1. Marsh has 37. Another 87 required now from 8 overs. That rate's almost up to 11. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. Even though he failed in the last game at Perth, he's probably been in these situations time and time again. And Australia will have told him, don't change your game plan just because you're now playing for Australia. You got here for a reason. So he's probably going to be unnerved by that duck the other day, because it happens. It's cricket.
Yeah, I mean, and in T20 cricket as well. You know, if you're asked to play high-pressure cricket down the order, some days it's going to happen for you, some days it isn't.
I mean, when he gets going, he's so good to watch.
Really is. He hasn't had a great time in the field, though. Dropped one out at long on as well, so we're feeling a bit of the pressure. Adil Rashid is bowling to him. There's a short mid-wicket in place. He drives his first ball straight back at the bowler, who half stops, parries it to Brook in the covers. There's no run. So we've got this almost catching mid-wicket, short extra cover, a short backward point, and a slip in place, would you believe? A deep square cover, long off, long on, deep mid-wicket and a deep backward square leg. Rashid, right arm over, in, that's thrashed into the offside, through extra cover with great power for 4. David moves to 5, Australia 4 for 96.
It's a great shot from Tim David. We're just talking about how good he is. I mean, that ball wasn't short, it wasn't a rubbish ball from Rashid, and he's on the back foot. He's a tall character, so it makes it look shorter than it is, and he slaps it past extra cover. Harry Brook there.
Here comes Rashid again, skipping in. It's flatter ball, which has been thrashed back down the ground. It should make it to the boundary, and it does. He hit that dead straight off the back foot. It was what we call a strapple, a straight pull. Played as a pull, but hit straight down the ground and along the ground with ferocious power. Again, he's a very muscular cricketer, isn't he? 4 for 100, 100 up.
Tim David has the capability of making this run chase look really easy, but also not that bringing the run rate down that's required.
Rashid into him again, goes back into his crease and is slightly caught in 3 or 4 minds actually, and he's pushed out into the offside, and they're going to get 2 for it because the throw was wild from Moeen Ali, who came to field at extra cover and then flung the ball miles from the stumps. It went all the way out to deep mid-wicket, and they got through for 2, which brings David back on the strike, and that will not please Adil Rashid.
Well, they're best friends, aren't they?
They are.
Adil Rashid just gave him a stare.
It'll strain it a little bit for a moment, I think. Rashid in to complete the over, pulled out towards deep mid-wicket, and it's, well, brilliantly fielded in the end by David Willey, running in from deep mid-wicket, because it was there almost suggestive of a catch, but in the end, Willey realised he couldn't get there to catch it, and so he dived in and just stopped it on the bounce, and probably saved 2 runs there, and certainly saved his teeth.
I think Tim David would have thought, oh, I think I could be out here, but it just dropped short. Brilliant bit of fielding. England have been so good in the field. Ben Stokes raising the standard earlier.
Rashid in again. Oh, David gets a thick leading edge that goes out to Moeen Ali at mid-wicket, and there's no run. So, what off that over? 12 off that over, more than the asking rate. Australia 4 for 104 after 13 overs. England were 4 for 103. This game is as tight as you can get. Much like the one at Perth the other day.
Oh,
great, isn't it?
Had 2 belters. We talk about these like being warm-up games for the T20 World Cup, and how they're probably not warm-up games. It's England versus Australia. Each team trying to get some momentum leading into the World Cup. And we've had 2 crackers so far.
Now then, Chris Jordan is going to come back into the attack. Sam Curran has 2 overs left. We'll probably see him bowling right towards the death. Jordan's also likely to bowl at the death. Stokes has bowled 1 already.
Well, Chris Jordan needs to bowl better than he did in his first over. Went for 15, and I've just seen the Teletubbies on the big screen.
That is unusual.
Yeah, I've not seen the Teletubbies for a very long time.
Well, we're in Australia now, so in a strange kind of way, the things that we used to have back in England like 20 years ago, you get to see again. As Jordan runs in, there's a slower ball, which is square driven out towards the point boundary. They come back for a second. Throw comes in, and I think Marsh is home. They will probably go upstairs My first thought is that he's got back. The throw had gone at the other end, David's end.
It was a brilliant bit of keeping.
It was a brilliant bit of keeping. It was a backhand flick.
Yeah, the backhand flick onto the stumps, bit of flair. I quite like that.
Marsh doesn't look too concerned here, and I'm not surprised.
I'll be surprised.
I mean, the ball was in Willie's hand, and David only just started running, but Marsh it was who'd made the call, and he's back very comfortably. He's home by about a metre or so, which is what it looked like. So, Marsh picks up 2 more. And Chris Jordan, who has not played a game in this run of matches that England have had, 7 in Pakistan, the 1 in Perth.
Missed the back end of the 100 as well.
Yep, it's his first game in quite a while as he runs in now to Marsh. Ball's full, driven in the air, out towards wide long off. Stokes runs in, a huge cry of no, it's Stokes. And Ronald Stokes' arm. Despite the issues he has with his knees, when he needs to, he's very, very rapid across the ground. Keeps it to 1. Marsh to 40 from 25, brings Tim David back on strike with Australia. 4 for 107.
Nice. You've only messed up once.
Only messed up once.
Yeah, you've done well there. I'd have messed up every time I've set the score.
I don't want to get complacent though. I've got about another. How many balls have I got? I've got another.
We're over and a ball.
10 balls, I think, haven't I? Yeah.
What you don't want to do though is keep getting it the Australian way around and get home and be confused. Forget which way around the real way around is.
That is very, very true. Yeah, mercifully, there's quite a while between the end of the World Cup and the start of the English season, but you make a strong point. Jordan into David, who drives back to Jordan, who fills of his own bowling into the ground. Came at a nice height for Jordan, and there's no run. Precious dot ball for England. They need to try to exert a bit more pressure here, because Australia, from their point of view, of course, because Australia really got something going here in these last couple of partnerships. Stoinis, Marsh, Tim David. Very similar pattern to England's innings. We have got a short third, a point, an extra cover, and a short fine leg. Those are the fielders within the ring. Deep square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, and a deep cover.
Just checking the no ball.
Ooh.
Chris Jordan, I think he had tiny bit of foot behind the line. No, he didn't.
No ball. So it's not a precious dot ball, it is the precise opposite. It's a run, and it's a free hit, and Jordan does not look best pleased by it, neither does Joss Butler. But there's nothing you could do. Third umpire's made the decision. Jordan shakes his head.
Yeah, it looked like he had something behind the line.
I didn't properly peruse the replay, did you? Did you take a good look at it? Well, we see it now. Ooh,
no, he's got something behind the line.
Oh, here we go. Jordan in. That free hit has been smashed back at him. And he's wringing his hands, actually, because he's fielding off his own bowling, Jordan. And Moeen Ali has had to come from extra cover to do the fielding. So it's only cost 1 in the end, plus the 1 for the no ball, so 2.
Recovering from finger injury is Chris Jordan. What you don't want is for that to have hit him straight back on the finger.
Yeah. Well,
he looks with a smile on his face.
Fine. He's got a smile on his face. He has indeed. It was hit very firmly into the ground, and he's got to go. He's had to bend down around about shin height, and he's wringing his hand for a slight grimace. But I think he's going to be okay.
That'll have been one of those moments for a couple of seconds. You go, why do I play cricket?
Yeah. Especially because it had come off a free hit, which, you know, was a no ball that he didn't think he'd bowled. But, you know, these are the way. It's not supposed to be fair, this game. Here's Jordan in, slower ball, driven down the ground towards Stokes, who makes a valiant diving effort but can't get there. And it bounces once and goes over the boundary for 4. Australia 4 for 113.
You could hear somebody then shout, "Catch it, Stokesy." I mean, if there was one person on this field that was gonna take that catch, it'd be Ben Stokes. Chris Jordan's got a huge smile on his face. It's a wonderful shot from Marsh down the ground, crunched it outside the off stump from Chris Jordan. Ben Stokes centimetres away from it in the end.
Well, he wasn't never going to catch it, was he? But he made the most incredible effort to save some more runs. We've already seen one of the most amazing pieces of fielding from him down here already today. wasn't quite able to pull that off. 4 more to the total. Jordan really under pressure here. Marsh defends a full ball straight to backward point. Now that'll be a dot ball unless it's a no ball.
Get your foot behind the line.
He's gone for 24, Jordan, in his 1.5 overs.
Yeah, he's been expensive. He had an expensive first over. He's bowled better in his second over. Bowled a lot better.
The umpire was just checking a little there, but everything is fine. 4 for 113, 1 ball left in the 14th over, 66 more needed to win. 6 overs after this. Long on, long off back. Jordan into Marsh, who drives elegantly but straight to Moeen Ali on the edge of the circle at short extra cover. So, with 14 overs gone, Australia 4 for 114. Tim David has 14 off 9. Marsh has 45 off 28. Alex Hartley is going to leave us. Stuart Clark is rejoining us till the end of the game. And Stuart, I'm doing an experiment. I'm trying to do the score the right way around for Australians. And so far, I've only messed up once.
Right.
So you just got to keep an eye on me.
What do you mean?
Well, if I get it wrong, just give me a hard stare, having to bear or whatever.
And I'll do better than that. I'll just tell you that's wrong, and then we'll make fun of you for a little bit, and then we'll move on.
Thank you. Well, that's very kind. So this game is deliciously poised, like the one in Perth.
I don't know if I'm allowed to read these SMSs out. Am I allowed to read these SMSs out? These messages that come in? So there's one coming in from a Rachel that said the Canberra locals would be more than happy to take you around to see some wild kangaroos.
That's lovely.
Good on you, Rachel.
Rachel. Yeah. Start of a new over. It's going to be Ben Stokes who's going to bowl it. And this first ball has been thrashed out towards deep mid-square leg and taken. Sam Curran with the catch. A good catch, diving forward. He didn't quite get hold of that, didn't Mitchell Marsh? He went for a sort of wipe out into the leg side. Got the inside half of the bat. It flew out towards deep square leg. And Sam Curran, who's already picked up 2 wickets with the ball now, adds another catch to his collection and a crucial wicket for England, and at just the wrong time for Australia.
Yeah, wrong time. Good catch though by Sam Curran, moving in quickly to his left, dived forward, took a nice catch about a foot above the ground, and Ben Stokes, he's happy he's picked up a wicket. First ball of his new spell. And Mitchell Marsh, good innings, 45 off 29, played some nice shots, plenty of power, plenty of finesse. Unfortunately just picked out the man in the deep.
Well, it was just at the time when this partnership was really starting to threaten his target of 179. That's been the way in both these matches with Australia's chases. They look like they've been about to get on top, and then a wicket has fallen time after time at just the wrong time. But Matthew Wade is going to stride to the wicket. Australia still have Pat Cummins, who we know, I can't remember, was it 16 balls that 50 got in the IPL? It was an extraordinary innings. An amazing innings.
It was very fast. The 2 guys at the crease now have got to do the bulk of the scoring. For the remaining runs need to come out of the bat of Matthew Wade. We saw how good he was in the World Cup, the last World Cup in Dubai. Really won the last 2 games on his own bat for Australia, especially the semi-final. And Tim David, sort of a new boy to the team, although I saw he's played 20 T20 internationals, it says. He must have been asleep when those games were on, because I can't recall him playing that many, but he's playing with plenty of power.
Stokes in. First ball that Wade faces, all he can do is drop the bat net and push it to short extra cover where Moeen fields. Well, Rick Finlay, whom you will know very well from the short, did a little list of the numbers of T20 internationals been played by year.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like 330 odd.
Yeah, something like that. It's gone up significantly.
Ballooned. So you may have missed some of them.
Well, certainly. I was around when it kicked off. So when this thing started, this T20 concept back in whatever the first one, 07.
Stokes in, ball round the corner. That isn't going to quite make it to the boundary because Dawid Malan is out there, a deep backward square leg. But Wade is underway, 5 for 115.
Yeah, so when the concept was after the 07 World Cup, there was going to be a T20 World Cup, this new format of the game. I've got a shirt at home. So the first game that Australia played, we all had our nicknames on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
what's your nickname?
Sarfraz, that was on the back. So I've got
Sarfraz?
Yeah. And that was on the back of my shirt. So I've got it at home, and because we all thought it was a bit of a joke and a fun game, and this will never catch on. Who's going to ever play this ridiculous game?
Stokes is into David. who pulls, but he's going to get this away to the left of fine leg, short fine leg, and he's going to run down to the boundary for 4. Nice, a neat, clever shot from David. It was too short and ill-directed from Stokes. And Tim David just found that gap, 5 for 119.
So, yeah, known for the power, but that time was finesse more than anything else. So we went to the World Cup in South Africa, and guys were, this will be fun. No one will ever catch on. And then we were playing wherever it was, I can't remember, but Yuvraj,
6 sixes,
potted broad out of the ground, 6 in a row. And then they went on to win the thing, and the thing from there just snowballed. They beat us in the semi-final. So if we hadn't lost that game...
Stokes to David, who drives without timing, straight to short extra cover. Moeen Fields says no run.
If we hadn't lost to India in the semi-final, I think it might have been the quarter-final, I can't remember, in Durban, I sort of say that T20 cricket would never kicked on. So, quite frankly, me getting smashed around by Yuvraj contributed to the success. So all these guys
with the money.
Forget about Kerry Packer back in the day with World Series cricket, and forget about all them.
Glenn Maxwell owes you a house and a number of drinks.
He's got enough.
Stokes is in, and this is punched off the front foot by David up towards long on. Again, no timing, but he can't get back for a second. End of the 15th over, 5 for 120. It's time for a change in the commentary box. Andrew Moore is going to take you through to the end of the game with Stuart Clark.
ABC Sports coverage of the T20 Internationals.
ABC Sport Digital Radio
And on the ABC Listen app.
You can blow with this, you can blow with that. You can blow with this, or you can blow with that. You can blow with this, or you can blow with that. Or you can blow with us.
Thank you, Daniel. So we're in for a good finish here. 5 for 120, 5 overs to go. The target 179. At the same stage, England was 4 for 131. And now it's one of the 3 left-arm quicks, Reece Topley, back into the attack here at the Manuka end of the ground. And he'll be bowling first up to Tim David.
I think the spider cam's stuck. Can't move it.
Oh, and it's down low too.
Down right in the way.
Right on top of the pitch, just about.
Yes.
Oh no.
Might be near short third man there. They can't get it.
So what happens now? Does someone have to come over with a ladder?
Well, I don't know.
On stilts?
Duckworth Lewis called off because the spider cam can't work. Oh no,
it's back.
Go. He's back.
Roar of the crowd, which is officially 4,953 here on a Wednesday night in Canberra. Interesting to see whether a few more roll in on Friday night with potentially the series up for grabs for what that means to people. It'll be Reece Topley. 2 overs, 1 for 15, and he's bowling to Tim David, who's 19 off 12, but it's short, loose delivery. It's cut away, but not well placed. He'll only get a run to deep point as Sam Curran does the fielding. And one more. 5 for 121. David up to 20 off 13. Didn't Tim David play for Hong Kong in T20 cricket? In fact, it might have been Singapore. It was Singapore. I think he played like 14 games for Singapore. No wonder you missed him. Come on, dude. There's 15 minutes remaining on the innings timer, and they're an over behind at the moment, England.
Surely he gets.
What does that mean?
Surely he gets some allowances for the spider cam.
Yes, that's got to be taken into consideration. As Topley now bowling to Matty Wade, who's on 1, and he gets a wide down the leg side. It was an attempted slower ball there by Topley at only 112k an hour, but it was wayward. And all of those extras and extra deliveries become crucial. So 5 for 122, needing 179 to win in the 16th over.
And the more wides, and you think about this logically, the wides you bowled and the no balls you bowled, it all adds up to another over. So your times being...
Well, that's their 7th.
Yeah, so you're basically extra over of which you don't need to bowl.
Topley bowling to Wade, and Wade is on the pull shot, and he gets into deep backward square, scampers through quickly for the first. The fielder out there, Willie, ends up on his backside as he slipped over. Dewy conditions out there.
Slippery.
They only get 1, however, and now the ball gets away from the bowler Topley. But just the 1 run. Matt Wade on 2, and that takes him to within 5 runs of reaching 1,000 runs in this form of the game for Australia. 5 for 123. The target is 179.
He's been very successful at this form of the game, Matthew Wade, both domestically and series around the world, and also for Australia, batting in this finishing style role.
Now it's David, the right-hander, who's clubbing this away through extra cover along the ground. 4. Brilliantly timed. Beats the dive of Sam Curran in front of the Sir Don Brabham stand. Boy, he can time it nicely, Tim David. He's 24 off 14, 5 for 127, 7 runs off the over thus far, and we've only had 3 deliveries.
That's just beautiful hands through the ball. You're right about his timing. There's not a big flourish. He doesn't swing the bat hard. He just, as he hits it, it's got that crack off the bat sound, and you see there, it's just all hands, hits the ball late, right under his eyes. Third in the deep. No way.
So they're dropping back all over the place. We've got a long off. Curran's at deep cover point. There's a deep backward point, a long on and a deep mid-wicket as the left-armer Topley bowls. Slow delivery, but it's flayed away on the offside backward at point, and all of a sudden the fielder out there, David Willey, had to do a mighty job. He's only about 10 metres away from it, but he had to dive and take the ball just inside the boundary rope, and they get 2 more. So David 26, 5 for 129, 50 to win off 26 deliveries, Stewie Clark.
Yeah, there or thereabouts. Australia can still do it. 2 blokes at the crease can really score quickly and can find the rope and hit it over the rope.
They need another wicket or 2, England, because then it's into the bowlers.
Yeah, they need to pick up a wicket here, because you'd imagine if these 2 bat for the remaining 25 balls, the game, they will be able to take the game away from Australia. It's an interesting field. You've got 2 guys that the only spot he can actually bowl is wide of off stumps. He can't bowl anywhere else.
So Topley bowls again to David. Slower ball, cut away uppishly to Curran at deep point. This time there'll only be a single as Curran gets the left arm return back on the bounce to Butler. David 27 off 16, 5 for 130 Australia. 1 ball left in the 16th over, 49 to win off 25 balls.
And they've seen the power of David. We saw a little bit of it in a couple of others where he hit that massive ball against the West Indies in Brisbane, and his power in Perth. But there must be some plans being put in place, because they immediately, as soon as he hit that ball, they dropped 2 guys out deep on the offside, deep point and deep cover.
Is Topley bowling to the left-hander Wade, who's on the pull, doesn't time it, but gets it through mid-on. The mid-off Jordan sprints to his left to field and keep it to only a single. So England will take that, bearing in mind Australia needs 2 runs a ball to win. Wade 3, he'll keep the strike, 5 for 131. There are 11 runs off that over for Australia. And Wade 3, David 27, 48 to win off 24 balls, so exactly 2 runs a ball required.
And that's about achievable. It's interesting, the game's changing so quickly, and how many runs are achievable in the last 20 balls. It used to be, remember the old days, it was couldn't let it get over a run a ball.
Yeah.
Then it got to 9 and over. Now you see teams get to about 12 and over, but if you work it back, 24 balls, they need 48 runs. Imagine if they need, at 20 balls, if they need 39 runs, and imagine they got to 15 off the last over.
Well, they needed 16 in Perth.
Correct.
And fell 9 short of victory. And this could be one of the big overs of the game right here, because it's Chris Jordan who's not bowled well. 2 overs for 25. He's on from the opposite end of where he's bowled previously.
Pool end.
He's at the pool end of Manuka Oval with Australia needing 48 off 24.
They need a wicket, because these 2 will get Australia home with a couple of balls to spare if they're still batting.
Cummins, Stark, Zampa, Hazelwood left in the shed. Jordan bowls to Wade. It's a pull shot. He plays it along the ground with a roll of the wrist towards deep backward square. Milan is there. 1 run only. Wade 4, 5 for 132. So that means 47 to win off 23 after England amassed 7 for 178 thanks to Dawood Milan's brilliant 82 off 49 and Moeen Ali's 44 off 27. And the best of the Aussie bowlers in terms of wickets certainly was Marcus Stoinis, 3 for 34 off his 4 overs. Cummins bowled economically, 4 overs, 1 for 29, and Zampa 3 overs, 2 for 26. Now Jordan to the right-hander David.
You get the feeling it's a big ball.
Jordan bowls to David and he whips it off his pads between a deep square leg and short fine leg, and they'll get a couple of runs as the return's on its way now from Curran, and they get the 2 comfortably, which is what they required. So David moves along to 27, 5 for 134 in the 17th over.
Jordan got a bowl. You're right, this is a big over in the context of the match. If they can bowl at least, if you can bowl a dot in here, the scoring of pressure will just mount and mount, and all of a sudden you'll see David play a rash stroke. They'll find a dot in here somewhere, England.
So Jordan bowling to David. Field is set. He's hit on the pad. Stifled shout. Jordan joins the party late because he was more focused on picking up the ball that had rolled away on the onside just off the pitch, and he prevents a run. So there's no challenge here or no review coming from Joss Butler, but it's a dot ball. 5 for 134. with the target 179. So what's that? 45 to win of 21 deliveries. Who are you on?
No, I go on England. The little bit of extra pace we've got with Jordan bowling to David. He's just not as comfortable as against. Once that number gets up above the 140 mark, he just looks a little bit more like it's a bit quick.
So Jordan into him now. Bowls over the wicket. David, well pitched up delivery, and he whips it away brilliantly between square leg and mid-wicket. Curran dives, knocks the ball back to David Willey. If that didn't go over the rope, that's a brilliant bit of fielding. They've run two, and Chris Jordan applauds. Now, my instinct was that the ball must have hit the rope, or at least the fielder's body. Curran gets up gingerly, but at this stage, it keeps it to 2. 5 for 136 in the 17th over.
Umpire checking. No.
Did it touch his body? Because initially when it touched his hand, he was okay.
And did it go on the rope where the rope was and he knocked it out of the way? Here we go, the close-up replay here.
He dives over it.
It's touching there and he's touching the rope, and
that's going to be 4 maybe. I don't want to be making that decision at 10:30.
I think it's more the point the ball's on the line there. See, it just touches the line there. I'm going 4.
I'm going 2.
Rightio.
Just to be contrary.
Yeah.
Ants is listening. Hi, Maureen team. Ants from Leven, tuned in via the app, cheering on the Aussies to get the job done. Love the call. Nice to hear from you, Ants, as always. This is a big call. There's a big difference in a tight game like this between 2 and 4 runs.
Benefit of the doubt, refs call type stuff. What do we do here? We set it up to the bunker?
Well, unless they're clear that it's a boundary, I don't think they can change it, can they?
I don't know.
We still are without a decision. It's really tight.
4.
It is. You're right. So a boundary to Tim David. So Sam Curran's effort. Geez, you'd feel miserable after that, wouldn't you? Nearly hurt yourself. Gave it everything you had, but it's still 4 anyway. 5 for 138, 41 to win off 20.
Not happy.
No.
Blowing up.
Well, he's gone for 32 off 16 deliveries, Chris Jordan.
Well, he's going at 2 ball.
And he comes again, bowling to David, and he clubs it away over cover 6. Tell me where you can see a ball bashed unmercifully like that anywhere in the world.
Wow-wee.
5 for 144, 35 to win off 19. That is a phenomenal power shot from Tim David.
You know, I said I don't think he likes the pace. I'm wrong.
Oh,
he doesn't mind the pace. He has smashed that as hard as anyone can hit a cricket ball. I reckon there's half a chance there's no ball too by looking at that footage, but that's gone miles and hard, and you're a buffoon who's dropped it in the crowd.
Tell you what, it was a fair effort by the dude in the check shirt.
There's a couple of blokes standing in singlets that obviously
are immune to weather.
Can't feel the cold.
Joss Butler, meanwhile, runs down to have a word with Chris Jordan, who unfortunately for him is having a nightmare.
What do you reckon he said?
Mate, you're supposed to be the best bowler we've ever had.
You just said mate.
Mate. That was about it.
Mate.
5 for 144, 13 off the over. Last ball, Jordan bowls to David. It's short, it's not time, the pull shot. Dribbles down, in fact, to the keeper, Butler, and they scamper through for a run. And significantly, that means Tim David will keep the strike. 5 for 145 after 17 overs. 34 to win from 18 deliveries. It's under 2 runs a ball from here. David 40 off 21, Wade 4 off 5, and Chris, don't call me David Jordan, 3 overs done for 39.
You'd imagine at this stage of the game, 10 and over is not out of the realms. It's not that would be what.
Way Tim David's hitting them, it could be over in 2 overs.
That's why if they're thinking about it, just 10 and over, they're only 4 short, so it's 11 and over. You know, the guys will be thinking like that. That if we need 12 off the last over, I'm backing in Australia.
Well, to me, it depends on who's at the crease. If it's Cummins and Zampa, I'm probably backing England. So it's going to be Sam Curran, who's had the magic arm so far. Curran dismissed both Glenn Maxwell and Marcus Stoinis.
Both caught in the deep on the onside. The only problem with that is he has to bowl outside off stump here. They've got a deep backward point, a deep point, deep mid off, a cover on the ring, no one behind square on the onside. He can't get anywhere near the stumps.
Third man is up. Curran bowls. It's chopped away on the offside, but straight to cover to Moeen Ali. So he Went according to plan there. Dot ball. Tim David now 40 off 22. It's 34 to win off 17. Back to 2 runs the ball with Australia 5 for 145.
Moen was prowling around there. Now field changing again. They're going to deep cover, deep point, with Moen Ali going to backward point.
So they're gambling on giving up a single as opposed to anything else.
Well, I think what they're saying is, you're not going to beat us with power, you're going to beat us with finesse.
Onside, there's a long on and a deep mid-wicket on the rope as Curran bowls. It's bowled in down leg stump. Sam Curran strikes again at 137 k an hour. He's dismissed Tim David. He gets his third. He has 3 for 10 in his third over. Is this a match-winning bowling performance by Sam Curran? Australia 6 for 145, 34 to win off 16 deliveries. Tim David bowled by Curran for 40 of 23 deliveries with 5 fours and a 6.
Well, you know what he did? He pushed all his... If this was a poker game, he pushed all his chips all in, because every fielder, everything said to everyone on the field, he's going to bowl wide outside off stump. He fooled him, double bluffed him. Barron walked across trying to fetch that delivery, bowled him around his legs, hit the base of leg stump. And Tim David, well, he's out. And unfortunately for the Australians, the big power hitter has gone. And Paddy Cummins, the Test captain, makes his way to the field. But it's a good gutsy piece of bowling. No guts, no glory, they say. And Curran on that stage there, he certainly got it in the right spot.
And that after a dot ball. So huge effort by Sam Curran, and Pat Cummins, postman Pat, comes in, who can certainly handle a bat, but does have a career strike rate and limited opportunities at T20 cricket of 122.
He did get 50 off 16 balls in the IPL.
Left arm over 5.
Do you reckon he can do the same?
That's travelling. Well, he won't get the chance to here. They need slightly less than that. But Sam Curran, the way he's bowling, so there's a short third man, a backward point, there's a deep point, a cover, long off, long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square, and a short fine leg of Dil Rashid. Curran bowls to the right-hander Cummins. Oh, he squared up, and the ball ends up trickling down the offside of the pitch. No run. 3 dot balls here from Curran, including a wicket. 6 for 145, 34 to win off 15.
Big off-speed delivery that by Curran. Rolled his fingers across it, pitched about leg stump. Paddy Cummins got all squared up, hit him in the back thigh, and he was trying to just punch it or push the ball into the onside. Good smart bowling there by Curran.
2.5 overs to go in the game. Curran, 3 for 10 in his third over. Bowls to Cummins. Cummins, a pull shot, hit with power, but straight to Milan at deep mid-wicket. In fact, it's Harry Brook out there. Just 1 run. Cummins off the mark with that single. Australia 6 for 146. The target is 179, 33 to win of 14 deliveries, and Matthew Wade back on strike. Hasn't seen much of the ball.
Hasn't seen the ball. A good gutsy piece of bowling. Seeing a replay again. There must have been a plan that get him to walk over and see if he can fire one in at the stumps, hit him on the toe perhaps.
That ball moved too from Curran in the air. Great delivery. So now Wade
needs
with
to go big.
4 back on the onside. Curran bowls to him, and it's a pull shot, comes off the pad. Butler works to his right, the keeper. Gets it inside the circle, so they'll get just 1, and it's a leg by. And Australia moves along to 6 for 147, 32 to win off 13, and that brings Cummins back on strike for the last ball of a magnificent Sam Curran over. And remember, he'll be bowling the final over of the innings too. Tony from Park says, loving the call tonight. Stewie sounds like Bill Laurie, I reckon.
I got him, yes, that type of stuff.
Fan?
No way, no. Bill's a legend. Not even in the same. Can't polish his shoes, old Bill.
Chris Jordan drops back to long on. Ben Stokes is at long off.
Thanks for the compliment, Tony.
Cummins drives this along the ground to long off where Stokes is fielding. They'll get a run, and Cummins will keep the strike. He's 2. Australia at the end of a great over from Sam Curran. 6 for 148. Cummins 2, Wade 4, and what about Curran? 3 overs, 3 for 12. 2 runs off the bat and a leg by, and he gets high fives from his teammates, and rightly so. What an over that was.
Quality over, gutsy piece of bowling to dismiss Tim David. But bowled good length, good change of pace. Speared in those Yorkers, very, very hard to hit.
So where's Butler going here for the 19th? He's going with the left armer Reece Topley down at the pool end.
Topples.
The Topinator. He's bowled 3 overs, 1 for 26 so far. He picked up the wicket of Dave Warner for 4 back in the 5th over of the innings. So Australia, as you said, they're doing all the math in their head. They're looking at 2 boundaries in this over.
They've got to get it down under. They've got to get into the teens, middle teens, if there's any chance, I reckon.
So it's Topley bowling to Cummins. Cummins gets a slower ball and he pulls it away along the ground towards deep mid-wicket, but will get only a single. And the fielding is done out there by Willie. So one more to Cummins, he's 3, 6 for 149, 30 to win off 11 deliveries, and Matt Wade's only faced 6 balls so far.
And he hasn't particularly timed one yet either. He's looked very... Well, hasn't quite picked up the pace of the wicket. We know how destructive he can be. They're setting the field. They don't want to give him that lap sweep. We know how good he is. So fine legs gone back, deep backward square.
I reckon he's looking at
deep
the scoreboard. Topley bowls to Wade. He gets a slower ball. He drives it down the ground, and a lovely bit of fielding. Moving to his left by Chris Jordan. Cummins nearly came back for a suicidal second run. Wisely sent back by Wade. Wade moves to 5, 6 for 150, 29 to win off 10 deliveries. And England at the moment really firm favourites.
You would think they're right in the box seat here. Chris Jordan, quick across the ground. Good athlete, moves well laterally.
He did very well there, and now he drops back to long off. As Topley comes into Cummins, the Australians need a boundary. Topley short, and it's pulled away uppishly by Cummins towards deep mid-wicket. They'll only get a couple of runs, however, as it's Jordan moving to his right to do the fielding. So 2 there to Cummins. He's on to 5, 6 for 152, 27 to win from 9 deliveries. So it's 3 runs a ball at the moment. The Englishman will take the couple for Cummins. Long on, deep mid-wicket, deep square leg, deep point, and a long off.
They've got 2 minutes to bowl this next 3 balls, otherwise they've got to bring a fielder up.
Topley bowls to Cummins, and it's driven down the ground powerfully by Cummins. Jordan works to his left. They have one. They come back for a second run as Jordan picks it up and sends the return back to the bowler's end, where it's taken by Topley just near the stumps. So Cummins 2 more. He struck that well enough. He thought he might get a better result. He's 7, 6 for 154, 25 to win from 8 deliveries.
Very lucky not to wear that old Topinator. He went very close to his head as it was smashed back at him.
So Cummins still on strike. He's 7 off 6. It's a tense-looking Australian dugout. Topley bowls to Cummins, and he launches into another pull shot off the back foot, but he picks out Jordan at long on, moving to his right. Just 1, and Cummins frustratingly slaps his pad with the bat. He's 8, 6 for 155, 24 to win off 7 deliveries. 1 ball to come in the 19th over.
You would have thought if there any chance here, the Australians, this ball has to go to the fence.
So Wade on strike.
Actually, if they could get a 5 or a 7, it'd be good. So Matthew Wade would be facing.
Yeah.
I don't know how likely that is to happen.
Would they take a 3 in that case?
Probably.
To leave them 21 off the last over. Topley bowls to Wade, and he hits this across the line out to deep mid-wicket. The fielder working to his right, and that's Brook, and they come back for a second run. So England won't mind that all that much. 2 more for Wade. He's 7. And at the end of the over, only 9 runs off it from Topley. 6 for 157 Australia, 22 to win from the final over. And after 19 overs, England was more advanced at 6 for 165.
Realistically, what do you reckon Australia can get off this final over? 15?
Off Sam Curran? Saying about a dozen.
That's 6 off Chris Jordan. Really, that last ball of his makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
You know, the difference between 16 and 22. 16, you feel like you're a chance. You're in the game. I put the first one away, and I only need 12. Hit a 6. All of a sudden, you know, you don't. 22. It's like, oh,
it sounds big, doesn't it?
It's like the guys climbing up the mountain and thinking they're kangaroos at the top.
It was David or Marshall
like
Maxwell at the crease. You'd be really amped up.
Yeah. But Hardik Pandya, if he was out there, I'd be going off.
Oh yeah. Well, that would be game over after about 4 deliveries, wouldn't it?
He just put all 4 into the deep mid-on boundary, and that'll be it.
Ben Stokes just questioning how far back he should go at long off. We've got Jordan in front of us at long on, deep mid-wicket, backward square, fine leg, short third, backward point, deep point, extra cover, long off. Here's Sam Curran, bowls to Cummins. He hits a full toss, nearly into the scoreboard. It crashes off Mr. Fingleton's scoreboard. What a hit by Cummins. Now there's 16 to win off 5. Cummins is 14, 6 for 163, and after such a brilliant previous over, Sam Curran starts the last with a fully, and Pat Cummins said, wham bam, thank you very much, ma'am.
Well, that's changed everything, hasn't it? He's tapped across his stumps there, Pat Cummins, made Curran bowl full and at the stumps, and was good enough just to pick it up and flick it away. And as you said, Jack Fingleton wore one right in the chin, the Jack Fingleton scoreboard.
So now Curran has to reset himself. Cummins 14 off 8. 16 to win off 5 deliveries.
Slow ball, I reckon.
Curran bowling for England to Cummins, and it's clubbed down the ground. They should get 2. It's between mid-wicket and long on. Jordan from long on moves to his right, picks it up, and they're back for an easy second run. 6 for 165. Cummins to 16, 14 to win off 4.
Butler's coming down, talk to the bowler. Keep going.
Not a bad idea. I reckon he's saying, just that was better. No full tosses, waist high.
Don't bowl fullies at leg stump that can get hit into the scoreboard.
That was crashed about halfway up the scoreboard.
He got every piece of it, timed it well too, and just got underneath it, just that perfect timing on the ball.
How big's that last ball 6 from Chris Jordan now? It's in England's innings.
Certainly changed the complexion of the game. Now you look at it in context.
After the game, we're with you for about another 15 minutes. We'll have Henry Moran down on the field. Sam Curran, 14 to win off 4 deliveries. He's bowling to Cummins, who's 16 off 9. Cummins goes the aerial route. 1-2 bounces to Jordan at long on. They've got 1 and no is the call. But it's a shocking throw from Jordan. Missed the stumps by about 20 metres. Butler did well to back it up, but they do only get the 1. Goodness me. Cummins 17, 6 for 166. 13 to win off 3, and now it's on the shoulders of the diminutive left-hander Matthew Wade.
Yeah, the pressure on Matthew Wade. Dreadful throw by Jordan.
He missed that target by...
Went to short fine leg.
20 metres.
Butler had another full throw just to get it back to the bowler.
3 balls left, 13 required. Matt Wade on strike. There is a very fine leg. There is a deep backward square. There's a deep mid-wicket. There is a long on. And on the offside, there's Adil Rashid inside the circle, or just on it at mid-off. There's an extra cover. There's a cover. There's a backward point. In fact, that's Moeen Ali at mid-off and Adil Rashid at short third man.
So he has to bowl full at his pads or a slower ball, because if anything outside the stumps is going through offside.
13 to win off 3. Curran bowls to Wade. He pulls this ball down to deep backward square. They'll only get a single as the fielding's done by David Willey. Now they need 2 sixes. 12 to win off 2. Wade is 8. 6 for 167.
Do you reckon Pat's got a 6 in him?
I reckon one of these 2 might.
I'd be good to see the first one go, because that'd make it exciting.
It would make it exciting.
Just hasn't timed them all night, Matt Wade. He's been trying to play that shot very high on the bat, hit up on the stickers. Just hasn't been able to get the pace of the wicket.
Doesn't it seem a long time ago when Harry Brook was dismissed, and in the 9th over, England was 4 for 54 before that partnership between Dawood Malan and also Moeen Ali. And now there's a full-on conference here at the bowler's mark. Butler, Moeen Ali, Chris Jordan.
Chris Jordan's just walked in for a comment. They've walked away. Back down here.
Poor chap. He's got great.
Down there, mate.
England's all-time T20 leading wicket taker. Hasn't played a heap of recent times, and that rush showed. But interesting to see if Wood and Wokes are back for England on Friday night. They're rested tonight. Does Jordan get another game to try and get into a rhythm? Meanwhile, Pat Cummins needs 2 sixes off the last 2 balls. Short third, backward point, deep cover, long off, long on, deep mid-wicket. Curran bowls to Cummins. He tries to hit a 6, but it's 1 bounce to Jordan at long on, and England is not only going to win the game, but they're going to win the series. They get a single. Cummins to 18, 6 for 168. 11 to win off 1, and Stewie, I think at your big hitting, lusty blows best, you'd struggle to do that.
No balls, that's what we're saying. Keep your foot behind the line. Doesn't matter what happens to the delivery. Actually bowled off 1 step, just lob it up there and let him hit it out of the ground and then walk off with your arms raised.
Sam Curran, what a performance. 3 for 23 with 1 ball to come in his 4th and final over. Last ball of the game in England. This is a really impressive win by them here in Canberra as Curran comes in to finish this match off. Bowling to Wade, who scored 8 from 9, and he flicks it off his pads down to deep backward square. Willie in pursuit. They have 1. They'll come back for a second, and Wade will finish not out on 10, and England will win by 8 runs as Australia ends at 6 for 170. 13 off the final over, but they needed more than 20. So what did they need in that final over? They needed 22, and they score 13. England 7 for 178. Australia 6 for 170. And we have the not-out batsman of the Impact Cummins and Matt Wade, but really Sam Curran has won that game for England with the ball after Dawood Malan could claim the same with the bat.
Yeah, look, a pretty good performance there for England. They were in trouble in different spots and periods of that game. With the bat, they were 4 down, and it took Malan and Moeen Ali to come out and play a really good innings, good partnership, got the England team back on track. A couple of lusty blows at the end. Talked about Jordan hitting the last ball for 6 and just putting the pressure back on the Australians. And then with the ball, I thought Topley bowled well, and Curran, as you mentioned, superb final 2 overs, bowling the 18th and the 20th over with all pressure on him, and did a sterling job. Got played one bad ball and got put out of the ground, but apart from that, you've got to say that Curran, bowler of the match for England, under pressure. When the game was on the line, you want your big players to deliver.
So I now know who the man of the match is. Who would you give the award to?
Dawood Malan.
You would be correct.
Yes, he batted very well. I find it hard that the English punters don't quite like Mr. Malan. I thought he batted superbly. And look, he's not like, let's compare him to Tim David for the sake of comparing them. He doesn't hit the ball as hard, and it doesn't look as spectacular. And I'm not saying Tim David's not a good player, but the way he goes about his business, he's such an important part of their setup, and he does a good job. He makes their team better, and that's the only thing you can ask for.
There was a time where he was for a while, the number 1 ranked batsman in international T20 cricket.
Copy.
Now, I can see Henry down there. What have we got left? About 8.5 minutes. So I'll go through the card as the players congratulate and commiserate. Netting 179 to win. The Australians scored 6 for 170. England wins by 8 runs. Aaron Finch was caught Stokes, bowled Willie for 13. And it was in the 4th over, 1 for 20. Dave Warner caught Brook at cover off Topley for 4 off 11 deliveries. And we can go down right now to you, Henry Moran.
Indeed, with Dawood Malan of England. It's not many sides that can prevent Australia chasing down a target once, let alone in 2 games. You must be thrilled.
Yeah, over the moon. I thought it was a really good bowling performance to restrict them there. At one point we were aiming for about 160, and then after the 10 over mark we thought it's actually playing okay with the smaller boundaries, try and get 170, and then we managed to get just above par, what we thought was par, and our bowlers bowled fantastically well.
That partnership between you and Moeen, absolutely crucial. What were you saying out there?
Well, we were trying to bat for at least 3 or 4 overs, trying to create a bit of a partnership, trying to take a bit of time out of the game while still being as attacking as we can, especially with our options. And then we had 1 over where we got, I think it was 12 or 13, and then we had another over that went for about, I think it was 15 or 16, and suddenly we had a bit of momentum. And then as soon as you get onto that stage, the team's gone the defensive, which gives you a bit more scoring options. We got away with a little bit here and there, but it was a good performance in the end.
Are you happy with the role that you've had in this first couple of matches, moving down the order in the first game and then that position at 3 in the second? Are you happy with that flexibility?
Yeah, I think we all know that anyone can bat at a specific time in this game. I'm pretty sure if Livy was here in the last game, he might have gone in at 3 in the last one, or if we'd had a 100 for 1 here with a small boundary, it might have been someone else. That's just the way we go. We're very flexible as a team. In the last World Cup I batted 5 in one of the games as well, and also didn't bat. So it's sort of we just I guess we sort of go with what we need on the specific day instead of having a clear set. This is what you're going to do. We sort of very adaptive, if you want to put it that way.
A lot of talk about the return of the Australian fast bowling contingent. How was it facing them tonight?
Yeah, it's always a challenge. The wicket early on wasn't as flat as we'd have liked. So it's always a challenge facing them. Luckily we got on top of it today with the smaller boundaries, and we got a few that flew away. But look, it's always a fantastic challenge playing against them. They're as good as it gets in international cricket.
Joss Buttler said ahead of this series that England weren't favourites for the World Cup. Has that changed after these 2 matches?
No, I don't think so. I still think we're finding our combinations. I think we're quite happy coming in chasing, if you want to put it that way. But look, I think we all know if we play as well as we can on any day, we can beat any team there is. And that's the belief we have as a team. But yeah, there are some fantastic teams out there.
Thank you very much, David. Well played today.
And Dawood Malan there after scoring 82 of 49 deliveries, 7 fours and 4 sixes. He was out in the final over, dismissed in the deep by Marcus Stoinis, joining Henry Moran. Now, going through the Aussie card again, I mentioned Finch and Warner. Glenn Maxwell caught Hales a D mid-wicket off Curran for 8. It was 3 for 51 in the 8th. Marcus Stoinis looked good before he holed out the deep square leg to Harry Brook off Sam Curran for 22 off 13 deliveries, 2 fours and a 6. He was out in the 12th over. Mitch Marsh caught Sam Curran a deep square leg off Ben Stokes for 45 off 29 balls, 3 fours, 2 sixes. In the 15th over was 5 for 114. Tim David bowled by Curran leg stump for 40 off 23 balls, 5 fours and a 6, 6 for 145, and they finish at 6 for 170. Matt Wade not out on 10. Pat Cummins not out on 18 with 10 extras. I'll go through all of that in a moment, but let's get back downstairs to Henry Moran.
Alongside Pat Cummins, your reaction to that defeat and a series defeat?
Oh, disappointing. Obviously. I thought we started really well. I thought Milan and Mo batted really well through the middle there, got them to a good score, but one you would hope would chase down more often than not.
We've seen in the last T20 World Cup an England win against Australia early on does not necessarily mean that it's going to go that way later on in things. But what have you learned from the last couple of matches, playing tonight and watching the game in Perth?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It's a good one. I find, especially T20, the more I play, I learn a lot. Probably more about my own bowling. Just how different, say, slower balls or Yorkers or field plans work. And then I think as a team, how you structure kind of your bowling and batting. So a lot of info gained and put us, hopefully help us out.
How confident is this Australian side of retaining the title?
Really confident. Yeah, we have the same squad basically as we did 12 months ago. We got on great. It's great fun around here, and obviously playing conditions that we've all played a lot in, either for Oz or Big Bash. So it's not easy. T20 World Cups. This kind of could be one of probably 10 teams, but it'll be good fun.
What do Australia need to get right in the final T20?
Well, I think just bring it all together. Complete 20 overs with the ball, and then just kind of I think the middle orders batted really well at times to get us over the line. I think we probably only need one of those top guys to fire on a day, and they'll get us a long way there.
And just finally, everyone's asked about it. Matthew Wade incident the other night. Mitchell Stark said it depends who it was. What would you have done in that situation?
If it was Wade, I definitely would have referred it. It's honestly, I thought it could have gone either way, but they didn't appeal, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Things happen so fast that when you slow it down, you can kind of look into it a bit more. But it happened rapid, so obviously no malice, and play on. He rates himself as an AFL footy player though.
Well, he might have a career in it. Thank you. Cheers, Pat. Thanks a lot.
Pat Cummins still in good spirits, speaking there with Henry Moran. Bowling figures for England. Ben Stokes, I tell you what, these were 2 sneaky overs. He bowled the first over of the innings, and then they slipped him back in for the 15th, and he ends up 2 overs, 1 for 10. David Willey, 3 overs, 1 for 21. Topley, 4 overs, 1 for 35. Adil Rashid, 4 overs for 38. Sam Curran, the best, 4 overs, 3 for 25. Chris Jordan, 3 overs for 39. England wins by 8 runs, second game in a row. They've won by that margin. So England wins the series. What does a series like this immediately before the World Cup, does it have an impact on what's to come?
Oh, look, it's one of those things, like, you win, well, it's good to have. You lose, you go, we're just teams. I actually think it's got a little bit more relevance than people may want to let on, because winning form's good form. If you're winning, doesn't matter what form of the game it is, doesn't matter what game it is, you take that confidence in, and it's such a rushed, fast game that you haven't got time to second guess yourself. And if you're winning, you walk out with confidence. So for me, I think they'll play it down, the Australians, and England will play it down as well. It doesn't make it doesn't start the series and all the rest of it. But I think England will be happy, and I think Australia will be like, we've got to be better. I think from the Australian point of view, they're playing good cricket, but they're maybe just missing that finesse or that polish at the end to finish off games like that. When Australia are playing well, they win those games of cricket. So I think they'll be thinking about, right, how do we get the job done when the pressure's on?
Yeah, Stoinis did well with the ball for the Australians, picked up 3 for 34. Adam Zampa only bowled 3 overs, 2 for 26.
He didn't bowl many overs, and Maxwell only bowled a couple of overs.
He only bowled 1.
Yeah, I don't understand why that happened. Maybe that's just the flow of the game in T20 cricket, but certainly I thought Australia did okay. Like, they didn't do badly, they just weren't quite at their peak.
Stewie, we've got to go. We're going to all turn into pumpkins, mate. Lovely to see you again and to work with you again, and I'll see you throughout the summer.
I'll be back during the summer, Andy. You enjoy Canberra, and you'll be back on Friday night, won't you?
Yes, and 7 o'clock local time for Game 3 of the series in Canberra, and you'll be subbed out for another big, tall, fast bowler, Dirk Nannes. Thank you to the team. It's been great to work with Henry Moran again, and Daniel Norcross, Alex Hartley, Baldy, our man of sound. Thank you, Mark. No, it's an affectionate nickname. We appreciate that. And to Aaron Bryan in the studio, I'm Andrew Moore. Thanks for listening. England has beaten Australia by 8 runs in the second T20 International here at Manuka Oval in Canberra. They win the series 2-0 with one game to come on Friday night. Catch you then.